Zhuang Mo transmigrated into a parallel world and awakened the safest wood element ability in the apocalypse. His future plan was to lie low and farm in the safe zone. The potatoes others grew were soft and fluffy. His potatoes were as big as footballs and extremely hard. The cabbages others grew were crisp and sweet. His cabbage was 1.5 meters tall and very hard. Ruins D District. The streets were littered with broken plastic and rusted iron sheets. The outer walls of dilapidated high-rises on both sides were perforated, covered in withered vines that had long dried up. The air was thick with the stench of excrement and rotting garbage. A frail young man with messy nest-like hair waded through sewage that covered his ankles, quickly entering a 7-story abandoned building. 40 years after the alien invasion, the building showed no sign of human habitation. The young man turned into a shadowy corridor and quickened his pace. Top floor, the farthest room in the corner. Huff! The young man let out a long breath, then pulled from his bosom 3 small bread rolls that together were only the size of a palm. He quickly tore open one and stuffed it into his mouth. The coarse, bitter taste made him frown, but then a satisfied smile spread across his face. Having something to eat was good enough. He had slaved away at the garbage dump for 3 days, earning only 1 credit in exchange for 3 small bread rolls. This damned apocalypse was too hard to endure. Tomorrow was awakening day. As a transmigrator, he didn't want to be some superhero. He just wanted to awaken an ordinary wood element ability. In the future, he hoped to work at a plantation in the safe zone, eat 3 meals a day without fear of death. He patted his stomach, which was hollowed out like a basin, and sighed. 3 days ago, he was an architecture design slave who worked until midnight every day. After finishing a bowl of instant noodles, he slumped over his desk and pointed upward. Let it all perish, hurry up, I'm exhausted. When he lifted his head again, he had become an 18-year-old youth in a parallel world who had starved to death. The memories of this previous owner flooded into his mind. The youth was also named Zhuang Mo. His parents died in an alien plant forest when he was very young. He barely survived to 18 by scavenging and doing odd jobs. Life was tough, but not yet fatal until a second family moved into the same crumbling building. 3 sharp knocks at the door. The door was so old it could be pushed open easily, yet the visitor knocked anyway. Zhuang Mo, hearing the noise, immediately stuffed the remaining 2 bread rolls into a cabinet. Just then the person pushed the door open. A woman with some semblance of attractiveness led a sallow, skinny little boy. The woman spoke in a pitiful tone, "Brother Zhuang, my child, and I haven't eaten for 2 days. Could you lend me some food? They'll pay you back as soon as I find work." These words disgusted Zhuang Mo from head to toe. This woman came to borrow every time, always succeeded, and never repaid. The original owner let himself starve to death by playing the saint. A saint in the apocalypse was the deadliest thing. Zhuang Mo waved his hand dismissively. "Who's your brother? Your child is this old, you must be at least 30, right? I am only 18. The woman's face showed astonishment. This Zhuang Mo was the kind-hearted fool she had struggled to find. Before, when she came to borrow food, he would go hungry himself, but still feed her and the child. The woman stepped forward, grabbing Zhuang Mo's dirty white sleeve. "Brother Zhuang, if not for me, at least think of the child." "What? You can't possibly say this 10-year-old is mine." Zhuang Mo shook her off immediately. The woman opened her mouth wide, bit her lip, then reached up and tore off her top, exposing her bare chest. She put on a fawning smile and leaned toward him. "Brother Zhuang, don't you already know my feelings?" The little boy beside her looked blankly on, showing no reaction, as if used to such scenes. Zhuang Mo stepped back, stared at her with a cold face, and said one word out. The woman froze, disbelief in her eyes. "Zhuang Mo, are you really going to let our mother and son starve to death?" Zhuang Mo grew angry on behalf of the original owner, who starved to death. To die for such a worthless creature was too pathetic. He grabbed the boy with one arm, dragged the woman with the other, and threw them both out the door. "What does it matter to me if you starve?" The door slammed shut, then, after a few seconds, opened again. The woman, seeing the door open, had a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Brother Zhuang," she cooed. But Zhuang Mo, without even looking at her, tossed out a thin t-shirt. "Your clothes." The door closed again. Outside, the woman and boy's faces twisted into malice. Inside, Zhuang Mo quickly started packing his things. Luggage consisted of only 2 bread rolls, 1 bottle of water, a few thin clothes, a half-rusted fruit knife, a notebook, a pen, and an ID card. After stuffing everything into a patched backpack, Zhuang Mo sat at the table and picked up a piece of paper he had just torn from the notebook. His hands moved quickly. Soon a little paper dog took shape. "Who's he?" Zhuang Mo sighed to the paper dog. "I've been transmigrated for 3 days now, and the golden finger hasn't arrived yet. You think it got hijacked on the way? This place is no place for people, no water, no electricity, no food. But I have to survive." The paper dog sat on the table motionless. In his original world, Zhuang Mo often did origami. An office drone with immense work pressure and absurdly long hours had to find ways to decompress and have fun. His decompression method was origami. Origami was like shaping space in architecture, but it was more controllable and more interesting than architectural design. He most often folded paper dogs, and even named one Huzi. Whenever he felt like talking, he would fold a Huzi. The sky darkened. Huzi, I have to go. Take care of yourself at home. Zhuang Mo shouldered his backpack, gently pushed open the door, and his figure faded into the night. Not long after he left, the woman and the child, iron bars in hand, gently pushed open the door. With a loud bang, the bars smashed onto the bed with a dull thud. Bang, bang, more dull thuds. Mom, seems like no one's here. The boy growled, his face ferocious, no trace of his earlier vacant expression. He was only 10, but his hands were already stained with blood. The mother and son team could handle even a strong man if they worked together. Women and children were the easiest to let down one's guard. The woman turned on a solar-powered flashlight and looked around. No one. Find food. The two began turning over everything, but didn't find even a crumb. On the table, a folded paper dog stood out. The boy picked it up. Written on it were 2 words, dog's son. The boy angrily threw the paper dog to the ground and stomped on it viciously. He turned around. Mom, this Zhuang Mo is messing with us. The words barely left his mouth when he felt a heat in his stomach. He slowly raised his head to see Zhuang Mo's cold face before him. The boy's voice caught in his throat. Zhuang Mo stabbed him several more times. As the boy collapsed, he saw the woman already lying dead on the floor, her eyes wide open, a pool of dark red blood beneath her. Zhuang Mo pulled out the knife and picked up the crushed paper dog, now stained red. Huzi, I killed people. I came to the apocalypse, haven't even encountered an alien beast, and already killed humans. If I hadn't killed them, they would have killed me. I just wanted to survive. What's wrong with that? Zhuang Mo placed the paper dog on the table and picked up the ballpoint pen he had just dropped. He had written on the paper dog and forgotten to put the pen back in his bag. He had come back for the pen. Huzi, I'm really leaving this time. I'm going to try my luck. I'm a transmigrator after all, so I should be able to awaken an ability, right? 40 years ago, torrential rain swept across the entire globe, and countless people perished in the floods. At first, everyone thought it was nothing more than an ordinary climatic catastrophe, and that once the rain passed, the skies would eventually clear again. Yet after the rain stopped, disasters followed one after another. Tornadoes, raging forest fires, extreme cold, earthquakes. Homes were obliterated, industry collapsed across the board, civilization fractured, order fell into chaos, and technology regressed at a frightening pace. The vast majority of humanity died in these calamities, with scarcely 1 in 100 surviving. Plants and animals either withered away into death or underwent frenzied evolution and mutation. Even more terrifying, unknown creatures began appearing all over the world. They stood over 2 meters tall, their skin smooth like that of a dolphin, yet unnaturally hard, so tough that ordinary bullets could not even pierce them. Their fangs were razor-sharp, capable of biting through a human neck with ease. These creatures, which fed on human flesh and blood, came to be known as Zhuang, the aberrants. Most terrifying of all, they continued to evolve without cease. After walking some 5 or 6 kilometers from his place of residence, Zhuang Mo finally stopped and crouched down in a corner to rest. This scrawny little body of mine, he thought, can't even beat a low-grade mutated plant, let alone a Zhuang. That's why I have to move at night. Most mutated plants and animals are asleep then, and the chances of running into danger are lower. Thinking this, he opened his backpack, took out his water, drank a small sip, and put it back in. As he lifted his head, he saw something grotesque and uncanny. At the base of the wall opposite him, several multicolored flowers had bloomed on withered brown vines, their petals glowing faintly in the darkness. A burly man who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere sprinted forward. His palm cleaved through the air, releasing a blade of wind that sheared off the heads of those flowers in one stroke, the severed blossoms falling in a scatter at his feet. Seeing that the man seemed to think the battle was already over, Zhuang Mo risked exposing himself and shouted loudly, "Watch your feet." He currently possessed not a shred of supernatural ability, and on this entire street, they were the only 2 living humans. If this man died, here wouldn't Zhuang Mo end up as fertilizer for the mutated flowers in the next instant. Hearing the shout, the man instinctively leaped into the air. Several flower heads shot up from beneath his feet, their petals peeling open to reveal scarlet tongue-like cores. Damn! He growled, and a cyclone storm whirled out from him as its center. The flower heads were instantly shredded into fragments. Zhuang Mo stared blankly at the scene before him. So this was the power of an awakened. The man shook his left wrist a few times toward the pulverized plant remains, then walked over to Zhuang Mo. "Kid, thanks. If not for your shout, I might really have fallen to a few lousy flowers." As he spoke, a heavy reek of alcohol washed over Zhuang Mo. Judging from the cyclone and the way he had lingered in midair, Zhuang Mo concluded that the man had simply been careless from drinking. Otherwise, those flowers with gaping scarlet maws would never have posed any real threat to him. "No need to thank me," Zhuang Mo replied. He had only done it so that he himself could stay alive. The man then looked at him in mild surprise. "You're an ordinary person." Zhuang Mo said nothing, merely nodded once. The man sized him up a few more times, noting how young he looked. "So you haven't awakened yet? This kid's perception is so sharp, he must be a genius," the man thought. He let out a boozy hiccup. At daybreak, it'll be awakening day. You've got a backpack on, heading to the government office to test your energy affinity. Zhuang Mo glanced at him and answered, I just turned 18. I want to try my luck. I'll take you there. The man said, consider it payback for that shout of yours. As he spoke, he ran over to a shadowed section of wall and wheeled out a battered old bicycle. This is called a bicycle. Even before the apocalypse, this was considered a precious thing. I bought it off the black market. He boasted, patting his chest. I'll have you there before dawn. Zhuang Mo's lip. He had long known that the world's pre-apocalypse level of development was roughly equivalent to Huagua in the 1970s. But riding a bicycle now, wouldn't that basically be drunk driving? A minute later, the bicycle was creaking along, the man pedaling so hard it was as if the wind were at his heels, while Zhuang Mo sat calmly on the back seat. He wasn't worried about the awakened harboring ill intentions. In this world, staying close to an awakened was better than facing mutated flora and fauna alone. On the way, Zhuang Mo learned that the man was called Li Dazhuang, 35 years old. His ability attribute was wind, and his affinity, his innate talent, was rated at elementary level. His combat strength was classified as a rank. You're hoping to study at the Federal Ability Academy, Li Dazhuang said. What awakened doesn't dream of that? But only those with energy affinity at elementary or above can enroll in the Federal Ability Academy. Otherwise, you can only grope your way forward like me. Zhuang Mo was well aware of this and felt far from confident in his heart. The district government's instruments could measure energy affinity. Those rated elementary would receive a crystal nucleus to absorb on their own and thus awaken an ability. If one's affinity was rated medium or high, they could attend the Federal Ability Academy in the safe zone. No matter what ability they awakened, at the very least, they would enjoy a few days of good life with enough food to eat. Of course, if he really managed to awaken a wood-type ability, then even with only elementary talent, he might not make it into the Federal Ability Academy. But as long as he worked hard to advance in the future, he could still fulfill his wish of working in a plantation. If he had no affinity at all, then he might as well give up on living. Seeing Zhuang Mo remain silent, Li Dazhuang chuckled. But you don't need to worry. From what I've seen, with perception as sharp as yours, you're at least medium level. I'd be more than satisfied just to awaken like you, brotherly. If I can go to the Federal Ability Academy, I will. If I can, I'll just stay here and follow you, Zhuang Mo said, deliberately leaving himself a way out. After a few lines of praise, Li Dazhuang pedaled even harder. Brotherly, is that a watch on your wrist? Zhuang Mo asked as if casually. Yeah, all awaken have one. It can skin mutated creatures you've killed so you can claim points. Zhuang Mo understood, then it was essentially a phone watch that couldn't make calls. Can you earn points from killing those mutated flowers just now? Sure. Ones with tongues like that count as second-grade mutated plants. Each flower earns 2 points. They chatted as they rode, and before they knew it, they had arrived at the gate of the District D government amid the ruins. Dawn had yet to break. Li Dazhuang parked the bicycle outside the District D government security booth and with practiced ease opened the door. Xiao Zhuang, come sit and rest for a bit. We'll head out when the testing starts, he called, beckoning to Zhuang Mo. Inside the booth, an older man with a full beard greeted them. Dazhuang, you're finally here. I'm going to take a leak. Hearing this, Zhuang Mo suddenly understood. He had thought he was riding in a private shuttle. Turned out it was just a free lift. Brotherly, you're impressive. Actually working security for the District D government. That's an iron rice bowl, he said, giving a thumbs up. Li Dazhuang poured him a cup of water first. You bet. Room and board included. And that's not even counting the points from killing mutated plants, animals, and Yizhong. Just the base salary alone is 100 points a month, he said with pride. 100 points. Zhuang Mo had spent 3 days working himself ragged, pinching his nose while scavenging trash to earn a single point. Enough for 3 small bread rolls. 100 points. That was 300 rolls of bread. You must need connections to land a job like this, right? Zhuang Mo probed. I won't hide it from you, Li Dazhuang said. The man who just stepped out is my uncle Li Erniu. My respects, Zhuang Mo said. Li Erniu soon returned, and after the three chatted for a while, Zhuang Mo sat down on a chair and closed his eyes. This place was relatively safe, so he seized the chance to sleep for a bit. As dawn broke, Li Dazhuang woke Zhuang Mo and let him out to have his affinity tested. Outside the government building, an airship gondola blocked the entire street, its gas bag now wrinkled and sagging over the cabin. Beside the gondola, a group of fully armed soldiers stood guard around a large instrument that looked like an oversized thermometer. That's an airship, Li Dazhuang said. I've never ridden one myself. As long as you place a crystal nucleus into the controller, the gas bag on top will inflate all at once. That instrument was brought in from the safe zone, he went on. It holds the crystal nucleus of an 8th grade Yizhong, Li Dazhuang explained. Nowadays, everything depends on crystal nuclei. Zhuang Mo gave the instrument only a cursory glance before turning his envious gaze to the few people standing beside it, whose clothing and bearing were completely different. No torn t-shirts, clean shoes, faces scrubbed and tidy. These were people from the Federal Ability Academy, and Zhuang Mo reined in his envy, lowered his head, and joined the still not very long line, with Li Dazhuang standing at his side. Once an ordinary office worker from Huagua, he had crossed into another world only to find it was the apocalypse. Forget having clean clothes. There wasn't even a chance to take a proper bath. It had been 3 days since he arrived here, and he had not bathed once. But that was nothing new, judging from the state of his body's original owner. The previous Zhuang Mo probably hadn't bathed in years. When he had first arrived, he had lifted an arm to sniff his armpit. The stench had been eye-watering. When you didn't even have enough to eat, cleanliness and hygiene were luxuries far beyond consideration. Being able to eat, now that was what truly mattered. As he was daydreaming about steamed buns, rice, and big fluffy dumplings, an incredibly excited voice suddenly rang out from ahead of him. Medium. Yellow, I possess a medium-level talent in the lightning affinity. Did you see that? Did you see that? Ha ha ha, I Sun Kong am heading to the safe zone. The people in the team revealed expressions of longing. Medium, what incredible luck. I don't even ask for medium, just being able to awaken would be enough. Oh, once I awaken, I won't have to starve. I want to awaken too. Soon it was Zhuang Mo's turn for the test. Among the 58 people tested before him, only 10 had awakened, and merely 3 had above a basic level. The test was simple. All he needed to do was place his palms on the palm shapes on the device's base. The moment Zhuang Mo placed his hands down, a faint green light soared skyward, piercing through the top of the device. Did I see that correctly? The tall young man standing beside the device rubbed his eyes. High level. The scene erupted into chaos. High-level talent. That's a high level. When has our ruins ever produced a genius with high-level talent? High-level talent in the wood affinity. There can't be many geniuses like this in the safe zone. Incredible, incredible. Li Dazhuang was completely stunned. He casually picked someone up by the roadside, and it turned out he was a genius. A unique high-level talent in the ruins. Amidst the discussion, that green light suddenly dropped to the bottom, almost disappearing if not looked at closely. Li Dazhuang's heart stopped, staring at the device in a daze. With a whoosh, the millimeter-high green light shot back up to the top. Li Dazhuang patted his chest, saying, I told you the device, powered by an 8th-level crystal core, can't be broken. That green light dropped again. Whoosh. Swish. Up. Down. Li Dazhuang's heartbeat was erratic, not knowing whether to beat or not. The people on site followed the rhythm of that green light, raising their heads and lowering them perfectly in sync. The tall young man furrowed his brow. Could it be that the device is broken? It couldn't be right. The green light reached the top again. Down, down, down. It gradually fell to the basic level, becoming motionless. The green light had faded to a color so light, it was nearly invisible. Everyone held their breath, watching the glow, and after a little, while it remained still, Li Dazhuang frowned, wanting to cry without tears. Brother, even if it's basic, at least you can awaken. He awkwardly comforted him. Affinity only represents talent. A basic talent can still improve with effort and find a good job. Zhuang Mo calmly withdrew his hands, feeling excited inside. No matter whether it's basic or high level, regardless of whether he can fight or not, just focus on whether this light is green. A little bit of green is still green. Green is a light so beautiful. Even if he can't attend the Federal Superpower Academy, he can still work in the Safe Zone's plantation after putting in some effort. Traversing through the end of the world, I love farming. Wonderful. However, he was the only one who thought so, though everyone else only cared about how high the talent was. Ha! I told you, how could there be high-level killing machines in the ruins? It turns out the device was just malfunctioning. What a disappointment. Does this even count as wood affinity? The color of the light has turned pale green. The tall young man stepped forward to inspect the device, then turned to the team and said, next. The next person excitedly placed their hands on the device, but it showed no response. The next one was a basic water affinity. The tall young man said, it seems it really was just a malfunction. In front of the government building, the ground was filled with people who looked lost. Many were crying out loud. Let me test again. How could I possibly not awaken? It's over, it's all over. The soldiers pushed the crowd away. Leave this place within a minute. Those who tested positive for affinity were divided into 2 groups, with Zhuang Mo standing among the basic level group, which had a total of 35 people. The medium level group was even smaller, with only 18. There were no high levels at all. The tall young man and his companions took out a small box filled with white crystal. These are the crystal cores extracted from the brains of first-level exotic species. The tall young man took 1 crystal core, scanned it on the square watch on his companion's left wrist, and then distributed them to the awaiting awakened individuals. Zhuang Mo also received a piece about the size of a fingernail, a white crystal that was slightly warm. How do I absorb this? Just as Zhuang Mo was pondering, he heard the tall young man say, eat it. This stone-like thing can be eaten. Zhuang Mo thought to himself as he stuffed the crystal core into his mouth. Crunch, crunch. Goodness, it could even be chewed like eating an eggshell. After chewing it down, he felt a bit of irritation in his throat. A tremendous energy surged from his dantian, coursing through his entire body. His organs felt like they were being churned to pieces, causing intense pain. It hurt like hell. Oh, huh. Just as Zhuang Mo was about to scream, the pain disappeared. Is this what it means to awaken? He didn't feel anything. Around him cries of anguish filled the air. So painful. Ah! Zhuang Mo had his hands in his pockets. Was it really that painful? It felt as if that half-scream of a hadn't come from his throat. Li Dazhuang asked, brother, is that how you finish awakening? It should be. Zhuang Mo nodded. Li Dazhuang said, hey, you can't go to the Federal Superpower Academy. What are your plans? Zhuang Mo's eyes flickered. Is there a need for security here? I'm just asking, if not, then forget it. Security. 100 points a month. Start working as a temp, and once his strength reaches the level, he can go to the safe zone. Li Dazhuang looked left and right, pulling him aside. As a temp, 50 points a month doing what? Once your strength reaches a level, you can become a full-time worker. Zhuang Mo nodded fervently. You'll do it. Thank you, brotherly. 50 points after all. 150 small buns. Brotherly, where's the toilet? I need to take a leak. The toilets in the ruins area are makeshift ones made of wooden boards. To put it bluntly, it's just finding a place, digging a pit, and surrounding it. Li Dazhuang pointed in a direction. Just turn around at the end. After finishing, he leaned in to ask, number 1 or number 2? Number 2. Li Dazhuang dragged Zhuang Mo to a corner, then discreetly reached into his clothes. He pulled out a small roll of crumpled pink toilet paper. He stuffed it into Zhuang Mo's hands. Brother, take it and use it. Zhuang Mo's hands trembled slightly. This is too precious. I can't take it. He had been using cardboard for the past few days, and the feeling was indescribable. Li Dazhuang shoved it into his hands. I have plenty more. The moment he received it, Zhuang Mo's body trembled. Zhuang Mo squatted down, took out the roll of toilet paper, and carefully tore off a piece. His palm felt a slight warmth, and the piece of toilet paper began to float, and hurried towards the Zhuang Mo squatted down, took out the roll of toilet paper, and carefully tore off a piece. His palm felt a slight warmth, and the piece of toilet paper began to float. This is superpower. He tentatively focused his mind, and the toilet paper rolled up. Holy crap. No way. Isn't he supposed to have what affinity? Shouldn't he be specializing in planting? Why can he control paper? Puff. As he was bewildered, his body relaxed and tightened. Zhuang Mo concentrated all his spiritual energy on that piece of paper, maneuvering it to sway towards his backside. He sighed. Ah, this power isn't entirely useless. At the very least, it can wipe someone's backside. Elsewhere, the tall youth abandoned the newly awakened writhing on the ground, boarded the airship, and looked toward Huang Lin, who sat in the cockpit sipping tea. Master in Feishu D District, 35 people awakened at the elementary level, Song Yulong said respectfully. 18 at the intermediate level. Huang Lin nodded. Not bad. Getting more than 10 from the ruins district is already commendable. Song Yulong scratched his head. But our instrument glitched today. During one wood-type test, the light shot up and slammed against the head with a whoosh. Then it whooshed back down. Whoosh after whoosh this way, and that until it finally settled at the elementary level. Huang Lin set down his teacup. Oh, energy on par with an 8th level crystal core. How could the reading glitch? What's his name? His name is Zhuang Mo, the Zhuang from that village. Bring him along. The Zhuang from that village, Mo, as in silent. I said take him back to the academy. 5 minutes later, Li Dazhuang clasped Zhuang Mo's hand. Brother, if they don't want you there, come back to me. We'll keep a temp job open for you. Zhuang Mo was deeply moved and left without looking back. A career in security, done. An 18-year-old should go to a school that provides room and board. 10 minutes later, on the airship Sun Kong, a thunder type of intermediate talent stood up and pointed at Zhuang Mo. Isn't he elementary? How did he get on? Song Yulong explained, the device probably malfunctioned. Bring him back to the academy and retest. Retest for what? He barely reaches elementary. Ye's light was so faint you could hardly tell its color. Maybe he didn't even awaken successfully. The cabin erupted in chatter. Zhuang Mo sat and replayed the affinity test in his mind. He finally understood he controlled paper, and paper comes from wood, so his power could only be counted as wood type at best. It was so tenuous that the green signature was almost invisible. He could not understand why his affinity had jumped from elementary to advanced at times. Perhaps it was related to the odd nature of his ability. He hoped it would not be limited to toilet paper alone. That would be a raw deal. He pulled the yellowed notebook from his bag. The instant his hand touched it, he breathed with relief. Good. Ordinary paper responded as well. Had he awakened this power because he used to enjoy folding paper back when he worked at the flower farm? Moved by a thought, he tore off a sheet. Fold once, then 2 corners. The nose mustn't be too heavy, the wings broader. The paper plane took shape. He picked up the paper plane and traced it through the air, flying and flying like the paper planes of childhood. Song Yulong sat down beside him, wanting to speak, but wearing a conflicted expression. This kid couldn't possibly be an idiot, could he? Suddenly Zhuang Mo released his grip, and the paper plane inexplicably hovered in midair. What on earth was happening? Song Yulong stared at Zhuang Mo in disbelief. What kind of ability was this? He had never seen anything like it. Those around them witnessed the sight and widened their eyes. What's going on? He can use his power right after awakening. How can a paper plane suspend itself? Isn't he wood type? Is this even an ability? At that moment, the airship's alarm blared. A vast mass appeared to envelope the vessel. Song Yulong peered. They were not clouds, but a swarm of mutated birds, 10 centimeters long, each beating 4 wings, their eyes glowing green, packed so densely they formed a living black veil. What is this? Mutated. Mutated birds. So many mutated birds. Aren't flying creatures supposed to be less likely to mutate? From the cockpit, Huang Lin's urgent voice rang out. Prepare for low altitude. The flocks surrounded the airship. Huang Lin braced the strain and dove toward the ground. They could not land. The ruins were more dangerous than the sky. The airship could only fly low and slow. The scythe-like beaks tore at the hull and gas bags, yet at that rate the ship would soon be ruined. Newcomers sit tight, veterans enter combat state. Huang Lin's voice was calm, yet urgent. Song Yulong was the first to react. He drew 2 thin blades from his waist, stepped past. Zhuang Mo opened the window and guided the blades into the air. Countless mutated birds, drawn by the scent of blood, abandoned the gas bags and surged toward the windows. Before they could force their way in, the blades shredded them midair. 1 person per window. Hold them. Don't let a single bird inside. Song Yulong shouted. The cabin filled with screams, curses, and the reek of blood and torn flesh. Zhuang Mo had long moved away from the panes and stood quietly behind Song Yulong, trying to hide. The packed birds pressed against the windows. Song's blades left afterimages as fragments of carcass flew everywhere. A wave of dread at the clustered sight washed over Zhuang Mo. Gooseflesh rose across his skin, and his determination only grew firmer. Why shouldn't he be wood type? No one was better suited to farming than he. With that in mind, he matched Song Yulong's movements and hid entirely behind him. At that moment, a few mutated birds slammed through a forward window. Hit it. It's not like we haven't seen mutations. This one's only a level 2 mutation, someone shouted. Almost everyone in the cabin carried knives. A spray of blades flashed into the air. Zhuang Mo was reaching into his bag for a knife when a mutated bird lunged at him. The bird's beak, lined with fine serrations, filled his vision. There was no time to think. The power coursing through him condensed at his fingertips. With a whoosh, the paper plane darted out at blistering speed, aimed straight at the mutant bird, and pierced it through. The bird collapsed. The blood-smeared paper plane returned to Zhuang Mo's hand. A paper plane can kill a mutated bird. Sun Kong looked as if had seen a ghost. While he stood stunned, another mutated bird swooped from behind, its razor beak aimed at his head. A thud. His body fell straight down. Startled by the sound, Zhuang Mo turned and saw the bird coming for him. He flung his right hand, and the paper plane shot out. The mutant bird's body split apart at once. Almost simultaneously, 2 blades flew through the cabin. Song Yulong had cut down the birds at the window, and with several sweeping motions dispatched more than a dozen inside. The airship steadied and continued on. A few veteran students, unbothered, quickly cleared the cabin. One fire type reduced Sun Kang's body to ash. Silence settled in the cabin. After a long pause, someone murmured, "I thought awakening meant you wouldn't die so easily." He went quickly enough. Oh, at least he wasn't eaten by a beast. That's something. If he hadn't folded that paper plane, he might now be scattered as ash too. These were only level 2 mutated birds, creatures not even worthy of a name. Sighed slowly. If he hadn't folded that paper plane, he might now be scattered as ash too. These were only level 2 mutated birds, creatures not even worthy of a name. By any means, he had to remain in the safe zone and find a way into the Lianbong Yining Academy. After graduation, he would work at a plantation. Plantations were guarded by awakened troops, and a wood type only needed to farm diligently. Zhuang Mo arranged the course of his life. Song Yulong flopped down beside him. Song Yulong, he said with a bright smile. Metal type crank. Zhuang Mo was slightly surprised. He could tell Song was metal type, but did sending blades flying everywhere make one crank? Zhuang Mo, he offered. He shrugged helplessly. I should be a wood type frank, elementary talent, I suppose. Song Yulong immediately replied. Brother, you are absolutely not merely elementary. I just saw you control a paper plane and kill a bird. Well, retest when we get back to the academy. Being able to fight right after awakening means your affinity must be high tier. But it's a little odd that you can only control paper. Zhuang Mo forced an awkward smile and hastily changed the subject. Brother Long. He looked hesitant. What's the matter? Speak up. Song Yulong chuckled. I just killed 2 second-level mutated birds. Can I earn points for that? He learned from Li Dazhuang that the points for awakeners are not in coins, but recorded on a watch. However, he didn't have a watch yet, so those 2 mutated birds he killed were practically wasted. Song Yulong nodded and shook his head, saying, you need to scan it with the watch for it to count. Every awakener can get a watch for free. Oh, when we get to the academy, it'll take you to get one. Song Yulong kept talking, his mouth chattering away. Don't worry about not being able to scan or running out of time. The watches are specially made with crystal energy. As long as you wave your hand with the watch in front of the mutated creatures, it will work. Generally, during combat, it can scan automatically. Zhuang Mo thought it was absurd. The implication of all this was that he wouldn't earn those 2 points. That was 4 points. 12 small buns. Song Yulong completely ignored his silence, still rambling on. Those little birds aren't worth many points. Second level ones are only 2 points. If I take down a fourth level one, that's 100 points. You just awakened and might not know yet, but for mutated plants and animals there are thresholds. Level 1 is 1 point, level 2 is 2 points, level 3 is 10 points, level 4 is 100 points, level 5 is 200 points, level 6 is 1000 points. But it's my first time encountering mutated birds. Those that fly in the air used to be quite hard to mutate. It's not that they can't mutate, it's just that the probability is low. Do you understand? I'm talking about those that can fly, those that can't, like chickens, don't count. So did you scan before you started killing? Zhuang Mo asked expressionlessly. Could I not scan? I just needed to wave my left wrist at that group of birds and I'd have hundreds of points in no time. I mean, you only killed 2. They really aren't worth many points. Did I not tell you that our academy provides meals and accommodation, and every month you get 200 points for living expenses? Of course, if you die, your family can receive a one-time compensation of 1000 points. Like that guy who just died, I think his name was Sun Tao, right? Although he hadn't officially enrolled yet. I have no family. Zhuang Mo interrupted his endless chatter. Oh, then you can write a will in advance for those you want to leave it to. Writing a will isn't complicated, you just need to have 2 teachers as witnesses. I wrote my will as soon as I enrolled. The witnesses were teacher Huang Lin, who is now flying the airship, and another one. Zhuang Mo. Can I not die? You can. After you graduate, you can go to the plantation. Who knows, you might live to see your natural end. I really envy you with element ability users. Your mortality rate is so low. Zhuang Mo felt a bit uncertain, unsure whether his half-baked wood abilities would be useful. Song Yulong continued to chatter while Zhuang Mo occasionally responded with yeah, and while his gaze directed out the window. The airship wasn't flying very high, they were about to skim over an incredibly lush forest of trees. The dark gray trunks were adorned with oval-shaped galls, and the triangular leaves were densely covered with serrated edges. All the branches of a large tree were converging in one direction, quickly surrounding a deep purple giant python coiled at the top. The leaves rapidly moved back and forth, their serrated edges cutting into the snake's body, and dark red blood flowed into the veins of the leaves, disappearing without a trace. A massive arthropod guarding nearby extended its long tongue to drag the snake's carcass into its abdomen, which quickly swelled. Spreading branches, bloodthirsty leaves, creatures with countless legs extending tongues from their abdomens, a snake with 6 eyes, and a writhing mass of snakes. This was just a small part of the ruins forest. The airship glided over the forest, passing through seemingly calm lakes, deeper jungles, and abandoned cities, eventually arriving at a desert. Zhuang Mo could see the metallic gleam of the city walls from a distance, much higher than the airship. It seemed there were humans moving about on top of the walls. That is the safe zone. Since the end of the world and the natural disasters, most of the globe has been turned into extreme weather. Countless cities have been destroyed, forests and ocean creatures have mutated wildly, and strange species have appeared all over the world. Most humans didn't even wait for the invasion of strange species before dying in disasters. The survivors either died in battles against mutated creatures and strange species, or gradually moved towards aggregation. Some humans began to awaken, and the Blue Star Federation government was established. The current Federation centers around 4 major safe zones, forming 4 bases: the Central Base, Northern Base, Southern Base, and Western Base. Around each base's safe zone are basically ruins, and the boundaries of the ruins are either forests of mutated plants and animals, or oceans filled with countless dangers, and even places where strange species gather. The ruins of the Central Base Area D are not particularly dangerous, as indicated by its designation. This is because the outer edge of Area D is a cliff. The safe zone established in the center of the ruins is, as its name suggests, the only place considered safe in the Federation. Look, the safe zone is right ahead. This is the largest and safest gathering place for humanity. The walls are lined with various detectors and awaken military personnel, and even extend 300 meters underground. You know, some things, even if they haven't mutated, will burrow underground like moles. Song Yulong opened his mouth again, saying, "This wall is called the 4th defense line, the last line of defense for the central base." Where is the 1st defense line? Zhuang Mo asked. The outermost 4 ruins areas, A, B, C, and D together form the 1st defense line. Beyond the 1st defense line gather strange species and various mutated creatures above level 6, making it the most dangerous area. Once we reach the academy, aside from the watch, you will also receive a new version of the Federation map. Oh right, I almost forgot to introduce you to the Federation Awakener Academy. We are grouped by ability attributes, and once you reach level C, you can graduate. You must be wondering why I haven't graduated even though I'm already at level C. I've actually graduated and am currently serving as a counselor, but you don't need to see me as a teacher. I'm only 2 years older than you. Song Yulong chatted on, moving from the safe zone to the 4 major bases, and then to himself until the airship landed, and he still seemed unsatisfied. You're definitely my brother. We really get along. It seems like I can talk endlessly with you. Zhuang Mo, who had hardly spoken, replied. That's true, though I've never met someone so compatible with me. The airship stopped outside the safe zone. Zhuang Mo stepped off the airship with a vast desert behind him and the towering wall before him, reflecting a cold light in the sun, resembling a mechanical beast overlooking the tiny humans. There was a small door at the bottom of the high wall with 2 rows of soldiers lined up on either side. Hurry up. Zhuang Mo heard a voice urging him. He quickly followed the crowd through the small door, with Huang Lin being the last to enter, and the door closed tightly behind them. Inside the wall there were still 2 rows of soldiers on either side of the door. They appeared more relaxed than those outside, and could even converse with each other. Taking his gaze off the soldiers, Zhuang Mo looked at the city. Inside the city walls was a vast expanse of hard ground surrounded by streets that branched off in all directions. The streets were wide, and the buildings on either side were not tall, mostly around 6 stories high. There were no signs of any plants or animals, not even dead vines or damp moss. Throughout the entire safe zone, aside from a few special areas like plantations, breeding farms, and the academy, humans were the only living beings. As Zhuang Mo was surveying the streets, he heard Song Yulong's voice. Zhuang Mo, what are you doing? Get in the car. He withdrew his gaze and followed Song Yulong onto a bus. Through the window, Zhuang Mo saw someone soaring through the air. That's something only those at level A can do. Isn't it cool? If I reach level A, I can fly up on a metal piece too. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Zhuang Mo nodded. Cool, very cool. Just one leg and one arm, flying so fast. They passed through the main street, turning right past a vast plantation. Zhuang Mo's eyes lit up instantly. Rice. His wood abilities would definitely be useful. After all, he was the son of a farmer. He grew up planting rice. Having read extensively about rice cultivation, including illustrated guide to rice cultivation, high-yield questions and answers for quality rice, and identification and control of rice pests and diseases, who could be more suitable for growing rice than him? He opened the window, inhaling the scent of soil mixed with rice fields, and Zhuang Mo felt intoxicated. Childhood paper airplanes could only soar in the fragrance of rice, right? This rice field was extraordinarily long. The bus traveled for half an hour before Zhuang Mo gradually lost sight of the rice fields, reluctantly pulling his head back. At the end of the rice field was a silver high wall more than 10 meters tall, and the bus stopped beneath this wall. This time the door was a large gate with several massive stones at the bottom carved with the words Federation Awakener Academy. Before the gate, Zhuang Mo saw Huang Lin chatting with a military woman who had just come down from another bus. What the hell, there are only 8 people above average in the ruins F area this year. Lao Huang, what's the situation on your side? The woman spoke with a crisp, fast voice. The D area isn't bad this year. I think there are about 18 people. What do you mean by about 18? There's an unexpected kid named Zhuang Mo. The instruments are showing fluctuating levels. I brought him back to show old Go. Huang Lin directly excluded the deceased Sun Kong from consideration. Haha, interesting. But there are many talents this year. The safe zone has detected a full 10 high-level talents, and I'm starting to look forward to them. The woman chuckled ambiguously. As they spoke, they walked towards the academy with Song Yulong behind them, responsible for arranging the new students. Zhuang Mo followed Song Yulong into the academy. After walking a few hundred meters left, there was a row of buildings similar to his previous university, with each room door displaying a sign. Song Yulong led the crowd into the new student registration area, where an old man sat. The old man's face had only half a complete side, the other half was just a tumor with an eye on that tumor. Old Go, the new students from D and F areas have arrived, Song Yulong said, bowing slightly, appearing very respectful towards the old man. The old man's eyes on the flesh lump lifted slightly, his voice hoarse. Which one is Zhuang Mo? At once Zhuang Mo felt a sharp gaze piercing through him, as if he were frozen in place, unable to move. The old man, known as Go Lao, chuckled, a talented kid with high potential. Zhuang Mo's heart skipped a beat. He claimed to have high potential, but he never mentioned his abilities attribute. While others might be unaware, he knew that his wood-based ability could be nothing but a facade. He looked at Go Lao slumped in his chair and saw his eyes close, falling silent. The crowd had already erupted in excitement. High potential. No wonder he could use his ability as soon as he boarded the airship. A high potential awakener emerged from the ruins. He is a wood type. A wood type with high potential. If Go Lao says so, then it must be true. His eyes are sharper than a level 9 crystal core's instruments. A high potential wood type ability. Legend has it that at level A1 can cultivate 100 acres of rice in just a month. There are only a few in the entire Federation. Almost everyone looked at Zhuang Mo with fervent eyes, as if gazing at some unparalleled treasure. This was not just an ordinary classmate. This was a future benefactor. If you were to ask what is most important in the apocalypse, it would undoubtedly be food. Since the apocalypse began, plants and animals have mutated wildly. Only the flora and fauna within the safety zones have remained stable. It can be said that the establishment of the initial safety zone was built around farmlands, and the reason for its existence is precisely due to the vast stretches of farmland, which are now the plantations. The primary ability of wood-type awakeners is to cultivate plants. The speed of cultivation varies, depending on their talent and level. For this reason, high-level wood-type ability awakeners are treated like rare treasures akin to giant pandas before the apocalypse, and must be protected at all costs. Song Yulong grinned as he patted Zhuang Mo on the shoulder. Brother, focus on your studies, and level up. Anyone who dares to disturb your progress, he'll take care of them. And me Zhao Ming a metal type, or if you need anything, just let me know. I'm an ice type, but if it's hot, and you want some ice water, just find me. I'm Lu Feng, also a wood type, just tell me if you need any help. Big brother, I'm an ice type too, with a wink. In an instant, Zhuang Mo was surrounded by voices trying to get close to him. After collecting his new student supplies, and following Song Yulong to the dormitory, a crowd trailed behind him. He finally managed to close the door on those noisy folks, and let out a sigh of relief. Thanks to Galao's words about high potential, he not only got to attend school, but was also assigned to a single dormitory. The dormitory wasn't large, featuring a single bed, a desk, and chair set, a cabinet, and a private bathroom. After days of using the makeshift toilets in the ruins, Zhuang Mo nearly cried upon seeing the clean, squat toilet, which even had a water tank and a faucet above it. Zhuang Mo turned on the faucet, but not a single drop of water flowed out. After all, this was the apocalypse. How could they supply unlimited water and electricity? After all, the technology in this world had long diverged. The safety zone had electricity, but it was powered by crystal cores. Indeed, as Li Dazhuang said, nothing could be done without crystal cores, which under the research of human scientists had become a universal energy source. Zhuang Mo sat at the desk, opening a large bag of new student supplies he had received. Inside were bedding, toiletries, 2 sets of clothes, a watch, a map of the Federation, and a student handbook. Seeing that even a toothbrush and soap were provided, Zhuang Mo couldn't help but exclaim, after experiencing the harshness of society, he realized how good school really was. He examined the watch. Besides telling time, it had an icon for the Federation's points bank. Logging in with his student number immediately displayed a balance of 200 points. A quick glance revealed it was a simplified version of a point-saving device, allowing for point storage, communication, and even a community feature. However, the communication function likely only worked within the safety zone. Outside the ruins, aside from government and frontline areas, there was basically no signal. He strapped the watch to his left wrist and opened the student handbook. The first page contained a preface discussing the various disasters humanity faced since the apocalypse and the efforts of awakeners to ensure humanity's survival. Starting from the second page, there were rules and regulations. Zhuang Mo didn't read them in detail, his eyes stopping at the section about water and electricity supply, which stated that water and electricity would be provided for 15 minutes every night at 8 o'clock. He immediately glanced at the time on his watch, 7:55. In just 5 minutes, he could take a shower. A loud rumbling from his stomach interrupted his thoughts as he looked down at his belly. Hungry, so hungry. The cafeteria wouldn't be serving dinner at this hour. Thinking about how he could eat at the cafeteria tomorrow, Zhuang Mo indulged himself with 2 small bread rolls before happily taking a cold shower. This solitary life of having food to eat, showers to take, and a single dormitory was hard for any man to refuse, right? After lying in a clean and refreshing manner for a while, Zhuang Mo sat cross-legged. Was this the good life he sought? This was the life of someone with a high-potential wood-type ability. According to his speculation, he did possess talent. High potential was likely, but his points were just slightly skewed. He wasn't entirely certain whether he could indeed cultivate plants. If he couldn't grow anything, wouldn't he be kicked out of this luxurious single apartment? He might even not get to attend school. An 18-year-old dropout, the first man ever expelled from the Federation's Ability Academy. Just thinking about it made his future seem bleak. Zhuang Mo sighed, and then tore off a sheet of paper from the student handbook, silently folding it into a tiger figure. The tiger, infused with his ability, jumped from his hand onto the desk and took a few steps. Zhuang Mo commanded the tiger to walk. Run, lie down, shake hands. Tiger, Zhuang Mo exclaimed excitedly. Your dad has succeeded. I can make you move. The tiger stood with its ears perked, maintaining the handshake position. Zhuang Mo paced around the room a few times. I'm still at level, yet I can control paper airplanes to hunt birds and make the tiger move. If I reach level A, wouldn't I be able to soar through the skies on pieces of paper? This world is extremely dangerous, but what type abilities primarily cultivate and control non-mutated plants? A level wood abilities can barely manage first-level mutated plants, and plants above level 6 don't obey commands at all. This means that wood-type abilities are quite useless in combat. If there are no non-mutated plants around during a fight, or if faced with high-level mutated plants, one would rely entirely on others for protection. This slight skew in talent points might not necessarily be a bad thing. Of course, Tiger, you understand me. If possible, my goal is still the plantation. It's not about safety. You know, I always wanted to quit my job and return to farming. This slight skew in talent points might not necessarily be a bad thing. Of course, Tiger, you understand me. If possible, my goal is still the plantation. A gust of wind blew, causing the tiger to fall to the ground. Zhuang Mo bent down to pick it up, then tore another sheet of paper and folded it into a paper airplane. The paper airplane he folded during the day on the airship had a light nose-wide wings and a long floating time, but it wasn't suitable for fast flight. He wanted to test whether different designs would yield different results. The body was long and sturdy, resembling the tip of a spear. Zhuang Mo leisurely folded the paper airplane and threw it towards the wall near the back window. Indeed, it flew faster and hit harder. With the enhancement of his ability, it even pierced into the wall. Retrieving the paper airplane, he noticed that its nose was slightly crooked. He concentrated his ability on the tip of his right index finger and infused it into the airplane's nose. It became harder. Zhuang Mo brushed his fingers over the nose, pleased. A real man must make a sturdy. He infused the surging power within him into the entire paper airplane. Although it appeared unchanged, it had become much harder and significantly heavier. Zhuang Mo realized that different designs of paper airplanes indeed had different flying effects, and his secondary wood ability could not only control the speed of the paper, but also increase its density. Holding the reinforced paper airplane, he swung his arm, aiming at the wall, and threw it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do it again. With a soft thud, the paper airplane embedded itself into the wall. As Zhuang Mo recalled the airplane, a gust of wind blew, and with a loud bang, the door was blown open. A fierce gust of wind swept past Zhuang Mo, carrying away the paper airplane that was flying towards its owner. Zhuang Mo watched helplessly as the airplane slipped from his control, flying out the window in a parabolic arc from the 5th floor. Zhuang Mo. Silence. A few seconds of silence. Off. Which wind-type brat threw that airplane? You wait for me. A furious roar came from downstairs. Zhuang Mo lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. He was innocent. He was also a victim. At 6 o'clock the next morning, Song Yulong called Zhuang Mo to have breakfast, sharing gossip along the way. Did you know? Last night Miao Yuxing, who is at a rank, practiced his abilities and blew open several dormitory doors, sending many things flying around. Forget the rest, but a particularly hard paper airplane hit Teacher Han on the head, causing a huge bump. Then Miao Yuxing got beaten up. Ha. Zhuang Mo. Silence. A few seconds of silence. Song Yulong exchanged glances with him, widening his eyes. No way. Was that hard paper airplane folded by you? Zhuang Mo. Our academy's breakfast variety is quite rich, with steamed sweet potatoes, baked sweet potatoes, and sweet potato chips, and there are even pickled vegetables. Song Yulong. You just awakened your abilities. Even if you have a high-level talent, you can't instantly make paper as hard as that, can you? I only learned to make iron sheets hard at a rank. Plus, I am an excellent graduate, otherwise I wouldn't be able to become a counselor. I've tried sweet potato chips, and they taste pretty good. There are a few high-level talents in my class, and they are indeed impressive, but they're not of the wood element. Even if your wood element is strong, it should excel at farming right. Roasted sweet potatoes are also good. Brother, you play with paper airplanes so skillfully, farming should definitely be a breeze for you. I believe you'll soon make a great contribution to Blue Star. Steamed sweet potatoes have an average taste. It's probably because the fire was too strong. You should study hard, strive to graduate early, and go work in the plantation. I'm still not full. It's a pity we're only allowed to take one piece of each. Song Yulong escorted Zhuang Mo to the frank wood element classroom area, surrounded by pumpkin vines, reminding him the specialized course is in the wood element classroom, while the major classes include all elemental abilities together. Your main lecturer is Han Juanfeng, a rank wood element. He's easy to recognize. He has a big bump on his head. By the way, besides you, there's another high-level ability in the wood element today named Han Lingyu, who is Teacher Han's daughter. Although you're a genius, there are many awakened individuals with strong family backgrounds in the safe zone, some of whom have entire families as awakened ones. You come from the ruins, so it's best not to clash with them. Of course, the academy will protect you. After all, you are a genius with high-level wood element talent, and geniuses receive different treatment. Song Yulong continued to advise Zhuang Mo in the hallway, as if he were a parent sending off a child. In the front frank wood element classroom, the discussions were lively. I've heard there's a high-level talent from the ruins this year. It's really exciting. Xingqi, do you know what the wood element means for humanity, especially high-level wood element abilities? Don't make things difficult for him, Han Lingyu said. Tsk Tisk, I'm also of the wood element. How could I make things hard for him? I'm just a bit curious. You'd better not, Han Lingyu said calmly. Is that short-haired girl Han Lingyu? High-level talent. Who is the person next to her? So pretty. That's a guy. How could you describe him as pretty? His name is Yi Xingqi. He is indeed very good-looking. Which one is the genius from the ruins? I heard he is very thin and dark. Amidst the discussions, Zhuang Mo found an empty seat and sat down. At 7:30, Han Junfeng entered the classroom. At the beginning of the apocalypse, most humans died in natural disasters, and a considerable portion of them starved to death. The rampant mutation of plants and animals caused humanity to lose food until the first batch of wood element abilities appeared. They discovered a large area of unmutated rice paddies, and the establishment of the safe zone began from this field of rice seedlings. However, even now a large portion of humanity is still hungry, and people die of starvation every day. Wood element awakeners bear the hopes of countless people. Only through relentless effort and advancement can they justify their awakened abilities. After hearing these words, the new students were filled with excitement, wishing they could grow several tons of food right away. Zhuang Mo deeply agreed. If it weren't for the food shortage, the original Zhuang Mo would not have starved to death, and he wouldn't have arrived in this unfortunate world. Now let's start the first lesson, understanding crops. Saying this, Han Junfeng brought out a small flower pot. Who knows what crop this seedling belongs to? Han Lingyu raised her hand. Rice. Wow, Han Lingyu is amazing. I only recognize mature rice. No wonder she is teacher Han's daughter. Excellent answer. Next time don't answer when I ask questions. Han Junfeng waved his hand to signal her to sit down. Rice is an important food crop for humanity. Its stalks are upright, its leaf blades are lanceolate, and its leaves are linear and lanceolate with no fluff on them. Zhuang Mo was already dumbfounded. This? You are teaching this in class. What's the difference between this and asking what your grandfather's father is called? He was internally criticizing when Han Junfeng finished talking about rice and pulled out a picture. Now let's discuss what crop this seedling belongs to. Some students answered sporadically. Wheat. It's definitely wheat. I've seen it before. Han Junfeng smiled. The fruit of wheat after it matures is one of humanity's staple foods. The bread and steamed buns you eat are made from flour milled from wheat, and fermented wheat can also be made into beer. He then shifted his tone. It looks like wheat seedlings, but it is not wheat, it is chives. The students below were puzzled. Isn't this wheat seedlings? I've seen it before. Chives. The chives used to make dumplings during the new year. Yes, chives, which have a strong and unique smell, are often used to make dumplings or stir-fried eggs. Han Junfeng explained carefully. Zhuang Mo was almost drooling. He could eat 35 chive dumplings at once. Just as he was filled with thoughts of chive dumplings, he saw Han Junfeng bring out 2 more small flower pots. Kids, you've learned about these 2 plants. Now let's challenge ourselves and use our abilities to sense the essence of the crops. Tell me which one is chives and which one is wheat seedlings. Zhuang Mo heard the handsome man sitting in the front row lazily say, Old Han, you're making it too hard for people. Sensing across space. Isn't that something only Drank and above can do? I can't sense anything. Han Lingyu frowned. I can't either. The students below shook their heads one after another. I can't sense anything. Han Junfeng scanned all the students below and said to the void, Zhuang Mo, how about you? He only knew the name but had never seen him. Under his expectant gaze, a slender youth about 180 centimeters tall stood up. His skin was a healthy wheat color, and he was quite handsome, but his expression seemed a bit confused. It's okay if you can't sense anything. Han Junfeng tried to adopt a gentle expression. Zhuang Mo's mouth twitched in resignation as he pointed to the pot on the left and uttered 2 words, chives. A hint of surprise appeared on Han Lingyi's calm face. Could this person have such strong talent? Someone from the ruins should never have seen chives, yet he could sense the essence of the plant at Frank. Yi Xingqi raised his eyebrows. He really is a genius. Han Junfeng could hardly contain his excitement as he urgently pointed at the pot of chives. Are you sure? Zhuang Mo answered helplessly, sure. Han Junfeng hurriedly walked up to him and asked, how did you distinguish between chives and wheat? Is it a feeling in your heart? Zhuang Mo. Maybe. He couldn't say that the surface of wheat seedlings had tiny hairs while chives did not. Someone who grew up in the ruins could hardly have seen wheat seedlings and chives. Han Junfeng's face turned red with excitement. Genius. This is genius. Just awakened, and he can already use his abilities to distinguish between chives and wheat seedlings. As soon as the words fell, Han Lingyu led the applause, and the classroom erupted into thunderous applause. There actually exists such a genius in the world. I can't imagine how terrifying he will become as he grows up. At that time, will I be able to eat an extra sweet potato in one sitting? Han Junfeng continued passionately. 40 years after the apocalypse, human civilization has suffered a serious fracture. Humans relied on the few remaining books and protected the surviving elderly over 60 to write books, painstakingly restoring some civilization. Now the director of the plantation, Mr. Ping, was a great farmer before the apocalypse. It is thanks to him that the first generation of wood element awakeners learned how to cultivate crops. However, someone like you who can distinguish crops purely by talent at Frank, I have never seen in my life. Zhuang Mo laughed a few times in cooperation. Another wave of applause surged forth. To be honest, Zhuang Mo enjoyed this feeling of being admired, provided he truly was a farming genius. To ridicule. Another wave of applause surged forth. To be honest, Zhuang Mo enjoyed this feeling of being admired, provided he truly was a farming genius. This matter is hard to say. On his way to school, he touched a tree by the roadside and felt a strong response. But before entering the classroom, he touched a pumpkin seedling and sensed nothing at all. This half-baked wood element ability sometimes responsive and sometimes not. After the 2-hour course on plant recognition, all the class freshmen gathered in the large classroom on the 3rd floor for the main lecture. 500 to 600 freshmen were divided into 2 classrooms, with the wood department in room 301. In the large classroom, Zhuang Mo sat in a corner with Yi Xingqi on his left and Han Lingyu to Yi Xingqi's left. "Hello, genius from the ruins, I am Yi Xingqi." Zhuang Mo turned to look at the incredibly handsome man, noticing that Yi Xingqi's head was in a peculiar position, as if it was fixed perpetually tilted at a 45-degree angle. Looking at the oily yet confident smile on his face, Zhuang Mo realized that perhaps this angle was meant to showcase his superior jawline. "You are very handsome," Zhuang Mo tentatively complimented. As expected, Yi Xingqi's head returned to a normal angle, and the look in his eyes towards Zhuang Mo became much friendlier. "Zhuang Mo." Han Lingyu facepalmed. "He's crazy, just ignore him. I'm Han Lingyu. Let's add each other to..." Adding someone on the banking app here is similar to adding a friend on social media, as the app integrates banking and social features. After exchanging contact information with a few people, the teacher for the main lecture arrived, Huang Lin, who had piloted the airship the day before. The large classroom was very crowded with over 200 people at a glance. Zhuang Mo scanned the room and could easily distinguish whether these students were from the safe zone or the ruins. Although everyone was dressed neatly, a small portion looked emaciated like himself. The students from the safe zone were completely different, like Yi Xingqi and Han Lingyu appearing very healthy, with Yi Xingqi even having styled his hair meticulously. Huang Lin began the lecture, and Zhuang Mo returned his focus to the class. This lesson was about how to harness extraordinary abilities. Although he had already figured it out on his own, he still listened intently. This was a lesson about combat, which was essentially a matter of survival. There could be no slack whatsoever. In simple terms, harnessing extraordinary abilities required complete concentration of mental energy. This was not very difficult. With just a little guidance from Huang Lin, most people could learn the basics of manipulation, but it was merely manipulation. Suddenly, the classroom was filled with chaos. "My palm is wet. Does anyone feel the wind? That's me blowing it. My hands are so hot I think I'm going to catch fire." The wood department's area was much more stable, with the teaching assistant distributing small pots of fey bamboo, about 10 centimeters tall, to everyone. "Zhuang Mo, do you know the 3 friends of winter?" Han Lingyu leaned over to ask. Zhuang Mo was momentarily unsure whether he should nod, but Han Lingyu didn't wait for his response, and continued. "The 3 friends of winter are fey bamboo, white pine, and royal azalea. They possess tenacious vitality and noble character. These 3 plants have never mutated in 40 years since the apocalypse, hence, they are called the 3 friends of winter." Zhuang Mo. So that's how the 3 friends of winter came to be. Truly remarkable. Indeed, the spirit of the 3 friends of winter is worthy of our respect as humans. Moreover, because they are very stable, the wood department also practices extraordinary abilities using these 3 plants at the beginning. After listening to her, Zhuang Mo looked down at the pot of bamboo in front of him and felt a powerful sensation. He was surprised to find he could sense it. It seemed highly likely that his talent points had not been misallocated. He should have a slightly enhanced ability to control paper compared to ordinary wood department students. Since paper is made from wood pulp, it was very logical that he could control it. However, his wood department abilities were somewhat unstable. During the last class, he hadn't sensed the leaks or wheat, probably due to his low level. "I sensed it too. Oh my god, it's at that moment I finally believe I am truly an awakener." Han Lingyu also gently stroked the bamboo leaves, a smile slowly appearing on her face. "I sensed it too. Oh my god, it's at that moment I finally believe I am truly an awakener." Han Lingyu also gently stroked the bamboo leaves, a smile slowly appearing on her face. She turned to look at Zhuang Mo and noticed he hadn't touched the bamboo. Her gaze dimmed. Was he also sensing it? She had thought her high-level talent made her exceptional, but she didn't expect there to be someone with even greater talent. It seemed she had to work even harder to catch up. Just as she was about to withdraw her gaze, her pupils dilated in surprise as she unconsciously grabbed Yi Xingqi's hand. "Look. What are we looking at?" Yi Xingqi followed her gaze to Zhuang Mo, only to see the bamboo swaying back and forth. Zhuang Mo was muttering, "Move to the beat, move to the beat." The bamboo swayed in rhythm, left and right. At that moment, all the wood department students turned their attention to this genius from the ruins and the bamboo he was waving. Yi Xingqi's beautiful face revealed a hint of insecurity. "He can control plants already. Lingyu, aren't you also a high-level talent? You should try it." Han Lingyu took a deep breath, her gaze fixated on her. After a while, she dejectedly shook her head. "Damn, aren't we all high-level talents? How can Zhuang Mo be so much stronger than Han Lingyu? How can a genius emerge from a place like the ruins? Hey, this guy is way too abnormal. Good, I've once again recognized the gap between me and a genius." The teaching assistant Sunya, who was standing nearby, also noticed this scene. He was a clever wood department student who had just graduated and became an assistant this year. He stared for a few seconds at Zhuang Mo and his swaying bamboo, then raised his left wrist to message Zhuangmei. Zhui, do you remember how long it took you to control plants to make simple movements after your awakening? For instance, swaying. The other party replied quickly. 3 days. 5 days. I can't remember. Sunya looked at this message feeling even more shocked. He vividly remembered how difficult it was for him to master his extraordinary abilities at first. It took him a full half-month to make the bamboo's leaves tremble according to his will. But he was after all of medium talent, which couldn't be compared to high-level talent. Now Zhu Chenghui's reply confirmed that this new student indeed possessed extraordinary talent. The new student named Zhuang Mo had only just attended the first day of class. What kind of powerful affinity is this? Is it a talent even higher than high-level talent? Huang Lin, who was walking around the classroom, stood in front of Zhuang Mo. The bamboo stopped swaying. Your affinity is indeed very high. Huang Lin maintained a serious demeanor. Work hard. Zhuang Mo smiled. Thank you, Teacher Huang, for bringing me to the academy. If it weren't for this seemingly stern middle-aged man, he would have had to expend considerable effort to reach the safe zone and might not have made it at all. The academy will not overlook any genius. With that, Huang Lin provided individual guidance to several freshmen from the wood department who had not yet sensed anything, then turned to leave for the hallway. As soon as he stepped out of the classroom, leaning against the railing outside, the serious expression on his face could no longer contain his joy. He had been responsible for the Extraordinary Abilities course for 20 years and had countless students, yet this was the first time he had encountered such a gifted wood department student. To be able to control plants right after awakening would surely lead to the cultivation of countless wheat, rice, and sweet potatoes in the future. The thought of this made him a bit apprehensive. When he went to the D area of the ruins, he hadn't had any hope at all. He was so lazy during the affinity test that he didn't even bother to look and fell asleep on the airship. If it weren't for Song Yulong, that chatterbox bringing up Zhuang Mo, the academy would have truly missed out on this genius from the ruins. Wouldn't he have become a historic sinner for the academy and even humanity? After class today, he had to report this matter to the academic committee. Besides reporting Zhuang Mo's extraordinary excellence, he also had to suggest that the academy pay more attention to recruitment from the ruins. Zhuang Mo proved that geniuses could indeed emerge from there. And then there was that kid Song Yulong who he had always complained about for talking too much. Now it seemed that talking a lot had its benefits. Discovering Zhuang Mo was a great achievement for Song Yulong. It seemed he could be promoted ahead of schedule. He followed the gaze of the crowd. In front of Zhuang Mo there was a potted bamboo, and one of the bamboo stalks had actually grown tall. It towered over the others by several times. That tall bamboo stood proudly among the potted plants. Huang Lin walked towards it as if on a pilgrimage, his voice trembling. This bamboo, it has grown taller. This question was rather pointless. One could tell without asking that it had indeed grown significantly. Zhuang Mo smiled awkwardly. He had just wanted to try it out. Who would have thought that the bamboo would suddenly grow so much, startling him into quickly retracting his abilities. He knew he was a rare genius, but he had not anticipated this level of attention. If anything, he could only blame the bamboo for growing so easily. Huang Lin looked at the bamboo again and finally asked, "Can this potted plant be submitted to the academy after class?" He had to show this bamboo to the school committee. Zhuang Mo nodded sure. He actually wanted to take it back to the dormitory to experiment more with his abilities, but at this moment, he had little room to refuse. After all, bamboo was quite common. He could always find another experimental subject. Huang Lin returned to the podium with a loving expression, and the gazes of those around gradually dispersed. Except for the wood-type abilities, all other ability attributes were combat-oriented. The crowd was mostly curious about wood-type geniuses, but did not pay them much attention. Most of the awakened ones in the classroom were from secure zones, many from prominent families, and had rarely faced food shortages, naturally leading them to be less focused on themselves. After pondering this, Zhuang Mo breathed a sigh of relief. The wood-type abilities he primarily cultivated were entirely different from those of combat-oriented awakened individuals, and there was no conflict which would save him much trouble. When Yi Xingqi first heard about a high-level genius from the ruins, he was somewhat indignant, partly because he himself was only of average talent, and partly because Han Lingyu was a high-level talent. How could someone from the ruins be mentioned in the same breath as her becoming one of the 2 high-level wood-type talents of this generation? At this moment, his head was tilted at a 45-degree angle towards Han Lingyu. Lingyu, I think he barely qualifies to be mentioned alongside you. Han Lingyu was nearly in despair. Upon hearing this, she decisively gave him a hard slap on the back of the head. Straighten your head. She felt somewhat troubled. I need to ask Elder Gu to take a look. Is it possible that I was misdiagnosed during the talent assessment? I feel like I might also be of average talent. How could that be? The moment you touch the bamboo, you can sense it. You must be of high talent. Yi Xingqi raised his head again. But Zhuang Mo can sense it from a distance and even make the bamboo grow taller. My talent isn't as good as his, and my mindset isn't as unflappable as his either. Han Lingyi's usually calm voice had a hint of frustration. Yi Xingqi lowered his head, My talent is even worse than yours. Here I am the most handsome man in Blue Star, yet am only of average talent. Zhuang Mo twitched the corner of his mouth. Did these two take him for invisible? He also felt that his talent was indeed higher than ordinary high-level ones, but as a transmigrator his golden finger had already been quite small. Okay. In comparison, transmigrators in apocalyptic novels often have vast spaces and unlimited supplies, or they start off invincible. By this comparison he felt utterly miserable. The more he thought about it, the more frustrated he became. Each of the three faces showed their own frustration. However, at this moment no one noticed the commotion from the wood-type side, as a red-haired youth in the front row had produced a small flame in his hands. At this time, other fire-type users were merely heating their palms. Is he Zhang Zifei? A fire-type high-level talent. Fire-type abilities are indeed powerful, unlike our wood-type whose combat power is so weak. Look at that person. Zhuang Mo also turned to look to the right and back, only to see a frail youth whose arms and thighs bulged with muscles, the clothes tightly clinging to his chest muscles. He had transformed into a burly man. A living transformation. Is this the power of physical abilities? Incredible. I heard that 2 people today have developed keen sight, and 3 have enhanced hearing, and 1 high-level talent can even regenerate physically. Regenerate physically. Is that still human? Should speak quietly. That group of physical abilities, even if they don't reach the level of enhanced hearing, have much better hearing than ordinary people. Goodness, who is that girl with long hair from the water type? She can even spray water. The wood-type ability side was chattering excitedly, just short of someone bringing out seeds. Zhuang Mo watched intently. With people like these in the apocalypse, he felt reassured, as it would make his future in the plantation safer. But he didn't know that these geniuses were normal talents and would not attract excessive attention from the academy's higher-ups. It was the bamboo that had grown tall that was truly unprecedented. After class, Han Lingyu invited him to have a meal together. Yi Xingqi, with his handsome face, said nothing. Zhuang Mo, with the attitude of wanting to build good relationships with everyone, walked with the two towards the cafeteria. Huang Lin carefully cradled the potted bamboo, foregoing his meal, and headed towards the school committee. At the school committee, a man with furrowed brows sat in the center of a long table, with 2 people seated on each side. The woman in military uniform appeared somewhat impatient. Zhu Baobao, can you stop calling meetings during mealtime? Zhu Baobao, the man sitting in the center, shot her a stern look. Jiang Ying, this is a major matter. Is it not more important than your meal? Jiang Ying sneered slightly. What major matter? Half the members of the school committee had been called over. If Huang Lin could not come up with a reasonable explanation, she would definitely let him know the might of the physical abilities. Huang Lin, holding the potted plant, pushed the door open and solemnly placed the pot on the table. Zhu Baobao's furrowed brows relaxed, and he stood up abruptly, his face filled with joy. It really has grown taller. Jiang Ying frowned. This bamboo in the middle, has it mutated? Huang Lin's expression was excited. It has been growing for an hour and has not shown any aggressive behavior. Now everyone in the room wore a contemplative expression. This is a fei by bamboo used for training new wood users, currently still in a semi-mature state, with a maximum height of only a few centimeters. Yet this one in the middle has clearly grown nearly half a meter. No wonder they could not think of it as cultivation. High-level awakened wood users were very stingy with their abilities, often saving their energy for cultivating crops. Who would waste effort on bamboo? Moreover, plant growth exceeding the expected height range was indeed too reminiscent of mutation. Who cultivated this? Han Junfeng. Jiang Ying asked. Why would he waste time cultivating bamboo? Huang Lin shook his head, uttering 2 words, new student. Jiang Ying scoffed, crossing her legs. What a joke. A new wood user could barely cultivate 1 centimeter of growth, let alone this one. The woman sitting opposite Jiang Ying appeared gentle, her voice soft. I heard that Han teacher's daughter Han Lingyu is a high-level talent. Could it be her? If so, Han Lingyu would definitely be the #1 wood talent in 40 years. Huang Lin shook his head again. It's not Han Lingyu. Jiang Ying was already impatient. Old Huang, stop keeping us in suspense. Speak quickly, I'm busy. He comes from the ruins, possesses a high-level wood affinity talent, Zhuang Mo. At this moment, the astonishing Zhuang Mo was lining up in the cafeteria for his meal. The Federal Ability Academy, along with the Federal Army and the federal government, are the only 3 places in the central base that can provide unlimited rice. In addition to rice, the academy also offers unlimited supplies of pickled vegetables to replenish students' salt intake. White rice and pickled vegetables are free and unlimited, but all kinds of vegetables and meats require points. Cabbage, potatoes, and radishes cost 1 point per scoop, while chicken legs cost 10 points each, and minced meat sauce also costs 10 points per scoop. Zhuang Mo took a deep breath to savor the aroma of the chicken leg, quietly took a bowl of white rice, added some pickled vegetables, and bought a scoop of cabbage. Cabbage. In his past life, he often chopped cabbage to feed pigs. Now, with his monthly living expenses, he could only buy 200 scoops of cabbage, which amounted to just 2 large cabbages. Forget about cabbage. The meat in the cafeteria is also beyond his means, as his points must be used to buy. The pain of seeing the chicken leg but being unable to eat it made Zhuang Mo truly silent, especially when he saw the two people opposite him enjoying a reasonable balance of meat and vegetables. Han Lingyu glanced at his bowl of white rice and cabbage, moved her lips, but said nothing. She thought that even a genius from the ruins must have some pride. If she offered Zhuang Mo a chicken leg, he might feel mocked. Even for those like Han Lingyu and Yi Xingqi who grew up in the safe zone, the concept of food being precious was deeply ingrained. They both savored the taste of the dishes and meat. Zhuang Mo inhaled the aroma of the chicken leg, taking a large bite of white rice, his mind filled with thoughts of fried chicken legs, roasted chicken legs, and stewed chicken legs. The three of them sat together, and Han Lingyu noticed him staring at her chicken leg, hesitating before asking, "Zhuang Mo, do you want to eat a chicken leg?" Zhuang Mo's hand, which was scooping rice, froze. Upon closer inspection, his hand was even trembling. To be honest, he had even entertained the thought of snatching the chicken leg, but after hearing Han Lingyi's question, he gritted his teeth and replied, "No, I don't want to eat." Yi Xingqi clicked his tongue, tilted his head at a 45-degree angle, and walked towards the window where there was no longer a line. He quickly bought a chicken leg. He then placed it in his bowl, smirking wickedly. "As long as you praise me as the most handsome man in the entire Blue Star, this chicken leg is yours." Han Lingyi's face showed anger. Yi Xingqi, he was acting up again, as she knew he genuinely wanted others to praise him, but to others it seemed like blatant provocation and insult. "Yi Xingqi, you are the most handsome man in the entire Blue Star," Zhuang Mo said calmly. Han Lingyi's eyes widened. Previously, every time Yi Xingqi said something like this, it resulted in the other person's anger. But Zhuang Mo, how could he so easily say such a thing? If Zhuang Mo knew her thoughts, he would surely find it amusing. In his past life, he could call a 200-pound bald female boss beauty without batting an eye. At least Yi Xingqi was a real handsome guy. Zhuang Mo looked at the two people across from him, whose faces were stiff, and twitched his lips, showing vigilance. "You guys aren't planning to go back on your word, are you?" Then he saw Yi Xingqi quickly placing the chicken leg into his bowl, as if afraid he would change his mind about wanting the chicken leg. The chicken leg, simply steamed with a bit of salt, almost brought Zhuang Mo to tears with its taste upon entering his mouth. "I must earn money. I need to earn money to be able to afford vegetables and meat." He had 3 bowls of rice in a row, feeling for the first time in days that he was full. In his past life, over 800 million people faced hunger globally. Although he lived in a flowering nation and had never experienced hunger, thinking of this made him envision a towering figure, the guardian of the rice fields, dreaming of resting under the rice stalks. Since he has already traveled to this apocalyptic world and awakened a high-level wood affinity ability, he must carry forward Grandpa Yuan's spirit in this new world. Farming, he must farm. Once he reaches level, he can graduate, and after graduation, he can naturally work in a plantation. However, before going to the plantation, he needs to find a way to earn some points. He looked at the golden boy and jade girl across from him. Here, the term golden boy and jade girl literally referred to wealthy young men and women. He wasn't foolish and could clearly see that these two were awkwardly trying to share the chicken leg with him. Humanity indeed. Ordinary people in the ruins find it hard to get food, and for a loaf of bread, they might even commit murder. The awakened ones in the safe zone still feel pity for those who cannot afford chicken legs. This is the apocalypse. There is no right or wrong in any actions. Zhuang Mo only cares about whether it is beneficial to himself. "This is my first time eating a chicken leg. So this is what a chicken leg tastes like. It's really delicious," Zhuang Mo said, touched. "I wonder if our academy has any places to earn points. I also want to earn points to buy chicken legs. There are many tasks in the bank community. You can earn points by taking on tasks. Moreover, the points awarded for tasks are twice those obtained from the watch. Other awakened ones generally go hunt low-level mutated plants and animals. If there are many mutated plants and animals, there will also be a bundled price, which is slightly lower. We wood-type levels basically have no combat power, so we can only take tasks like helping seniors with tilling, fertilizing, and harvesting." Han Lingyu introduced seriously. "Oh, by the way, due to the gentle nature of wood energy, it is easy to gain the trust of animals, so wood types can also work in breeding gardens. We can also easily get tasks like collecting eggs. How many points are such tasks generally worth?" He needed to understand this thoroughly to avoid being taken advantage of by greedy seniors. "Before I awakened, I also took on the task of collecting eggs. Collecting 100 eggs earns 1 point. Zhuang Mo, is this exploitation of cheap labor? Collecting 100 eggs only earns 1 point. How could these two afford to spend 10 points on a chicken leg?" Han Lingyu smiled awkwardly. "I can't earn many points myself, and my dad gives me 1,000 points in pocket money every month." "What are you looking at me for? I don't have as much pocket money as Lingyu. I only have 900 points. Zhuang Mo. This reminded him of a conversation with a colleague in his past life. "Zhuang Mo, I bought a house." "Congratulations. How much was the down payment?" "The total price was 10 million and my parents paid 8 million, my grandmother 2 million, and I paid 500 to treat everyone to a meal." It seems that even in another world he is still the only one who is poor. Just like in his previous university, after finishing their meal, they had about 40 minutes of lunch break. Zhuang Mo returned to the luxurious single apartment. Only here could his unsettled heart find a strange balance. As for Han Lingyu, what use was it for Yi Xingqi to be wealthy? Wouldn't he still have to live in a 4-person room? He opened the bank and carefully browsed the online tasks section in the community. There were very few tasks related to planting, and the points offered were always 1 or 2 points, yet the number of people clicking on "I want to take the task" was in the hundreds or thousands. In the safe zone, weeding in the vegetable area of the plantation, 3 points per mu. Apply for "I want to take the task," 683 people. In the safe zone, Dongxing community, no. 51, Chunshan 7th Road, garden maintenance, 2 points per month. Apply for "I want to take the task," 3087 people. Thinking about it, most of these tasks can also be undertaken by ordinary people, and ordinary people in the safe zone make up half of the total population, making these tasks naturally not worth much. It's a clear case of exploitation. Most of the tasks involving hunting mutated plants and animals come from private individuals. Indeed, as Han Lingyu said, the task points are doubled, and the bundle prices are slightly lower. For example, a second-level mutated cuckoo earns 2 points each, 10 points for 5, but in community tasks, it is worth 20 points. There are always people eager to hire awakened ones to eliminate mutated plants and animals near their homes, as this is a matter of life and death. In the Ruins G district, a large area of first-level mutated dandelions on Jingsan Road, bundled price 80 points. In the Ruins G district, 5 second-level mutated cuckoos on the big tree next to the abandoned post office on Jingshi Road, 20 points. In the Ruins G district, 10 second-level mutated poplar trees in Baiyang Park on Jingshi Road, 40 points. Most bounty tasks come from G district of the ruins, which is relatively safe, and the mutated plants and animals there are mostly below the 3rd level. Moreover, being closest to the safe zone, it is relatively safe, while also having intermittent water and electricity. Zhuang Mo pondered for a moment. For him, hunting second-level mutated birds was as easy as picking fruit. It seemed he could also take on some tasks to hunt mutated plants and animals, such as first-level mutated dandelions and second-level mutated cuckoos. The first class in the afternoon was still in the wood system classroom, where Han Junfeng continued to teach about recognizing crops. In the second class, under Han Junfeng's guidance, Zhuang Mo experienced his abilities and received a new bamboo potted plant. As Han Junfeng patiently explained, when the wood system ability senses plants, it feels as if all cells are basking in the sunlight, warm and cozy. Zhuang Mo did not feel that warmth. If he had to make a comparison, he would say that the bamboo felt more like touching the soft and slightly rough texture of a water-soaked loofah. While he was sensing the bamboo, Han Junfeng walked over to him. For some reason, Zhuang Mo felt that Han Junfeng's gaze was even more fervent than in the morning, reminiscent of the way his star-chasing colleagues looked at male celebrities. What he did not know was that after the school committee observed the tall bamboo during lunch, they immediately called Han Junfeng over. The 5 members of the school committee, along with Han Junfeng, surrounded the bamboo and engaged in a heated discussion about Zhuang Mo's future development. At that moment, Jiang Ying and Ding Zhu were nearly at each other's throats. Jiang Ying wanted to take Zhuang Mo directly to the plantation and have Mr. Ping personally guide him. Ding Zhu insisted that he should stay at the academy and only go to the plantation after graduation, and he must also serve as a teacher at the academy. Even Han Junfeng was caught in the crossfire. At that time, Jiang Ying indiscriminately attacked, saying Han Junfeng is only in a class himself and can only guide ordinary freshmen. Ding Zhu frowned tightly. Zhuang Mo is currently an ordinary freshman. He has just awakened his abilities and must solidify his foundation first. Both refused to yield, and the pressure of their dual-class abilities created a standoff in the room, leaving everyone else too intimidated to speak. It ended with Jiang Ying angrily slamming the door as she left. Ding Zhu kept Han Junfeng behind and specifically instructed, "Do not give Zhuang Mo any special treatment. This is for his own good." Han Junfeng nodded, understanding that the dean feared that special treatment would attract too much attention and lead to a loss of self. The Western base had seen the downfall of the once-renowned gold system genius Anisha for the same reason. At that moment, Han Junfeng stood before Zhuang Mo feeling completely satisfied. Despite coming from the ruins, Zhuang Mo showed no signs of being flustered or uneasy. His awakening of high-level talent did not make him arrogant or hasty. Moreover, according to Han Lingjia's feedback, this child had a gentle personality and was easy to get along with. He smiled at Zhuang Mo and said, "If you need anything, feel free to tell your teacher." This wasn't really special treatment, was it? At most, it was just him wanting to help a child from the ruins from his personal perspective. Zhuang Mo wasn't polite either, replying, "Thank you, Teacher Han. I will definitely let you know if I need anything." In the next class, as everyone displayed their abilities in the classroom, Huang Lin walked up to Zhuang Mo with a smile, his gaze mirroring Han Junfeng's, making Zhuang Mo's skin crawl. Huang Lin then spoke, "If you encounter any difficulties, be sure to tell your teacher. I will help you solve them." Zhuang Mo replied, "All right, thank you, teacher. I will say something if I have difficulties." What was going on with everyone? Couldn't they see that being poor was his biggest problem? They should just directly give him points instead of just talking. Zhuang Mo mentally complained as he watched Huang Lin move to another department, lowering his head to open his bank. The default name for the bank account was a string of 8 digits which represented the ability user number. The first 4 digits were the year of awakening, and Zhuang Mo's last 4 digits were 2,963. When chatting with friends, his actual name showed up, while in the community, it displayed just that string of numbers. This was not surprising. After all, in his past life, everyone had to use pseudonyms to communicate online. After a bit of thought, he decided to change the name to Tiger's father because all numbers starting with 2 were from the wood system, and with his wood system number, he would likely not be able to accept assignments related to hunting mutated plants and animals. Changing names wasn't strange. The community was filled with all sorts of odd names like Thunder Monkey and Heartbroken. Compared to those, Tiger's father was quite normal. At this moment, he still did not know that the name Tiger's father would become famous in the academy. After much effort, he finished typing the name on his watch, then clicked into the community to carefully read task safety guidelines. Beside him, Yixingqi looked troubled and said, "Zhuang Mo, don't you think the text looks very small?" Zhuang Mo nodded. "Indeed, it is very small." It took him a lot of effort to read it. Yixingqi leaned over his jawline facing Zhuang Mo and tapped the screen 3 times with his finger, saying, "Like this, just tap 3 times continuously." Zhuang Mo's eyes widened. A blue screen the size of an A4 paper appeared before him, which was a projection from the watch. He thought that technology in this world had regressed significantly, but it turned out that it had taken a different path. This crystal core could rival the vibranium of Black Panther. Not only did it have a projection, but the projection could also be enlarged or reduced. Under Yixingqi's demonstration, Zhuang Mo manually shrank the projection to the size of a mobile phone, making it much more comfortable to look at. Task safety guidelines. First rule: the task publisher is not responsible for the life safety of the task exec. Second rule: awaken below class are not allowed to accept tasks outside of the safe zone and ruins G zone. Consequences of concealing ability levels are at their own risk. Third rule: academy students must return to school immediately after completing tasks and are not allowed to linger in the ruins. Zhuang Mo clicked, "I have read the task safety guidelines in detail," then applied for 5 tasks in one breath before exiting the bank. After the afternoon class ended, Zhuang Mo had dinner with Han Lingyu and Yixingqi. After dinner, he asked the two to lead him to the academy's general store, where he painfully spent 15 points to buy a stack of A3 paper. Han Lingyu and Yixingqi also each bought a notebook. After returning to the dorm, he looked at his watch and saw that out of the 5 tasks he had applied for in the afternoon, only 1 application was successful. Ruins G Zone, a large area of first-level mutated dandelions on Route 3 to be completed by today, package price 80 points. He clicked into the mutated plants and animals guide section of the community and searched for mutated dandelions. Mutated dandelion, first-level mutated plant, primarily blood and flesh parasitic. After locking onto prey, its fluff turns into a propeller shape and swiftly drills into the prey, humans and plants, rapidly piercing the skin and embedding itself to complete the parasitism. Below were some comments. Upgrade on the 8th day. Although it's a first-level mutation and won't cause casualties, it's last time I burned a patch, but still got parasitized from the air and had to go to the hospital to get it removed. My situation was worse. I went on a mission with a wind system user and he blew the seeds right onto me and I ended up with a body full of dandelions needing major surgery. Zhuang Mo scrolled through the comments. They all conveyed similar sentiments. The danger level is very low. It's fine to go. Even if parasitized, you can go to the academy's infirmary for a solution, and the infirmary is free. In the future, while working in the plantation, you will also have to go to the ruins to study mutated plants and collect samples. Accepting tasks not only earns points, but also accumulates combat experience. As far as I know, some mutated plants after mutating do not consume blood and flesh and exhibit no aggression towards humans. For such mutated plants, the academy usually sends students to inspect the soil, observe the climate, environment, etc. And collect samples to sense if they are edible. However, those from the wood system are always protected by awakened users of other abilities during missions, and he didn't want to put his life in someone else's hands. Even if it wasn't the apocalypse, human instinct in the face of absolute danger is to protect oneself, let alone during the apocalypse. After a bit of thought, he decided to fold a paper umbrella that could cover one person. But the largest paper he could buy was A3 size, which was clearly not enough to fold into a normal-sized umbrella. He recalled the bamboo he had sensed during class earlier. It was fine and soft. As he released his abilities like a current, he gained the same feeling on the paper before him. It was as if both the bamboo and the paper were made of silk. Plant fibers. Zhuang Mo realized. No wonder he could also manipulate paper. Paper was made from plant fibers. Having understood, he tentatively touched the plant fibers, extending, wrapping, and knotting them. This task was as physically demanding as it was mentally taxing, akin to an architect drawing blueprints, and soon beads of sweat began to form on Zhuang Mo's forehead. It worked. The edges of the two sheets of paper joined seamlessly, appearing as one. Zhuang Mo perked up and continued to stitch the A3 paper until 12 sheets formed a nearly square shape. He then tore off the excess fibers with his abilities, finally producing a square sheet of paper over a meter on each side. Phew, Zhuang Mo sighed in relief. Next, he folded the square diagonally, unfolded it, and folded it diagonally again, forming a crisscross pattern on the square. He folded the corners inward along the crease. This would be the outer canopy. Using the same method, he folded another inner canopy, but this time, he had to sever some fibers, creating a concave shape around the center point for the inner canopy. Then he rolled a handle and assembled everything together. Throughout the entire folding process, his hands never touched the paper. He relied entirely on his ability and mental power to manipulate it from a distance. However, the paper umbrella was folded very quickly. Within seconds, it was completed. Next, he infused it with his abilities, causing the plant fibers within the paper to grow densely, without any gaps, making the canopy incredibly sturdy. Zhuang Mo smiled. From now on, he was a man with an umbrella. He casually pulled out another sheet of paper, cut it into a circle, and serrated the surrounding edge. After folding it up, he put it in his pocket slung on his backpack filled with old notebooks, and took the newly folded umbrella as he stepped out. Taking the bus from the Academy Gate to G-Zone only required 1 point, while it cost 2 points to reach the junction of Route 3 and Route 4. When Zhuang Mo got on the bus, it was 7 in the evening, and there were still about a third of the seats empty. He found a window seat and sat down. The ruined Zone G borders the safe zone, and due to its geographical position, it is the only area in the ruins with signal. After the bus had driven for over 10 minutes passing through the cold city walls of the safe zone, Zhuang Mo glanced at his watch, and the signal was still full. Compared to ruined Zone D, Zone G was obviously much safer. The bus even passed by a small market. Those soldiers surrounded the area. Zhuang Mo opened the window slightly, and the sounds of vendors selling goods came in. Fresh flour just delivered from the safe zone, 5 points per gene. A batch of newly unearthed t-shirts, 10 points each. Eggs, 1 point each. The calls of the vendors echoed continuously, and hope could still be seen on people's faces. As the bus reached the end of the market, Zhuang Mo quickly shut the window. He squinted, observing the battleouts. There was a mutated rat the size of a basketball, with exceptionally smooth blue-black fur, blood-red eyes, and sharp fangs. Its movements were incredibly swift, and it showed no signs of attacking. It seemed ready to escape past the soldier's feet. The soldier calmly threw a fireball at the mutated rat, incinerating it to ashes. In this world, mutated animals are inedible. It is said that the first person to eat a mutated animal was an awakener who consumed a mutated giant pig, after which his human face swelled grotesquely, his features splitting apart, and his mouth protruding, turning him into a mindless monster. When humans are starving, they care little for what monsters they consume. At the beginning of the apocalypse, despite the horrifying case of the giant pig, many still devoured anything in a frenzy, and without exception they were all killed. Eventually people reached a consensus: never eat mutated animals, or one would die without a trace of humanity. Mutated plants, however, are not necessarily the same. Their edibility depends on research by wood-type awakeners. Passengers, the Sanway 4th Road Station has arrived. Please exit from the rear door. The pleasant announcement rang out, and Zhuang Mo picked up his paper umbrella, opening it above his head as he stepped off the bus. Following the guidance of the map on his watch, he walked to the right at the intersection for about 10 minutes, warily watching a patch of dandelions by the roadside. Zhuang Mo slowed his pace, his eyes fixed on the dandelions, cautiously inching forward. When he was about 25 meters away, he noticed the foremost dandelion puffballs, all pointed towards him, poised to attack. He had previously read the guide on mutated flora and fauna, which indicated that these mutated plants have a limited attack range. For instance, the guide specified that mutated dandelions can attack within a range of 20 meters. But now, at a visual distance of about 25 meters, the dandelions showed signs of an impending attack. He was confident in his perception of distance. After all, he was an architect in his past life, and estimating distances was part of his professional expertise. So have these mutated dandelions evolved again? He held the umbrella in front of him, crouched down behind it, and moved forward a couple of steps. In an instant, the dandelion puffballs spun towards him. Seeds burst forth, rushing into the paper umbrella, rapidly taking root. Feeling the seed attack pause, Zhuang Mo squinted his eyes, using his power to control the plant fibers in the umbrella to strangle the roots of all the seeds. Immediately after, he stood up, swiftly pulling a circular serrated paper disc from his pocket and throwing it towards the dandelions that had yet to launch their seeds. The circular serrated paper disc spun rapidly, slicing through the air like white lightning. In an instant, the seed-laden puffballs fell to the ground. Level 1 mutated dandelions are not difficult to kill, but mutated plants are constantly evolving. These dandelions have expanded their prey detection range to 25 meters. Concluding this, Zhuang Mo waved his left wrist towards the patch of dandelions. He now understood that for community tasks, as long as both the issuer and the executor click to complete the task, the executor can earn points without needing to record it on the watch. Mutated creatures or species encountered unexpectedly require recording on the watch. However, it is generally not necessary to specifically record, as one can usually scan them during combat. This watch is indeed very smart. Even if it only scans half a petal, it can identify the flower. If faced with a swarm, the watch automatically estimates the approximate number, usually with great accuracy. At this moment, Zhuang Mo scanned the dandelions again purely to see if he could earn points twice. The watch indeed detected 50 mutated dandelions totaling 50 points. The street was not safe, and Zhuang Mo planned to check if the points had been credited after he got on the bus. To avoid leaving any stragglers behind, he kept the umbrella open as he walked towards the bus stop. When he was still over 100 meters from the bus stop, he suddenly felt a tremor in the ground. Zhuang Mo looked down and was shocked to see the ground near him cracking open, followed by a blue-black rat's head emerging. But it seemed there were more things stirring beneath the ground. Oh no. The moment Zhuang Mo locked eyes with the rat's head, he realized he had been targeted by a group of mutated rats. His face grew serious as he continued his movements, throwing the umbrella aside, while simultaneously launching a circular serrated paper disc towards the leading mutated rat, then quickly turning to run towards the dandelions. The rapidly spinning paper disc forcefully sliced the mutated rat in half. The resistance from the cut was immense, and Zhuang Mo's face paled. As he ran, he glanced back. The holes in the ground continuously produced mutated rats, and there must have been at least 200 of them. With his current ability, it would be far from enough to slay them all. Moreover, the speed of the mutated rats was extremely fast, and the distance between them was rapidly closing. His brain raced as he controlled the paper discs to hover 3 to 4 centimeters above the ground, swiftly cutting at the legs of the mutated rats. This time it was indeed much easier, and the row of rats whose legs had been severed could slightly slow down the relentless pursuit from behind. Seizing this opportunity, he ran while manipulating the paper discs to slice the rat's legs, quickly opening his backpack, tearing off a sheet of paper, and swiftly cutting it into a circular shape, with 120 serrated edges, launching it close to the ground. The two circular serrated paper discs crossed each other as they cut. Zhuang Mo let out a muffled groan, beads of sweat soaking his forehead. He had just attended a class on mobilizing his powers today. Energy surged like electric currents from all directions, and it was only with great effort that he managed to control the two discs simultaneously. He was on the verge of collapsing. Only when the mutated rats became a pile of writhing bodies on the ground did Zhuang Mo's muscles finally relax, and he let out a long sigh of relief. He turned back to pick up his backpack, notebook, and umbrella that had been thrown to the ground in the chaos. Holding the umbrella, he walked towards the bloodied remains of the mutated rats. As he got a bit closer, he saw the mass of bright red rat eyes, and could even see the rat heads twitching. Suppressing his disgust, Zhuang Mo took a panoramic photo of the dismembered rats, then glanced at the time. He rushed along the wall, which had fewer mutated rats, towards the bus stop. Only after boarding the bus and seeing the soldiers in uniforms did his wildly beating heart finally settle. Killing these mutated rats had drained all his energy, and he would be defenseless if he encountered any further danger. Before accepting the task, he had thoroughly understood Zone G. It was relatively safe, with mutated creatures typically being level 1 or 2, and there were hardly any instances of groups of level 2 mutated animals appearing. Today's events were highly unusual. After sitting down, he glanced at his watch. Detected 208 level 2 mutated moles, totaling 416 points. He struck gold. The massive points quickly washed away Zhuang Mo's disgust. On the bus, the attendant soldier exclaimed, "Wow, young man, there are hundreds of mole corpses over there. Did you kill them all?" With a sneaky attitude, Zhuang Mo decisively denied, "No, I just passed by." The bus was filled with chat. "My God, thank goodness an awakener killed these disgusting things. They breed a litter every month, and if they proliferate, it will lead to a rat disaster. I've already messaged the G District government. They need to check if there are any of these nasty creatures left in G District. I experienced a mole disaster when I was young. My sister was eaten alive." Zhuang Mo sat quietly by the window, opening the bank app. He first completed a task in the community before noticing a notification just released by the bank. Detected 50 mutated dandelions as a community task, point distribution cancelled. Indeed, there was no loophole to exploit. The plan for the double dandelion meal had failed. Zhuang Mo checked his account balance, 597. The 200 points originally given by the academy were spent, 15 on paper for round-trip bus fare, plus the 416 from the burrowing mice. Everything was settled. At this moment, Zhuang Mo turned back to look at the gradually receding mice, feeling a sense of familiarity. Indeed, the most fatal ailment remained poverty. After returning to the dormitory, Zhuang Mo checked the bank again, but the task issuer still had not clicked to complete the task. He probably won't realize the task is completed until tomorrow morning. Then he entered the guide to mutated flora and fauna and searched for the burrowing mouse. Burrowing mouse, a level 2 mutated creature approximately 30 centimeters long with smooth blue-black fur, blood-red eyes, sharp teeth, and long snouts. Its forelimbs are strong, adept at digging, and it moves swiftly. When alone, it is timid and afraid of humans, but it attacks in groups. Enough already. I encountered a group while attending a comrade's wedding in the C District ruins. They ran incredibly fast, and 2 even climbed up my legs, causing me to get goosebumps. Just don't say that. Oh, I froze 10 of them at once, and by the time I finished freezing this batch, another group had emerged. Zhuang Mo took out an old notebook and wrote down 2 lines. Just don't say that. Oh, I froze 10 of them at once, and by the time I finished freezing this batch, another group had emerged. Zhuang Mo took out an old notebook and wrote down 2 lines. Burrowing mice, besides burrowing, also climb and run very quickly with running speeds about twice that of an ordinary human. Their fur is tough, they attack in groups, and they are essentially devoid of intelligence. Putting away the notebook, Zhuang Mo's tense mind relaxed, and he quickly fell into a deep sleep, unaware that the workers of the G District government had been busy since 6 in the morning. Someone rode a motorcycle announcing through a loudspeaker across the district, attention, a group of level 2 mutated burrowing mice was discovered last night. Residents are advised to check their homes for any appearances of burrowing mice. If discovered, do not panic, kill one on the spot, and report if there are 2 or more. Others meticulously inspected the streets, prepared to eliminate them at the first sight. Although the mutated burrowing mice were not high in level, they reproduce rapidly and eat anything. The consequences of their proliferation would be unthinkable. The people of G District were busy all morning without discovering any traces of the mice. This batch of burrowing mice might have gathered for a feast only to be uniformly crippled. The only burrowing mouse that strayed from the group was burned to ashes by soldiers at the market. In the morning, a discussion thread in the community heated up. Your 6th brother. Many people are asking who was responsible for the 100 burrowing mice that met their demise last night. Only I know the answer. Yesterday, I posted a task to kill the mutated dandelions. At 7:30 last night, while I was airing out my place under my raincoat, I happened to see a man with an umbrella swiftly cutting off the heads of the dandelions before heading in the direction of the bus station. Just as I relaxed and thought about opening the window, I saw him being chased by a group of burrowing mice. Then with a quick turn, he flung out a white secret weapon, swiftly slicing the mice's legs. So the one who chopped the burrowing mice and the one who cut down the dandelions are the same person. His name is Tiger's father. I encountered him on the bus yesterday. He looked like a student holding a paper umbrella, just like me getting off at the Federal Talent Academy. Definitely a student, and a very poor one at that. Otherwise, how could he take on a task involving mutated? And his method of attack was to cut the mice's legs, probably a student from the metal department. At 20 years old, I'm a mature young master. I'm from the metal department grade. No one in our class is that poor. Who is the mature young master playing with his watch in class? Huanglin. At this moment, Zhuang Mo, who was being discussed, was undergoing physical training on the playground. The physical training teacher he had seen was the military-clad beauty named Jiang Ying, who had been discussing enrollment in the ruins with Huang Lin at the academy gate. With a slim waist and slender legs, she could shatter a giant rock with a single punch. UA-type students are inherently weak. If you don't strengthen your physical training, are you waiting to be fed to the mutated plants? Jiang Ying slightly parted her red lips. Let's start with 30 laps for warm-up. With this single statement from Jiang Ying, even Han Junfeng had to run along. Physical training suited Zhuang Mo as he adjusted his breathing and ran steadily, blending into the middle of the group. By noon, Han Lingyu was already exhausted, relying entirely on Yi Xingqi to drag her along. Song Yulong, who had come to visit the new students, followed closely behind. Zhuang Mo chattering, we should have had physical training yesterday, but Jiang Ying couldn't make it due to some matters in her team. How was the training? It just started. There will be weighted runs, light weapon shooting, crawling under barbed wire, deep squats, and bench presses in the future. The 4 of them sat together for lunch, and this time Zhuang Mo bought 5 scoops of spinach and a chicken leg costing 15 points. Song Yulong was pleased. Physical training is so exhausting, it's about time to eat a chicken leg for replenishment. By the way, students of the wood department should avoid taking tasks from the G District ruins recently. The mutated creatures with wings are prone to mutations, and over 200 level 2 mutated mouse swarms have appeared in G District. Such gatherings have never occurred there before. Lingyu, as the class monitor, you must ensure this information reaches your classmates. Song Yulong said seriously. Zhuang Mo paused momentarily while chewing his chicken leg, then continued to eat heartily. Han Lingyu nodded earnestly. Rest assured, teacher Song, our classmates value their lives. No one would venture out of the safe zone without protection. While eating, please refrain from mentioning those squeaky creatures, it's a bit disgusting. Yi Xingqi elegantly, don't worry, those hundreds of mutated burrowing mice have already bled to death. They were all crippled, and the cuts were so smooth it was as if I had done it myself. However, the community has leaked information that the mouse slayer is likely very poor. It's probably a student. Teacher Huang has ruled out a grade and grade students, suspecting it's a new student, particularly focusing on a high-talent metal department student named Bian Shisan from the A District ruins. As you know, those who survive in the A District ruins are somewhat abnormal. However, I asked Bian Shisan, and he denied it. Moreover, he claimed he would never be so feminine as to cough cough. Zhuang Mo choked on a bun. He remembered the name Bian Shisan. Saying he wielded an umbrella was quite good. Upon returning to his dormitory, Zhuang Mo opened his watch and saw that 90 new points had arrived in his bank account. He checked the community and saw that the task issuer had given an additional 10 points as a reward with a note: the people of G District thank the hero who eliminated the burrowing mice swarm. Zhuang Mo had little interest in the word hero, he simply loved the points. In the afternoon, the teacher for the large class was still Huang Lin. While everyone practiced, Zhuang Mo noticed a despondent student from the metal department being called out by Huang Lin. Is that Bian Shisan? Yi Xingqi took a glance. He looks too ugly, oh, I don't recognize him. Han, you slapped him on the head. How many times have I told you? No appearance discrimination. Then she turned to Zhuang Mo and said, yes, that's Bian Shisan. I heard he has eaten human flesh. He's very abnormal. Don't provoke him. We Wu-type students can't compete with anyone. Outside the door, Huang Lin transferred 100 points to Bian Shisan, saying, you just awakened. How can you go to such an unsafe place like the ruins to take on a task? If you lack money, you can tell the teacher, and I will try my best to help you. Bian Shisan lowered his eyes and transferred the points back to him, saying, I can earn points myself. Huang Lin, seeing that he was very strong-willed, had no choice but to remind him again, in the future, try to team up for tasks. If the group of digging mice yesterday was not 200 but 500, could you handle it? Bian Shisan replied, no, I can't handle 200, let alone 500. It wasn't me who killed the digging mice, nor was it me who killed the dandelions. Huang Lin sighed. Come on, who else could it be if not you? Yesterday, I had all the E and D level students in training, and they couldn't leave the academy at all. Besides, I asked around, and someone saw you get on the bus to District G yesterday. It wasn't me, but really wasn't me. It definitely was you. Bian Shisan slowly opened his eyes. But I'm not called the father of Huzi, I'm called Qianli Zhuwai. Off. Huang Lin was at a loss for words. After Bian Shisan returned to the classroom with a half-dead expression, Huang Lin called Zhuang Mo outside again and transferred him 100 points. I heard that you only ate plain rice and cabbage yesterday. With such a large training load, how can you not eat meat? If you encounter difficulties, tell the teacher. Zhuang Mo's watch received the transfer notification, and he was very touched. Thank you, Teacher Huang. I'll add a chicken leg tonight. After Zhuang Mo returned to the classroom, Huang Lin looked pleased. This year's freshmen are either very principled or very adaptable. They are all good kids. I just don't know who the father of Huzi really is. Could it be a teaching assistant instead of a student? Indeed, being able to kill so many mutated mice requires a strong ability, which really doesn't seem like something a student could accomplish. Huang Lin frowned, wondering which teaching assistant was so shameless as to steal such a first-grade mutated dandelion task from a student. He must investigate this and give them a severe lesson. This week, Huang Lin checked on all the teaching assistants, but still couldn't find out who the father of Huzi was. Teacher Huang, it definitely wasn't me. I was training with you that day, have you forgotten? Mutated dandelion. I avoided those things. I was parasitized on one leg when I was young, and the surgery cost over 500 points. This was just a minor episode for Huang Lin. His focus was still on teaching the freshmen. After a week of school, the freshmen had already learned the basics of sensing and using their abilities, as well as how to absorb energy from the world to strengthen their internal abilities. Yi Xingqi poked Zhuang Mo's arm. How is your energy absorption going? I feel like the air is full of energy, but I can't seem to absorb much of it. Zhuang Mo had now surpassed Han Lingyu, becoming the top student in the wood system. His gentle personality made classmates love to ask him questions. Yi Xingqi ate with him every day, and their relationship was very close. He asked whatever he wanted. Zhuang Mo was truly exasperated with these classmates who didn't pay attention in class. In order to not be dragged down by this group in the planting garden, he patiently and gently answered every question despite his irritation. Absorption ability increases with the level of your powers, and it definitely relates to talent. If you could absorb as much energy as you wanted, wouldn't you immediately become in strength? Yi Xingqi nodded, his profile as perfect as a statue. You have such a good temper, I wouldn't dare to ask Lingyu, she would hit me. Han Lingyu shot him a glance. Pay attention in class, and take good notes, otherwise I will hit you even harder. Huang Lin stood at the podium, and Han Lingyu immediately sat up straight, while Zhuang Mo quickly entered a learning state. Now that you have begun to feel, absorb, and use your abilities, this perception is still not specific enough. To you, abilities are still an energy that cannot be quantified. Huang Lin stood at the podium. In fact, abilities need to be quantified. Only in battle can you accurately perceive your remaining strength. You must understand that when facing high-level mutated plants and animals, especially exotic species, combat is not only about the output of abilities, but also a matter of calculation. Zhuang Mo's mind stirred. He had nearly exhausted himself when he chopped off a mouse's leg a week ago. At that time, he could only vaguely sense that his abilities were about to be depleted, but could not quantify it accurately. We discussed before that many people think the essence of abilities is the cores of exotic species, but this is actually a misconception. The essence of abilities is energy, which can be divided into two parts. One part comes from genes, the other part comes from nature, which is also the source of ability upgrades. The cores of exotic species are merely a means to stimulate awakening. Upon hearing this, Zhuang Mo fell into thought. As the apocalypse approached, plants and animals mutated on their own, and exotic species suddenly appeared, whether low-level or high-level, they all possessed relative combat power. Humans have fallen behind too much in this evolution, and even now they must rely on the cores of exotic species to catalyze their awakening. Is this the survival of the fittest? Are exotic species the chosen ones, or are they a reservoir of energy for humans? Putting aside the things he couldn't understand for now, Zhuang Mo continued to listen attentively. You must use the abilities within your body as a starting point while absorbing external energy, and you need to learn to quantify your abilities to have a true understanding of your energy. Today we will learn to quantify abilities. The first step in quantification is to concentrate. Focus your mind and gather your abundant abilities at your heart. As Huang Lin's voice fell, Zhuang Mo tried to sense his abilities within his body. They were not concentrated in one place, but flowed through every cell. He closed his eyes, controlling the abilities to gather. His body felt lighter, and his heartbeat quickened. Gradually, he felt the abilities condense into the size of a ping-pong ball at his heart. Wow, I have a heart now. Next, release your abilities bit by bit, Huang Lin's voice rang out. For ice powers, first condense one ice crystal, then 2, 3, until exhaustion. For physical powers, hit the sandbags in front of you, and feel the power of each punch until exhaustion. For wood powers, stimulate the bamboo in front of you, growing one stalk at a time, each by 1 centimeter, until exhaustion. For Zhuang Mo, this was as delicate as controlling plant fibers, to not fearing that if he wasn't careful the bamboo would shoot up again. He glanced at Han Lingyu beside him, only to see her already in the zone, with one stalk of bamboo in the pot, slowly growing taller. He quietly turned his head and controlled the plant fibers in the bamboo to grow at a snail's pace. As he slowed the flow of his abilities, he sensed the subtle changes in his abilities more clearly. Fine energy started from his heart, flowed through his arms, gathered at his fingertips, and then released. The bamboo slowly grew a little taller. A small dent appeared on the round ping-pong ball in his heart. One stalk after another of bamboo grew slowly taller. The ping-pong ball of abilities seemed to have been bitten by someone. Zhuang Mo withdrew his hand. The feeling of slowly releasing abilities was quite unique, like not being able to finish urinating all at once, stopping and starting repeatedly, only to find that after a long time, he still had some left in his bladder. He looked around. Han Lingyi's face had turned slightly red, and the bamboo in front of her had nearly finished growing. He then looked at Yi Xingqi, only to see that the boy was also maintaining his 45-degree head-up posture toward the bamboo, with the bamboo's growth progress at about 50%. Next, he scanned the state of the wood powers students. Not bad, everyone was working hard. As a worker, one fears being dragged down by their colleagues. So far, Zhuang Mo was quite satisfied with the future colleagues he would be working with in the planting garden. As for the breeding garden, he had never considered it. Although he was good at assisting sows in giving birth, postnatal care, and taking care of sows during their confinement period, it seemed that the breeding garden wouldn't need someone with his high-level wood system talent. The scene in the classroom was also quite interesting. The fire system students were lighting flames which were extinguished by the water system, and then they lit them again, only to be extinguished again. On the physical system side, most were hitting sandbags, while some sat still in their seats. A girl turned around, and Zhuang Mo saw that her eyes were twice as big as others. The Baijid girl looked at Zhuang Mo for a second, pointed to her own nose, and then her gaze turned long and hollow. Nose. Zhuang Mo touched his nose. Nothing there. He opened his watch's projection to check. Goodness, the girl wasn't implying that he had a mole on his nose, was she? This big classroom is so large, with the physical system seated in the front and the wood system at the back. How could she see a mole so clearly? This must be what they call the legendary keen eyesight. Zhuang Mo put away his watch and continued to struggle with the bamboo. He had not controlled it well earlier, with 2 stalks of bamboo estimated to have grown 1 centimeter and 3 millimeters. This indicated that his precision in quantifying his abilities was an issue that needed practice, so he aimed to make each stalk grow 3 more millimeters. Of course, this growth was based on the current height of the bamboo, as the bamboo from 1 minute ago was different from that of the previous minute. Who knows which stalk had grown taller? After class, he exchanged thoughts on abilities and quantification with Han Lingyu and Yi Xingqi. It's a very peculiar feeling, warm and cozy, though I can't quite describe it, Han Lingyu said. It's like a warm current, quite comfortable, probably like the feeling I get when others compliment my handsomeness. Yi Xingqi asked Zhuang Mo, how about you? I feel warm and fuzzy, delicate. Zhuang Mo. Han Lingyu smiled. Yes, that's about right. Zhuang Mo asked, really? Really? He was quite afraid of being too different from others. Being part of the majority felt much safer than being unique. Han Lingyu nodded. It seems we all feel similarly about our abilities. I find quantification very interesting. My abilities gather in my heart, and I can roughly sense the amount used each time. To grow a bamboo shoot by 1 centimeter probably requires 1/50th of my abilities. Yi Xingqi said I probably need 1/30th. I'm not quite sure. Zhuang Mo replied, me too. I'm also not very. The amount is really too small. If I had to estimate, maybe 1,000th. I really can't be sure. Controlling such a small amount of abilities is truly a laborious task. He would definitely need to eat an extra bowl of rice tonight, or perhaps munch on an additional bun. The cafeteria serves rice and buns in rotation, and Zhuang Mo prefers rice. After consuming 4 bowls of rice that evening, he felt the ping-pong ball of his abilities round out again. Eating is also a way to replenish energy. There's nothing wrong with that. After dinner, Zhuang Mo strolled around the academy alone, approaching any plants to carefully feel them. He hadn't forgotten how he felt nothing towards the pumpkin seedlings when he first arrived, so he headed straight for the teaching area, targeting the pumpkin seedlings. These seedlings are tender. They'd smell great stir-fried. Zhuang Mo drooled, relieved that he could still sense. He walked from the teaching area to the playground, then to the ability training area, bothering every plant he encountered, gently peeling back the skin, feeling its innermost essence. After intimate interactions with the pumpkin seedlings, roadside weeds, willow trees, bamboo, and roses, Zhuang Mo confirmed his suspicions. Indeed, my sensing and controlling abilities are both tied to plant fibers. Hence I sense trees the strongest while the petals are the weakest. The reason I couldn't sense the pumpkin seedlings and wheat seedlings when I first arrived was that they were too tender and had little plant fiber. Moreover, I had just awakened, and my sensing abilities were weak. I wonder if this sensing ability is good or bad for planting. At least I have a high-level talent. Nurturing bamboo has gone quite well, so nurturing crops should be a cinch in the future. After a stroll, Zhuang Mo was generally satisfied with the results of this experiment. His greatest fear was the inconsistency of his sensing abilities towards plants. Returning to the dormitory, he prepared to upgrade his circular saw. Yesterday, in a hurry to complete a task, he had cut a piece of paper into a circle to use as a saw blade, but the teeth's shape and state were quite off. He didn't need the handle or base of the circular saw, just the blade itself. The reason circular saw blades have great cutting power and speed is not only due to the material, but also the design of the teeth. Recalling the teeth of a circular saw, he thought that welding on other materials onto the existing teeth would make it sharper and more durable. At this moment, he had no other materials, only paper, but his abilities could harden the paper. Following the image of a circular saw blade in his memory, Zhuang Mo cut a piece of A3 paper into a circle, then shaped the teeth into an alternating pattern. Inputting abilities to harden the plant fibers was necessary for the teeth to become tougher. Zhuang Mo touched the hardness of the teeth and felt it was still insufficient. Gritting his teeth, he poured his abilities into the teeth with all his might. He only stopped when the ping-pong ball of his abilities was reduced to half a ball. Now it should at least have alloy hardness, right? If this were to slice through a mouse, it would be like slicing through a watermelon. Unfortunately, I can't experiment in the dormitory. I'll have to try cutting down a tree another day. Zhuang Mo muttered to himself, setting the circular saw blade aside, and began folding an A3 paper into a tiger. Tiger, your dad still loves you, having brought you into this world himself. Your dad is barely managing to survive in another world right now, but if you were to tag along, that would be uncertain. You know you're a particularly voracious flower garden dog. Zhuang Mo infused a bit more of his abilities into the tiger. It became harder and heavier, standing on the table like a figurine. Satisfied with his creation, he chatted with the tiger daily, feeling less lonely. Recently, the academy life has been very regular. Jiang Ying shifted her focus from the military to the academy, and the new students' schedules became fixed. Every morning consists of a physical education class and a crop class, while the afternoon has an indoor ability class and an outdoor ability class. The indoor ability class mainly covers various mutated plants and animals and how to deal with different species. Huang Lin explains in detail, sharing many combat cases from his personal experience, prompting Zhuang Mo to spend 10 points to buy a new notebook for notes. The outdoor ability class focuses on energy absorption and training. Ever since Zhuang Mo could sense the energy circulating around him, he even relaxed his pores to absorb energy while taking care of his bodily functions. After a week of this regular lifestyle, all the new students sat in their respective classes on the platform at the ability training ground. During the large class, the new students were divided into 2 classes. The wood element was in class 1. It wasn't until the outdoor ability class that Zhuang Mo saw most of the wind, lightning, earth, and flesh element users. There were many awakeners in the flesh element class. One only had a small portion of them, while most were in class. Having attended several classes together now, Zhuang Mo had grown accustomed to seeing these muscular figures, pointed ears, and large eyes. Student exchanges are a friendly tradition at the Federation Ability Academy, helping to enhance internal competition awareness and improve overall combat effectiveness. However, this had little to do with the wood element new students. There were plenty of large trees at the ability training ground, but given their current level, they could at most make the leaves flutter in the air, and they were far from commanding branches to extend for battle, so they were merely there to watch the excitement. The student exchange was about to begin. Huang Lin Jiangying and Han Junfeng arrived at the training ground, and teachers from other classes began to arrive one after another. Class leaders stepped forward to draw battle numbers. Classes that drew the same number would be opponents. Han Lingyu had to draw as well, but during the battle they could simply concede, and the others wouldn't hold it against them. Thus Zhuang Mo felt very relaxed at that moment, akin to watching a magic show without needing a ticket. Han Lingyu drew number 3, and the wood element group decided to let Yi Xingqi represent them in battle. Losing was acceptable, but they wanted to lose gracefully. The first match was between the ice element and the water element. Both classes were represented by females, and as an audience member, Zhuang Mo found the exchange competition very exciting. The ice element's slender waist and the water element's long black hair were quite captivating. That said, the new students had only recently awakened, and the range of high-level talents attacks was only about a meter, but these individuals had survived in the apocalypse, and they fought with a fierce spirit even against their own. The ice and water element users were evenly matched, unable to harm each other, and only withdrew when their abilities were exhausted. In the second match, the fire element faced the earth element, where Zhang Zifei was completely overpowered by the earth element, his fireballs extinguished by a wave of sand, leaving him covered in it, and suffering several cuts from the powerful impact. Zhuang Mo furrowed his brows, realizing that his attack range far exceeded that of these individuals, indicating that his initial total of supernatural abilities was also more abundant than those so-called geniuses. However, plant fibers are flammable, and the saying "you can't hide fire with paper" is common knowledge. Just like how Zhang Zifei's current fireball can easily be extinguished by sand, his paper airplane and paper saw blades can easily be burnt to ash by Zhang Zifei's fireball. Yet unlike the apocalyptic novels he had read in his past life, the state of the awakeners in this world has been relatively orderly so far. This unity did not stem from a common goal of human survival or overcoming hardships together. Rather, it was due to the chaos of murder, looting, and disorder that occurred during the early stages of the apocalypse, prompting the federal government to develop a new operational system. This system required all resources to be exchanged for points, which were bound to the real names of the awakeners. This meant that even if one killed an awakener, they would not obtain their points, making mutual slaughter pointless. Why is it said to be relatively orderly? Firstly, this method does not protect the majority of ordinary people. The wristwatches storing points require crystal core energy, which is not easy to obtain. Ordinary people do not have watches. They use traditional currency, where a small coin equals 1 point and a large coin equals 10 points, with only these two denominations of currency. Secondly, this is still the apocalypse, a world where power reigns supreme. If a class powerhouse kills a class awakener out of personal vendetta, it is just as it is. Killing is killing. Can they possibly repay their life? He was just a weak Wu type, not one to seek trouble, and currently the odds of facing an awakener were slim, yet one could never know when a certain awakener might act irrationally. Zhuang Mo's mind stirred as he recalled a mutated plant he had seen in the guide to mutated flora and fauna, the level 3 mutated paper mulberry. This plant was a treasure in its entirety. Its fruit was sweet and sour, its leaves could feed pigs, and its bark could be used for paper making. However, the key point was that it had a characteristic of being fire-resistant after mutation. If the bark of the paper mulberry could be made into paper, would the paper made from the fire-resistant mutated bark also be fireproof? He needed to find an opportunity to cut down a couple of them for experimentation. Zhuang Mo was lost in memories of the paper-making videos he had seen earlier when Yi Xingqi straightened his back and walked toward the training ground. His opponent drawn was the gold-type Bian Shisan. Under Han Linjia's watchful gaze, he abandoned the idea of striking a couple of poses and was about to obediently concede. Bian Shisan's eyebrows drooped, looking disheartened, his eyes not lifting as he said, "I'm not fighting you." Yi Xingqi was taken aback, then sneered, "You shouldn't be fighting me in the first place. I'm a noble wood type." Bian Shisan did not respond and turned his head away. At that moment, Zhuang Mo felt Bian Shisan's gaze land upon him, and he was startled. Yi Xingqi, standing in the arena, looked equally surprised because he saw Bian Shisan pointing at Zhuang Mo, saying, "I want to fight him." Han Lingyu asked, "What did he say pointing at you?" Too far away to hear clearly. Zhuang Mo inexplicably said, "I don't know either." In the training ground, upon hearing this, Jiang Ying shot a glance at Huang Lin. "What's up with Bian Shisan? What's there to fight with a wood type? Could it be that they were going to roll on the ground and fight? Bien Sure-san was quite insistent, pointing at Zhuang Mo and facing a row of teachers ahead, raising his voice, "I want to fight him." Now even Zhuang Mo could hear clearly, was Bien Sure-san out of his mind? They had never met before. Moreover, he had little fighting power as a wood type. Zhuang Mo pretended not to hear, focusing on the matter at hand. Yi Xingqi returned, his face filled with indignation. That gold type Bien Sure-san is simply insane. He said if you don't fight him, he won't leave the arena. Then let him stand there, Zhuang Mo said. He looked up and saw Jiang Ying striking Bien Sure-san unconscious and dragging him away. Han Lingyu explained, Teacher Jiang is doing this for Bien Sure-san's own good. I've heard that when Bien Sure-san is unhappy, he tends to self-harm, enjoying cutting himself with blades, and he must draw blood. Zhuang Mo was astonished. No wonder he looks half dead. Turns out he's lost too much blood. That's terrifying. Who would want to face someone with such a mental illness? This small episode with Bien Sure-san did not affect the new student exchange. Next, the physical class 1 faced off against physical class 3, with two towering men, each over 2 meters tall, grappling fiercely, both ending up with bruised faces and entangled with each other. Jiang Ying dragged yet another person away with a slap. The new student exchange ended in a very friendly atmosphere. Han Lingyu turned to the wood-type students and said the new student exchange is similar to a performance match, not closely related to us wood types, but in a month's time during the new student training, everyone will have to go to the ruins. I can tell you that every year during the new student training, someone dies in the ruins, and wood types are no exception. The safe zones are absolutely safe, but no one can live in a safe zone forever. Everyone must strengthen their physical training. Even if you can't help in a fight, you must not hold back. During dinner that night, Zhuang Mo asked Han Lingyu, have you been to the ruins? He could sense the sincerity in Han Lingyu's words during the new student exchange. In his mind, those who grew up in a safe zone should have never encountered any danger. Why did Han Lingyu possess such a strong sense of crisis? Han Lingyu gazed intently into his eyes, saying, seriously, I've been there, and it's not just me. Yi Xingqi has been there too. Everyone from the safe zones has been there. In the apocalypse, no one can be a flower in a greenhouse. We have to go to the ruins for training every year, typically in the G and F zones of the ruins. After hearing all this, Zhuang Mo finally understood why the two physical types in the exchange match came. After hearing all this, Zhuang Mo finally understood why the two physical types in the exchange match came from safe zones yet fought so fiercely. It turned out that everyone had survived through bloodshed. He recalled from the memories of the original owner that he had killed a level 1 mutated animal and even escaped from the territory of a level 4 mutated plant. He had been lucky that time. That mutated plant must have been sated and let him go. In the academy, there were houses to live and food to eat and people to protect. He wondered how many of these hard-won survivors could maintain their vigilance and remember that this is an apocalypse where death is always a possibility. Thinking too much was futile. Enhancing one's strength was the hard truth. Zhuang Mo chatted a few sentences with the two and continued to eat. Eating was also a way to absorb energy and enhance strength. A shadow loomed over the group, and Zhuang Mo looked up to see Bien Sure-san. I saw you that day. You're very strong. Bien Sure-san's voice sounded weak. Fight me. Yi Xingqi was the first to lose his temper, even losing his expression management. Why don't you go find Bai Xiaoyu or Zhang Zifei to fight? Why come after us with types? Zhuang Mo finished picking up the last grain of rice in his bowl and immediately stood up to pull Bien Sure-san to a corner of the cafeteria. What did you see? A bus. You were holding a paper umbrella getting on from the intersection of Jingsan and Weici. Zhuang Mo stroked his chin. A paper airplane killing birds on an airship was not particularly unusual, but having seen the new student exchange, he knew that killing 200 level 2 mutated burrowing mice among the level freshmen absolutely made one a powerhouse among powerhouses. He didn't want others to know that his combat power was very strong. It would be unscientific for a wood type in this world. You've mistaken me for someone else, Zhuang Mo chose to deny. He'll tell Teacher Huang. Bien Sure-san leaned against the wall, raising his left wrist, about to send a message right there. Hey, why are you reporting to the teacher? Zhuang Mo held him back. What do you want? Fight me, Bien Sure-san said. Regardless of the outcome, I will keep your secret. Zhuang Mo extended his left hand. Let's add each other as friends and arrange a time later. Let's hold him off for now. After they added each other as friends, Bien Sure-san left satisfied. Returning to the dining table, Yi Xingqi was still sipping egg drop soup, while Han Lingyu's face showed concern. Bien Sure-san didn't make things difficult for you, did he? Zhuang Mo shook his head no. He didn't explain, and neither did they press further. Their relationship as meal partners was just a casual one. This was his own fault. He hadn't worn a mask while out on a mission, which led to him being recognized. Mainly, he hadn't anticipated the emergence of the mutated burrowing mouse, which caused such a stir. There wouldn't be anyone around. This was his own fault. He hadn't worn a mask while out on a mission, which led to him being recognized. Mainly, he hadn't anticipated the emergence of the mutated burrowing mouse, which caused such a stir. With still some time before 11, Zhuang Mo closed his eyes, quietly feeling the energy circulating around his body. The energy was colorless and shapeless, swirling and rotating around the body. Zhuang Mo adjusted his breathing according to the inhalation and exhalation method taught by Huang Lin, relaxing all his muscles, standing with his feet shoulder-width apart and placing his palms up at his sides. With his tongue pressed against the roof of his mouth, he cleared his mind, focusing intently, expelling the turbid and inhaling the pure. The speed of the surrounding energy's circulation accelerated, entering his body through his pores, flowing throughout him, and finally converging at his heart pulse. After 2.5 hours, Zhuang Mo finally sat up. In these past few days, absorbing energy had become as natural as eating and drinking. The ability at his heart pulse, the size of a ping-pong ball, hadn't changed, but he could feel it had solidified considerably. He quickly folded the A3 paper into a long rectangle with pleats on both sides, then twisted plant fibers into paper string, completing the paper mask. Setting the mask aside, Zhuang Mo looked at the standing tiger on the table. Tiger, Dad is going to battle. This fight is exceptionally dangerous. I will be facing Bian Shursan, a high-level gold element talent from Ruins area, rumored to be the strongest among this year's freshmen. In a bit, I'll go up and spar a few moves before conceding. Don't think less of me. You know your dad has always been second place and never first. After explaining to Tiger to look after the house, Zhuang Mo put on the mask, slung the bag containing the A3 paper over his shoulder, and took the circular saw blade, heading to the training ground. At this moment, the training ground was pitch black, and Zhuang Mo walked towards the only point of light. Bian Shursan was already waiting with a torch, standing at his feet. You're here. The knife blade in Bian Shursan's hand, about 15 centimeters long, reflected a cold light in the darkness. Zhuang Mo held the circular saw blade horizontally on his fingertips, spinning it rapidly, creating afterimages. Let's keep it light, Zhuang Mo said. It won't be good to explain injuries to the teacher. Bian Shursan nodded. All right. At this time, the moon was bright and the stars sparse. The training ground was silent and empty, accompanied only by the gentle breeze. Bian Shursan straightened his body, a serious expression forming on his indifferent face. His fingers loosened, and the knife blade quickly flew towards Zhuang Mo. Zhuang Mo frowned. The paper circular saw blade had already been launched. Clang! The weapons of the two clashed in midair, producing a crisp sound that echoed clearly in the silent night. At that moment, the wind ceased and the moon hid. Bian Shursan's eyes widened. His blade was actually severed by that oddly shaped paper. He stumbled forward a few steps, his voice growing weaker. I lost. With his weapon broken, what was there left to fight? Zhuang Mo was also dumbfounded. He hadn't expected Bian Shursan's blade to be so inferior to his circular saw blade. He had planned to spar a few moves and then feign exhaustion from his ability before conceding. Who would have thought the other party's weapon was so weak? However, Bian Shursan was indeed very strong. The current level of Zhang Zifei from the fire element could only control fireballs about 1 to 1.5 meters away, yet Bian Shursan's blade was clearly around 2 meters away from him. While Zhuang Mo was lost in thought, Bian Shursan retracted his blade and leaned against a tree, slashing at his arm. Hey, what are you doing? Zhuang Mo shouted. Brother, losing is losing. There's no need to hurt yourself. While speaking, Bian Shursan had already made a third cut on his arm, each cut drawing blood, and his arm was now covered in crimson. Say it's my fault for provoking a madman. Zhuang Mo approached Bian Shursan, who was diligently injuring himself, attempting to persuade him. This is self-harm. If the academy asks, you can't pin it on me. This has nothing to do with me. Bian Shursan's movements indeed paused for a moment, giving Zhuang Mo the chance to snatch the blade from his hand. A look of great pain appeared on Bian Shursan's face. People in this world might not understand Bian Shursan's behavior, thinking he is a pervert or a madman, but Zhuang Mo, coming from a flourishing civilization, knew that those who engage in self-harm are usually kind-hearted and gentle. Non-suicidal self-harm is often due to difficulties in managing emotions, finding it impossible to cope with stress and pain in a healthy way. Hurting oneself can give such individuals a sense of release. Why say they are kind? Because when they are in pain, they think of hurting themselves rather than harming others. Zhuang Mo held high hopes for Bian Shursan. Now was the time to win him over. Zhuang Mo's principle was to hold no grudges against anyone and to build good relationships whenever possible. A lone wolf. Is it so easy to be one? One must be invincible from the start to stand alone. Zhuang Mo held high hopes for Bian Shursan. Now was the time to win him over. Zhuang Mo's principle was to hold no grudges against anyone and to build good relationships. Even without going too far, according to the academy's regulations, the new students training a month later would also Bian Shursan attempted to take back the blade. Zhuang Mo dodged back and said, your loss to me has nothing to do with strength. It's because your weapon is too weak. Bian Shursan's attention was diverted and the pain on his face was replaced by confusion. But gold element users all use blades, he murmured. Zhuang Mo sighed. Both water and fire elements could extract elements from nature to form weapons like fire dragons or water arrows, but the gold element couldn't generate blades out of thin air. It's not that they couldn't, but the iron elements extracted from the earth to form temporary iron sheets typically weren't sharp enough. So those seen in the academy with blades usually belonged to the gold element. This was similar to him. He also couldn't create paper out of thin air. The difference was that he came from a civilization with advanced knowledge while Bien Shursan and others could barely recognize letters under the protection of the federal government. It is like certain regions in his past life that sat on fertile land, but had no knowledge of farming, throwing seeds into the ground, was considered completing the task with no fertilizer or weeding, relying entirely on the heavens for harvest. His paper circular saw blade was able to sever Bien Shursan's blade simply because of its high rotational speed. He didn't want to explain too much to Bien Shursan, directly tossing the paper circular saw blade to him. If you make your blade this shape, its combat power will significantly increase. Bien Shursan examined the oddly shaped circular disc in his hand, filled with skepticism. Round. No blade is round. Zhuang Mo nodded yes, round. Zhuang Mo's confident tone and demeanor impressed Bien Shursan, who decided to give it a try. However, with his current level, he couldn't freely control the shape of the blade, which would require spending points to post a task. Zhuang Mo understood, after all, metal isn't as easily manipulated as plant fibers, which can be cut and extended easily. Once I've made my weapon, we can fight again. Bien Shursan replied. Zhuang Mo, isn't it a bit ungrateful to fight me with the weapon I taught you? Bien Shursan's eyes showed confusion. Zhuang Mo pressed on, once you've made a good weapon, if it's good to use, you'll need to pay me points. Isn't that the logic? Bien Shursan thought for a moment and nodded. You're right. How many points? A flat price, 300. Can it be 295? Deal. Zhuang Mo was quite pleased with Bien Shursan's reaction. After all, humans are social animals. Witnessing others' odd reactions can bring about a strange sense of satisfaction, such as Zhuang Mo seeing Bien Shursan haggling down by only 5 points. Shursan, we can say we have become friends after this fight. Friends, is it? After finishing with Bien Shursan, Zhuang Mo suddenly felt a chill at his feet when he returned to the dormitory. Looking down, he saw that the body of his shoe was on the top of his foot while the sole was at the door. When he enrolled, the academy had issued a few sets of clothes, but not a single pair of shoes. It was only then that Zhuang Mo realized he only had a pair of worn-out sneakers left by the original owner. These shoes were quite considerate. They fell apart only after he returned to the dormitory. He certainly couldn't go to class barefoot tomorrow. With no other choice, he quickly fashioned a pair of shoes out of paper. Though they were more like foot wraps than shoes, he infused them with his abilities to make the paper tough, yet flexible, making them resemble foot wraps even more. The paper foot wraps formed according to his mental commands, taking only about 10 seconds to complete. It's better than going barefoot, he thought. He pondered for a moment and messaged Song Yulong asking for leave from the first class tomorrow morning to go buy shoes. Song Yulong was his counselor, so he needed to go through him for such requests. As soon as the message was sent, Song Yulong replied, "They'll go with you tomorrow. Since you've just arrived in the safe zone, you probably don't know where to buy shoes. Let me tell you, the market in the safe zone is mainly divided into 4 areas, and the closest to our academy is called Xiangrui Market, just a 10-minute bus ride away. But since you're new here and may not be familiar with the prices, you might get cheated. They'll go with you. You know, counselors have a responsibility to look after students, especially for someone like you with exceptional wood element talent." Zhuang Mo had intended to ask where to buy shoes, but now he didn't need to. He replied, "Okay, thank you, Brother Long," and fell asleep peacefully. The next morning, Zhuang Mo first messaged Han Lingyu to say he was taking leave for the first class, then carrying his bag and wearing his paper foot wraps, he met Song Yulong at the academy's entrance. Song Yulong looked at the paper foot wraps on his feet in surprise. "Zhuang Mo, you really are a talent. Are those shoes made of cardboard? Hurry and put on mine." "Well, I think our feet are about the same size," he replied. Song Yulong handed him a pair of semi-new sneakers. Zhuang Mo didn't hesitate. He immediately took off the paper foot wraps and put them in his bag, revealing his torn socks with both big toes exposed to the air. "Let's buy 2 pairs of shoes and a few pairs of socks later," Zhuang Mo said calmly. Song Yulong noted this down and decided he must request the academy to include some shoes and socks in the new student welcome package. In a post-apocalyptic world, one could hardly know how many days one could live, and to not even have a pair of shoes or socks while alive was too tragic. The two boarded the bus and arrived at Xiangrui Market after 10 minutes. This market was much larger than the small markets he had seen in the G District ruins, and likely due to being in a safe zone, there were no soldiers guarding it, only some uniformed individuals who looked like city management officers wandering around. Indeed, wherever there are human activities, there will be city management. This has been the case throughout history. Even in a different world, it cannot be escaped. These city managers were all awakened beings, while most of the vendors were ordinary people. Song Yulong explained, "The market is managed by the government, and all 4 markets are quite official. Trading here is relatively safe. These city managers were all awakened beings, while most of the vendors were ordinary people." Song Yulong explained, "The market is managed by the government, and all 4 markets are quite official. Trading here is relatively safe. for someone like you to go. Zhuang Mo had no interest in the black market. As Song Yulong said, that was not a place for someone as weak as him. Xiangrui Market has everything you need. Many students from our academy come here to shop during the bi-weekly rest days, Song Yulong said, leading him forward. Clothes and shoes are deeper inside. Following Song Yulong, he turned 2 corners and arrived at the area selling clothes and shoes. The shoes looked both old and new. Zhuang Mo glanced at the price tags in the new shoe section and was immediately frightened enough to turn away. What kind of shoes cost over 500 points? The words "so expensive" were practically written on Zhuang Mo's face. He currently had only 620 points in the bank, not enough to buy even 2 pairs of shoes. The vendor noticed his gaze shift from the new shoe section to the old shoe section and enthusiastically introduced, "These shoes are secondhand. Don't worry, they are all from people who died recently. Look at this pair, they are still about 80% new." Song Yulong said, "I think this pair is quite good. Do you have enough points? If not, I can lend you some first." Following the vendor's introduction, Zhuang Mo's gaze fell on the rows of old shoes, and he recalled from his memories that the original owner had also frequently picked up clothes and shoes from the dead to sell. Sometimes the bodies were so mangled that they were unrecognizable, with clothes torn to shreds, but the shoes were... At that time, no one cared about the bad luck associated with wearing the clothes of the dead. Some people took them as a means of survival, while others benefited from cheap clothes, which was fine. In the end, Zhuang Mo chose a pair of sneakers that looked about 60% new and also bought 5 pairs of socks totaling 123 points. He didn't try to haggle because there was a sign at the vendor's stall stating that there would be no bargaining. The vendor then took the initiative to speak. "Hey, since you were brought here by Teacher Song, you must be a student of the Federal Ability Academy, right? We ordinary people still rely on you to survive. I'll wipe off the change for you, so you can just pay 120 points. Come back again when you're doing well." Hearing this, Zhuang Mo was reminded of his homeland. Everything in this post-apocalyptic world was different from there, but the small vendor's methods of sweet-talking and building rapport to attract return customers remained the same. After spending 120 points on shoes and socks, Zhuang Mo was left with 500 points in the bank. Since he was already there, he decided to spend another 80 points on a jacket and 75 points on a pair of pants. The 2 sets of clothes provided by the academy were both summer wear, and once the weather turned cooler, he would have nothing to wear. Stopping at the colorful underwear section, Zhuang Mo covered his face. Right now, he was wearing paper underwear. Although he had softened it with his abilities, he still felt uncomfortable, both psychologically and physically. After some thought, he reluctantly spent 45 points to buy 3 pairs of new underwear. He couldn't buy secondhand, along with some inconspicuous, yet not cheap small items like matches, nail clippers, and embroidery needles. After a buying spree, he was left with 250 points. It now seemed that points were earned through effort, not saved. Relying on the points gained from the moles wouldn't last long. He still had to go to the G district. After class in the afternoon, he opened his watch to check on the 3 tasks he had applied for after returning from the market. To his surprise, all 3 had been accepted. He thought for a moment and realized that this was probably due to the name Tiger's Father. Many people in G District knew this name because of the mole incident, making it easier for him to accept tasks in the community. Being famous does have its advantages. All 3 tasks were level 1 and 2 mutations, a patch of level 2 mutated roses available. Until today, a group of over 10 level 2 mutated blacktop sparrows and a patch of level 1 mutated dandelions available until tomorrow. Zhuang Mo had carefully selected these tasks, prioritizing plants because mutated plants had a limited attack range and their roots generally couldn't move, making them more suitable for beginners. His second choice was mutated birds, and the reason was simple: he had experience in killing them. Moreover, the number of people applying for tasks involving mutated dandelions and roses was relatively small. High-level awakened beings looked down on the small points, while low-level awakened beings lacked the attack range to get close without being pricked by the roses. For instance, Bien Shursan's attack range was only about 2 meters now. Zhuang Mo was aware that his own attack range could reach over 30 meters. This was not because his abilities were much higher than others, but because his weapon was lightweight and easy to handle. He estimated that only those like him equipped with protective gear like paper umbrellas or high-level awakened beings completing other tasks while casually taking down some mosquitoes would register for tasks involving such long-range mutated plants. Speaking of mutated roses, Huang Lin had mentioned them during class as the assassin rose. They were level 2 mutations with more vibrant colors, a stronger fragrance, and finer and sharper thorns. Their attack method is to launch sharp thorns with a detection range of about 30 meters for prey. They do not sense plants or animals. Their thorns are exclusively aimed at humans and do not suck blood or eat flesh, simply enjoying the act of pricking people. However, they generally bloom until they wither in about half a month, meaning that even if left unattended, they would no longer be aggressive after that time. The community's comments on the assassin rose were also quite interesting. "I, the insignificant one, have grand dreams. What is wrong with the rose? It has thorns solely to protect itself. If you don't want to get close, then simply keep your distance. The luckiest person in the world. If one day I can't survive any longer, I am willing to die in the embrace of a rose. The luckiest person in the world. If one day I can't survive any longer, I am willing to die in the embrace of a rose. Flipping through the comments, Jiang Chun found no useful information for combat, but these roses posed no threat to him. He could simply cut off their heads outside the range of the roses' sensing for prey. He then searched for secondary mutated sparrows, as there was no need to look at primary mutated dandelions. Mutated black-capped sparrow. A secondary mutated animal retains its body size after mutation, with black markings distributed from the head to the abdomen in both male and female. Its beak is approximately 8 centimeters long, lined with fine serrations. When its wings are spread, they are twice the size of its body, allowing for agile and rapid flight. It feeds on flesh and is carnivorous. Rich boy. Observations indicate that sparrows have a habit of holding meetings on a fixed large tree every morning and evening. Muscle man. After mutation, their sounds are louder. When a group gathers, their chatter is highly lethal. Among secondary mutated birds, they possess considerable combat power. Last time I observed mutated sparrows attacking the nests of mutated swallows, and the young swallows were eaten. Also a secondary mutation, the roots of mutated plants cannot move. Mutated animals can detect prey through hearing, sight, and smell. It's evident that secondary mutated sparrows are the focal point of this expedition to the ruins of Area G. However, he didn't plan to go alone this time. Firstly, he considered that he might encounter other dangers similar to last time. Secondly, he wanted to complete all 3 tasks at once to save on travel expenses. Thirdly, due to the bird's swift speed, he might meet an unfortunate end. In any case, after his previous experience with the mutated gophers, Jiang Chun was doubly cautious. He sent a voice message to Bien Shursan inviting him to join the mission, effectively hiring him for 1/3 of the points earned. Bien Shursan was an awakened from Area A of the ruins, and since he took the same bus to Area G, it indicated that he was also in need of points. Additionally, Bien Shursan already knew he was Hughes's father, and since Jiang Chun had previously taken away his weapon, there was no need to hide his combat abilities. The reason for the 1/3 points is related to combat power. If Bien Shursan could match him in strength now, he would be entitled to half of Bien Shursan's points. On the other end of the call, Bien Shursan readily agreed. The two of them hadn't eaten yet, and headed straight to Area G. On the bus, Bien Shursan pointed at Jiang Chun's mask. Doesn't that suffocate you? This mask is quite strange. It only covers half of my face, exposing my nostrils and mouth. Jiang Chun had now mastered the art of folding paper, creating a mask that was both aesthetically pleasing and practical. The loosely woven plant fibers did not hinder breathing at all. He warmly invited Bien Shursan. It doesn't suffocate. Would you like one? It effectively covers your face to prevent recognition. It's not expensive, just 15 points each. It's just the price of a pair of underwear. Of course, he didn't voice this last part, merely thinking it to himself. After hearing his sales pitch, Bien Shursan hesitated for a moment and shook his head. I don't have any money. Not being able to close the deal didn't bother Jiang Chun. He asked Bien Shursan, how's your weapon situation? Bien Shursan appeared exhausted. I can only pick it up tomorrow. Jiang Chun nodded, indicating that it meant he did not have a reliable weapon today. He took out a set of 10 embroidery needles from his backpack and handed them to Bien Shursan. 20 points specially brought for you from the fortune market. However, I bought them for 10 points at the fortune market. Isn't it reasonable to double the price after a trip? Bien Shursan, who survived in Area A of the ruins, looked a bit dazed, but was not foolish. Moreover, being of the gold attribute, he quickly realized these needles were intended for his weapon. They can shoot birds, Bien Shursan said, but 20 points is too expensive. Jiang Chun was determined to sell him those needles, though otherwise the 10 points spent on them would be wasted. Thus he patiently explained, your current attack range is only 2 meters, capable of controlling just a blade. You can't even deal with 5 sparrows. If I bring you along for the mission, you won't be able to contribute much. Why should I share points with you? But with these needles it would be different. Needles are much lighter than metal scraps, allowing you to control them farther, wouldn't you agree? Bien Shursan found this reasoning quite reasonable and nodded, then I'll buy 5 first. Jiang Chun replied. All right. At least he wouldn't be at a loss, and he would eventually sell the remaining 5 to Bien Shursan. The bank notified him of a deposit of 10 points. Although he prepared a weapon for Bien Shursan, he wouldn't pin his hopes on others in battle. For various reasons, he estimated his combat power was probably the highest among the grade newcomers. Inviting Bien Shursan was purely a precaution, and doing business was merely a convenient task. This time, he brought a paper umbrella, paper circular saw blades, paper airplanes, and a paper package containing a stack of A3 paper fully prepared. The two of them got off at Jinkawai Road, preparing to deal with the dandelions first. After walking for a few minutes along Wei Road, Bien Shursan rushed towards the dandelions ahead, but Jiang Chun pulled him back. Don't be impulsive, combat requires strategy. Bien Shursan turned his puzzled face toward him. He had also killed dandelions before, and they were easy to kill. At most he would get a parasitic arm that could be cut off with a blade. Dandelions can sense prey within a range of about 25 meters. If you rush in unarmed, are you preparing to be a nutrient for the seeds? While speaking, Jiang Chun handed him the umbrella. Here you can crouch forward with the umbrella. The seeds will attack the umbrella, keeping you safe. If you walk about 100 meters with the umbrella, which is about 100 steps, then crouch down and wait for the dandelions to attack. Once you feel the attack has ended, just move forward another step. This patch of dandelions worth 60 points was evidently less formidable than last time and could be easily dealt with using the paper umbrella. By the way, the seeds of the dandelions he had previously dealt with were still in the paper umbrella. Bien Shursan looked at the paper umbrella, his expression one of sudden realization. So this is the purpose of the... Holding the paper umbrella, he walked forward 100 steps as Jiang Chun instructed, then immediately crouched down. Instantly, he felt the dandelions collectively rush towards him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After a while the surroundings fell silent, and he moved forward another. Once again he heard the sound of seeds piercing the umbrella's surface. Jiang Chun looked at the patch of dandelions now devoid of fluff with a satisfied expression. Bien Shursan performed admirably, quiet, obedient, and capable. After mutation plants actually resemble animals more closely, their roots cannot regenerate, so these dandelions without fluff were effectively dead. This was a lesson Jiang Chun had only recently learned during his last encounter with dandelions. He hadn't considered the possibility of regeneration. He was also a conscience-stricken merchant charging the price of 3 pairs of underwear for a paper umbrella. To put it bluntly, this paper umbrella was merely a stronger defensive tool in his hands, able to block such long-range attacks. Bien Shursan appeared somewhat hesitant. Zhuang Mo pushed again. There are plenty of dandelions lately. If you take on a task to kill dandelions, you'll earn it back. Bien Shursan was quite tempted. With dandelions appearing in clusters, he could earn dozens of points with just one kill. Without much hesitation, he said, "I'll buy it from you once I complete this task and earn my points." No problem. Zhuang Mo readily agreed, planning to deduct it from the points he owed Bien Shursan. Selling paper umbrellas was a good business. He needed to study it further. The key was to let buyers see the results to stimulate purchasing behavior. How could he make others see the utility of the paper umbrella like Bien Shursan did while not exposing himself? Moreover, he could sell more than just paper umbrellas. This was something to think about later. The ruins were not a good place for contemplation. The rose bushes were located not far from the intersection of Jingqi and Wei'er Road. Although Zhuang Mo had seen the community's praises of the stunning mutated roses before setting out, he was still taken aback by their beauty upon seeing them now. The sky was dim, and this vibrant red was clustered together, so bright it seemed as if it could ignite, appearing even more resplendent under the half-dark night. Zhuang Mo admired them for a couple of seconds. Tonight, he would act for justice and uproot the flowers. These roses were indeed beautiful, but their thorns were also sharp. And with such a large cluster of roses, how many thorns would that entail? This task was more suitable for someone with a long-range fire-type attack. A single fire could incinerate them all. Now Zhang Zifei, who had a high-level fire-type talent, had an attack range of less than 1.5 meters, which was not much use. Bien Shursan, with his high-level metal-type talent, was barely reaching 2 meters. Now he had to do it himself. Zhuang Mo took out a paper circular saw blade standing about 30 meters away from the rose bushes. Just as he was about to throw the saw blade, a gentle breeze caused the rose petals to flutter open. His eyes sharpened, and he quickly pulled Bien Shursan back a dozen meters. After they stabilized, Bien Shursan also noticed that among those rose petals there were clearly caterpillars crawling all over. Those caterpillars were 5 to 6 centimeters long, wriggling their grass-green bodies covered in a dense layer of toxic hairs. Bien Shursan glanced at them. Normal caterpillars, not mutated. The mutated ones I've encountered were already 20 centimeters long. Zhuang Mo felt slightly relieved. He did not have as much knowledge about the types and habits of mutated creatures as Bien Shursan did. Bien Shursan had survived in the most dangerous areas of the central base among the few who lived through the A-zone of the ruins. It was said that ordinary people in the A-zone of the ruins were even stronger than some Flevel awakeners in combat. Newly awakened Flevel combat experiences were few, while ordinary people in the A-zone could form groups to fight first-level aberrations. At such times, Zhuang Mo chose to temporarily trust Bien Shursan's judgment. In fact, he also believed those caterpillars were not mutated because they looked too normal. Assassin roses indeed had no aggression towards species other than humans. Even the unmutated caterpillars could prey on second-level mutated roses. However, even unmutated caterpillars were toxic. Zhuang Mo had suffered many stings from them in his childhood. For safety's sake, he decided to keep his distance from this patch of roses. Bien Shursan said, "Lend me the umbrella. I'll go kill the roses." Zhuang Mo shook his head, saying that using the same method as with the dandelions wouldn't work against assassin roses. The thorns wouldn't root in the umbrella but would directly attack people. Once stabbed in the heart or temple by the sharp thorns, it could be troublesome. After all, they were called assassin roses for a reason. Their thorns could indeed kill. For safety, Zhuang Mo decided to take matters into his own hands and cut off the heads of the roses. The paper saw blade swiftly flew out with the wind, and under high speed and cutting power the rose heads fell, their bright red petals spreading on the ground like blood. The beauty faded with the wind. Zhuang Mo let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, once these things had their heads cut off, they would die completely and could not shoot their thorns. If they were like the few mutated flowers in the D-zone of the ruins that kept chasing Li Dazhuang, after being decapitated, he would have to exert more effort. He developed a fondness for his ability to control paper. If it weren't for the paper being easy to control, his effective range would be much farther than others, making these tasks quite dangerous. Now he only needed to stand outside the danger zone to cut off heads, which posed little threat to him. This small amount of points was secured. "Let's go," he said to Bian Shisan. Bian Shisan looked dispirited. "You can control weapons to fly dozens of meters." Zhuang Mo stroked his chin. "There is a gap, even among geniuses. For instance, you are an ordinary genius, and I am a genius among geniuses." Bian Shisan replied, "I an ordinary genius." A look of confusion appeared in his blank eyes, and he immediately reached for a blade to cut his arm. Zhuang Mo pressed down on the blade very patiently, saying, 13. Although you are an ordinary genius, you are my friend. Once you get the weapon I teach you combined with a paper umbrella, you will no longer be ordinary. But you can control weapons to fly dozens of meters. You can't compare like that. Think about it. There are people among physical types who can have the hearing of 1,000 miles. Can you?" Bian Shisan nodded. "I can control metals, and you cannot." Zhuang Mo was quite satisfied. "Who said Bian Shisan was difficult?" Bian Shisan nodded. "I can control metals, and you cannot." Zhuang Mo was quite satisfied. "Who said Bian Shisan was difficult to communicate with?" They were clearly getting along well. Bian Shisan nodded. "I can control metals, and you cannot." Zhuang Mo was quite satisfied. "Who said Bian Shisan was difficult to communicate with?" They were clearly getting along. He did not turn around, but quickened his pace, holding the paper saw blade in hand, fully on guard. Bian Shisan was more sensitive to danger than Zhuang Mo. He also sensed it, having grown familiar with such multiple gaze probes from years of fighting. "So many eyes," he whispered, "they see us." Zhuang Mo immediately thought of the caterpillars with 6 eyes on each side of their heads and realized that the caterpillars had mutated. Not only had they mutated, but they had also locked onto them. Zhuang Mo and Bian Shisan almost turned simultaneously, instinctively launching their weapons towards the rose bushes. The paper saw blade and an embroidery needle shot out to the left and right at high speed. In extreme danger, dozens of mutated caterpillars entered Zhuang Mo's line of sight. About 20 centimeters long, dark green to the point of being black each side of their heads, sprouting 10 pairs of eyes bearing their mouthparts to reveal sharp teeth, their bodies covered in clusters of white toxic hairs. About 20 centimeters long, dark green to the point of being black each side of their heads, sprouting 10 pairs of eyes bearing their mouthparts to reveal sharp teeth, their body. "We must not let their thorns pierce us," Bian Shisan shouted. "The thorns are highly toxic." Zhuang Mo's heart tightened suddenly. He only glanced at the mutated caterpillars and began to back away, while controlling the paper umbrella to open up, then swiftly directed the saw blade towards the nearest mutated caterpillar. The paper blade spun faster in the air. Whoosh! The mutated caterpillar's body was sliced in half, green viscous liquid oozing from the cut. Zhuang Mo cut down 3 more mutated caterpillars, letting out a slight sigh of relief. While manipulating the paper circular saw to continue cutting the caterpillars, he glanced at Bian Shisan, who had just thrown a stitching needle that pierced straight through the caterpillar's mouthparts. The caterpillar writhed painfully on the ground before finally becoming unresponsive. These mutated caterpillars were probably only level 2, with limited venomous attacks that posed no threat to them. Zhuang Mo withdrew his gaze, focusing on cutting the mutated caterpillars. After the paper circular saw cut down the last mutated caterpillar in sight, Zhuang Mo propped up his umbrella and stepped forward a few paces, his eyes scanning the pile of caterpillar corpses to check for any that might have escaped. At that moment, a massive figure slowly rose from the rose bushes. The instant Zhuang Mo caught sight of that figure, he froze. It was a pitch-black, half-meter-long giant mutated caterpillar covered in densely packed, sharp, poisonous bristles that stood over half a meter tall. Countless pairs of eyes from the giant mutated caterpillar were fixed on Zhuang Mo. A chill ran down his spine, and the hairs all over his body stood on end. He sensed extreme danger. His instincts told him that this was definitely a monster he could not deal with right now. His paper circular saw might not even be able to cut through this creature's poisonous spines. He took a cautious step back, retreating slowly. Fortunately, the half-meter giant caterpillar did not pursue. Instead, it crawled slowly toward the pile of caterpillar bodies on the ground. It half-raised its body, the crimson, chewing mouthparts below its head widening, the fine serrations glinting coldly in the night. It was actually feeding. It was eating the corpses of its own kind. This mutated caterpillar was definitely more than a level 2 mutation. How could such a terrifying creature be found in Ruin's G district? There was no way to fight it, they knew, without a fight that they could not win. Zhuang Mo and Bian Shan exchanged a glance, continuing to retreat quietly. They dared not make too much noise, fearing to disturb the monster while it was feeding. If it became agitated, those poisonous spines would not be a joke. Let it eat. Once it's full, it won't hunt them. The giant mutated caterpillar even used its forelegs to grab the mutated caterpillars and shove them into its mouthparts, chewing a few times before swallowing, its abdomen bulging, and then returning to normal. Zhuang Mo and Bian Shan had retreated about 100 meters, preparing to turn and escape. At that moment, the giant mutated caterpillar curled its body and began to roll on the ground, appearing to be in great pain. Its plump body arched upwards and then fell back down, countless pairs of legs thrashing in agony, while the mouthparts beneath its head tore open, emitting a mournful sound. Zhuang Mo and Bian Shan halted their escape. Could it be that the mutated caterpillar was poisoned and it was affected by its own venom? That can't be right. Aren't their venoms all the same? Could this monster actually be harmed by its own poison? Only 2 seconds passed before they exchanged glances and continued to back away. Even if it was really poison, the two of them still couldn't fight it. If those spines shot out, they would be pierced through countless times. Of the 36 strategies, retreating is always the best option. The giant mutated caterpillar continued to writhe in pain, shedding many of its poisonous spines in the process. Its cries grew increasingly mournful. It seemed to be getting more distressed as it thrashed about. The two of them turned a corner, and Zhuang Mo grabbed Bian Shan, who was about to run. The monster appeared to be in great pain, and they were far enough away to be relatively safe. Did you not recover those 5 needles? Zhuang Mo asked in a low voice. Bian Shan was puzzled as to why he was asking such a trivial question at this moment, but he still shook his head in response. Can you still sense them? Bian Shan shook his head again. Zhuang Mo twitched his lips, realizing something. The monster wouldn't happen to have been pricked by the needles while it was eating, would it? Not just one. And then because of the pain, it kept squirming, causing the needles to dig deeper. Zhuang Mo propped up his umbrella and peeked out from the corner. The giant mutated caterpillar lay on the ground, convulsing. They were currently at the intersection of Jingqi and Wasteland roads, and the caterpillar's corpse was very close to the intersection of Jingqi and Weilu roads, probably only about 20 meters away. From their current position, heading north to Wasteland Road, then running in a circle to Wei'er Road, and finally to the intersection of Jingqi and Wei'er roads, would take them behind the giant mutated caterpillar. As long as Bian Shan reached the sensing distance, the needle would fly wildly inside the caterpillar's soft body under his control. Even if the caterpillar was a level 3 or 4 mutation, it would meet its end here today. However, the distance was too far. It would take them over 10 minutes to run there. Moreover, they did not know where the needles were lodged and whether the caterpillar's gastric juices were highly corrosive. If they arrived there, and the giant mutated caterpillar had already digested the needles, they would be finished. Zhuang Mo considered himself lacking in adventurous spirit and signaled Bian Shan to withdraw quickly. The two of them ran to Jingwu Road and saw that the nest of mutated sparrows had long been frozen solid. The fear of the giant caterpillar on Jingqi Road made them not dare to delay. They saw a bus speeding directly toward the bus stop from afar. Once on the bus, they sat in the back row, and Zhuang Mo checked his watch for messages. Detected 40 level 1 mutated dandelions totaling 40 points. Detected 80 level 2 mutated assassin roses totaling 160 points. These 2 messages were useless. Soon the system would detect that these dandelions and roses were part of a community task, and those points could not be earned. However, the points given for community tasks were double the original points. Even if the bundled price was slightly lower this time, the bundled price for dandelions was 70 points, and for roses, it was 280 points. Zhuang Mo continued to read the 3rd message. Detected 5 level 2 mutated cabbage caterpillars, totaling 10 points. Detected 1 level 4 mutated imperial moth caterpillar, totaling 100 points. Goodness, a level 4 mutation, and it's not even the same species as the other caterpillars. No wonder it is so large with dense, long, poisonous spines. Higher level mutated flora and fauna still had some discernment. For instance, this level 4 mutated imperial moth caterpillar had so many cabbage caterpillars to eat in front of it. Naturally, it would not attack them first. Who wouldn't want to save energy while getting full? However, these points probably wouldn't be credited. According to Song Yulong, the watch could determine the energy of mutated creatures from life to death. After a while, the watch would react and indicate that the mutated imperial moth caterpillar they had just scanned was still alive. Only upon determining death could points be issued. Previously, there had been awakeners who scanned the corpses of mutated creatures killed by others in an attempt to claim the points, resulting in a warning on the first offense, a 1-year account suspension on the second, and a permanent suspension on the third. The cost was too high. Almost no awakeners would take such risks. In summary, to ensure that awakeners could safely kill mutated creatures and aberrations, the watch had effectively sealed off all loopholes. Beside Zhuang Mo, Bien Shursan received a message on his watch about those 5 mutated cabbage caterpillars. Zhuang Mo calculated with Bien Shursan dandelions 70 points, roses 280 points. The sparrows must have been frozen to death by the ice-type passerby, so I should give you 116. 6,666 points. Let's say it's 117. You bought the paper umbrella for 45 points, and after deducting that I should give you 72 points. Once the points are credited, I will transfer them to you. Bien Shursan grinned. He could earn 72 points from this task. The last time he came to Ruins G District, he only earned 12 points, and he hadn't received any tasks since then. Zhuang Mo handed him the paper umbrella, making him even happier as he tightly grasped it with both hands. If you go kill mutated dandelions yourself, remember to come back, and let me help you clear out the dead seeds. Only because we are friends, otherwise I wouldn't offer you free repairs. Zhuang Mo said this feeling like a conscientious businessman, of 45 points for a lifetime of free repairs, though he estimated the umbrella wouldn't last long anyway. Bien Shursan nodded. We are friends. By the way, do you still want those 5 stitching needles? If not, I'll sell them to others in the gold category. Zhuang Mo asked his friend. It's worth mentioning that those in the high-level gold category could make their own weapons, and making flying needles and the like was quite simple. But Bien Shursan was only at F level now. The last time Zhuang Mo mentioned the circular blade to him, a level senior in the community asked him for 150 points. If it weren't for the stitching needles just now, he wouldn't have been able to attack the caterpillars. After thinking about it, he felt that these stitching needles were not expensive. I want them, Bien Shursan said. Zhuang Mo felt pleased. Then, when the points from our task are credited, I'll deduct the 10 points for these 5 stitching needles and transfer you 62. The bus passed through the safety zone city wall, arriving at an area of absolute safety. Inside and outside the walls truly felt like 2 different worlds. Even in the relatively safe Ruins G District, dangers loomed everywhere. To survive in the apocalypse, one cannot afford to be passive. It is essential to strive to enhance one's strength. Zhuang Mo closed his eyes on the bus, adjusted his breathing, and entered a state of energy absorption. Bien Shursan's expression shifted immediately. He didn't expect Zhuang Mo to be so talented and hardworking, so he hurriedly began to sense the energy of heaven and earth. The bus steadily drove towards the academy, while at that moment in Ruins G District the footsteps of the 3 stopped beside a level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. Jiang Ying's face showed surprise. Old Su, things have been quite unsettled in Ruins G District lately. Even level 4 mutations have emerged. Should I send my people to help you clear the area? Old Su referred to a short-haired woman with deep brown hair who was also the commander of the station troops in Ruins G District, Su Jingxin. Dressed in military attire, she stood tall, exuding an air of iron resolve, with a similarly dressed man standing behind her. It's not unprecedented. 1 level 4 isn't worth making a fuss about. Her voice remained calm, without a trace of disturbance. Jiang Ying chuckled. Old Su, you really lack excitement. Su Jingxin did not respond to her comment, and told the person behind her, clear it out. Zhuang Mo arrived at the dormitory promptly at 8 o'clock, hurriedly took a cold shower, and then checked his watch for messages. The 2 task publishers had yet to mark the tasks as completed, likely confirming them tomorrow. He tapped the screen 3 times, just retracting the projection, when another message came through on his watch. 100 points have been credited for 1 level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. Please check. What's going on? They really issued points for the level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. Zhuang Mo was stunned. Could it be that the level 4 caterpillar was killed by the embroidery needle? This meant that during his last probe the caterpillar was still convulsing, but was actually dead, and the watch had scanned it. Alas, poor caterpillar. If it hadn't been rolling around, it might not have died. With such large movements, who knew where the needle had gone? 1 level 4 mutation is worth 100 points. Zhuang Mo looked at the increasing amount in his bank account and broke into a wide smile. The joy of killing the burrowing mouse and selling paper umbrellas couldn't compare to this moment. It felt exhilarating to gain 100 points without doing anything. Is this the pleasure of unearned rewards? Then his heart ached again. The level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar was technically killed by Bien Shursan. The needle was purchased with Bien Shursan's points and shot by him, and the level 4 caterpillar consuming the level 2 mutated caterpillar with the needle had nothing to do with him. If he greedily took those 100 points, it wouldn't be a matter of conscience, but of being discovered. The community network between the safety zone and G District was quite developed. Tomorrow, if Bien Shursan looked in the community and saw that the giant mutated caterpillar was dead, he might connect the dots with the needle that was shot. Zhuang Mo was still satisfied with Bien Shursan as a temporary teammate. He listened well and spoke little, with great potential for development. Where could he find another customer? Oh no, another teammate like this. As for the 100 points, he decided to be magnanimous and give half to Bien Shursan. After all, he wasn't completely without contribution, right? Those 5 embroidery needles were carefully prepared by him for Bien Shursan as weapons. Wasn't it he who brought them all the way from the market to G District? Thinking this, he called Bien Shursan's 13. That giant mutated caterpillar is dead. Zhuang Mo explained the reason for the level 4 caterpillar's death. It should have died from the embroidery needle, which was specifically tailored for you, as a weapon, the embroidery needle. So we earn 100 points. How do you think we should distribute it? After explaining primarily about the formidable effect of the embroidery needle, Bien Shursan, on the other end, was momentarily stunned. I don't want these points, Bien Shursan said sincerely. It's all because of the embroidery needle you gave me. Zhuang Mo replied earnestly. How can you think that way? We are friends. How about this, we split the points evenly, it's settled. Bien Shursan looked at his watch with moist eyes. After hanging up the voice call, he lay on his bed softly saying, You are truly a good person. Quickly, Zhuang Mo transferred 50 points to Bien Shursan. He had to act fast, or he feared he might regret it. The current balance in the bank was 310 points plus what would arrive tomorrow minus the 62 points owed to Bien Shursan, leaving a projected balance of 598 tomorrow. Huzi, your dad works hard to provide for the family. Luckily, you don't have to eat dog food, saving your dad quite a bit of money. Today, your dad killed a level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. How cool is that? Do you admire your dad now? Huzi, I want to eat the dumplings your grandma made, but it's been so many years since I've had. Zhuang Mo chatted with Huzi for a while, and then recorded in an old notebook. Mutated assassin rose suitable for long-range headshots, easy to cut, with little intelligence. Level 2 mutated cabbage caterpillar suitable for long-range slicing, easy to cut, with little intelligence. Do not approach a once touched by its poisonous hairs, it poses a life-threatening risk. Level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar covered in poisonous spines will consume the corpses of its kind, possess preliminary thinking abilities to be supplemented. Putting away the notebook, Zhuang Mo took a deep breath, entering a half-sleep, half-cultivation state, completely unaware of the intense discussions happening in the community at that moment. Rose woman, who chopped my rose? Post the pictures. What wrong did the rose do? If you don't harm it, it won't harm. I'm surnamed Wang. Is the person upstairs crazy? Even with the rose mutated, you still want kill it. Are you waiting to be pierced through the heart? I want to eat royal rations. The task I posted was accepted by Huzi's dad. Ooh, I can only say having neighbors like Rose woman is my misfortune. Moreover, Huzi's dad is very fast. 5-star reviews. S-class, hexagonal female warrior. The photo posted by Rose woman isn't complete. Let me supplement a picture for everyone. Picture of the giant caterpillar beside the rose bush. Yu Liang, what a giant caterpillar. It must be a level 3 or 4 mutation, right? Not having eaten lemons, did Huzi's dad kill this too? Wasn't it said that Huzi's dad is a student of the gold department? How could he kill a level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar? 12456. Someone previously said they saw Huzi's dad get off the car at the academy. It could also be a teaching assistant from the gold department. In the truly luxurious single room, Jiangying lay on the 2-meter bed messaging Huang Lin, are you asleep? If not, check which teaching assistant in your gold department is so shameless to compete with students for this level 2 mutated rose task. Huang Lin. After the burrowing mouse incident, a comprehensive investigation was conducted. Several teaching assistants from the gold department either have alibis or have undergone the dandelion purge surgery, so they ruled out the possibility of it being Huzi's dad. Jiangying. Then it must be a level student. A level would find it a bit difficult to handle a level 4 mutation. Huang Lin. On the day Huzi's dad killed the dandelion and burrowing mouse, all level and a level students from the gold department were pulled for training by me that night. Huang Lin. I previously suspected it was Bien Shursan, but someone who can kill a level 4 mutation is definitely not an level freshman. Jiang Ying's curiosity was increasingly piqued, as she absolutely did not believe that a freshman could kill a level 4 mutated creature. Even someone as talented as her was just a mediocre fighter when she was a freshman. She exited the chat and continued to scroll through the comments under the post, but found no useful clues. Early in the morning, Zhuang Mo received points for a level 1 mutated dandelion and a level 2 mutated assassin rose. The bank notification sound was truly delightful. After transferring 62 points to Bien Shursan, he had 598 left. However, he was still far from financial freedom for the time being. He couldn't afford new shoes or a new jacket. Finding ways to increase income was the priority. At noon, Zhuang Mo discussed protective gear with Han Lingyu and Yi Xingqi. Han Lingyu said, I have a set of protective clothing that my father customized for me at the cost of over 20,000 points. The material is primarily made from level 4 mutant skin, which can effectively protect against attacks from level 5 and below mutated creatures. Zhuang Mo asked how many points. Han Lingyu answered seriously 26,000 points. Yi Xingqi lazily added, what's there to be surprised about? Before awakening, we had to go to the ruins for training every year. Without some equipment, how could we manage? I also have a similar set. Zhuang Mo's mind was filled with the number 26,000 points, while Yi Xingqi continued, after awakening the wood element, we need protective gear even more. My family is preparing to customize a set made from level 5 mutant skin for me. This time, I must ensure they remember to make me a mask, so those disgusting mutated creatures don't harm my Zhuang Mo was at a loss for words, his heart aching. Why was he not a high-level awakened second generation, but rather a youth from the ruins who would starve to death? As the apocalypse arrived, social classes were reshuffled. Unlike before, the way to accumulate wealth had changed, yet the gap between the rich and poor remained, if not widened. He equally envied every rich person. Is there no cheaper protective clothing? Zhuang Mo asked. Of course there is, Han Lingyu replied. Clothes made from mutated plant and animal skin are much cheaper, but they have to come from tough skin mutants. I also have a set of protective clothing made from level 7 mutant sea pine bark, which costs over 10,000 points. Level 7 mutant sea pine is fireproof, just like the level 3 mutant gourd tree we studied, but while the level 3 mutant gourd tree can resist ordinary fire, and that of low-level awakened beings, the level 7 mutant sea pine can withstand even mid-level awakened fire. Additionally, it's as hard as iron, making it practically immune to attacks from low-level mutated creatures. Of course, protective gear made from level 3 mutant gourd trees is much cheaper, costing only a few hundred points. Level 3 mutant gourd tree bark isn't worth many points anyway. Those few hundred are purely for production costs. Zhuang Mo inquired, so, after killing tough-skinned mutants, can we bring back their corpses to sell? Han Lingyu replied, that's why many awakened teams work together. Aside from safety considerations, they can also share the points for renting vehicles. Zhuang Mo understood, in a world where vehicles were powered by crystal cores, most awakened beings couldn't afford cars and could only rent them. He had seen rental vehicles at the Shangrui market last time. He thought they were all cargo trucks meant for transporting goods, not realizing they were used for transporting corpses. Renting a cargo truck for a day costs between 200 and 500 points, depending on the size of the truck. It seemed that the skin wouldn't sell for cheap. He asked this question. It depends on the quality and level. I'm not too clear on the specifics, Han Lingyu said. Yi Xingqi adjusted his hairstyle in front of the mirror and said to Zhuang Mo, you're not thinking of hunting high-level mutated creatures to earn points, are you? Don't even think about it. That's not something a noble wood element should be doing. Zhuang Mo stroked his chin and replied, how could that be? I'm the first-class student of the wood element, who I must cherish my precious life as I aim to be a noble farmer in the plantation in the future. Yi Xingqi was momentarily taken aback by his imitated tone, while Han Lingyu laughed heartily. Zhuang Mo truly had never considered hunting high-level mutated creatures. Wasn't that equivalent to walking into death? He was thinking of selling simple protective gear to earn points, specifically his paper umbrella. Protective clothing was expensive. Even the level 3 mutant gourd tree protective clothing cost several hundred points, which students from the ruins certainly couldn't afford. However, his paper umbrella offered decent protection and could be considered a good value for money. His psychic energy had also increased recently, allowing him to make the paper umbrella even sturdier, effectively blocking low-level mutated creatures' ranged attacks. A price of 50 points seemed quite reasonable, and giving Bien Shursan 45 points was a friendly price. Speaking of Bien Shursan, why did it seem like many people in the grand classroom were surrounding him today? What did that kid do? A student behind exclaimed, wow, making Zhuang Mo jump. Look, Bien Shursan is Tiger's father. Isn't that obvious? Didn't many people say that before? This time it's different. He killed a level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. How is that possible? Level 4 mutation. How could a freshman like him manage that? It's true. There's evidence. He was caught on camera. Zhuang Mo was initially enjoying the commotion, but upon hearing that he was caught on camera, he immediately opened his watch to enter the community. The discussion thread about Tiger's father was quite vibrant. Zhuang Mo clicked in and saw a photo of Bien Shursan on the bus holding a paper umbrella, and beside him half of his face was captured still wearing a mask. The metal element holding the paper umbrella is indeed Bien Shursan, Tiger's father. This is solid evidence. As a freshman of metal element, I must say Bien Shursan is indeed impressive. I'm willing to call him the strongest freshman. Killing a level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar covered in poisonous thorns. That's too exaggerated. I wouldn't even claim I could handle that as a level. It's confirmed that Bien Shursan is Tiger's father, but I don't believe he killed the level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar. I'll stake my word, if a Flevel can kill a level 4 mutant, I'll eat shit upside down. Zhuang Mo felt a surge of indignation, as if the fruits of his labor had been stolen. Yet he also felt a hint of glee. He hadn't expected Bien Shursan to serve as such a shield. Letting everyone misunderstand him seemed just fine. He looked up at Bien Shursan surrounded by a crowd, and through the gaps, he could still see Bien Shursan looking at him with a pleading gaze. He pretended not to see and lowered his head. Beside him, Yi Xingqi exclaimed, Lingyu, I think this Bien Shursan has decent abilities. He could barely serve as your bodyguard in the future. Zhuang Mo thought to himself, indeed within 3 seconds of Yi Xingqi speaking nonsense, Han Lingyu's fiery slap would inevitably follow. Didn't you see that Bien Shursan was looking over here? Maybe it's because he heard your foolish talk. Zhuang Mo thought to himself, indeed within 3 seconds of Yi Xingqi speaking nonsense, Han Lingyu's fiery slap would inevitably follow. He mused that Yi Xingqi probably suffered from some form of syndrome. In this indoor supernatural abilities class, Huang Lin also didn't know if it was intentional or not, but he happened to be discussing mutated caterpillars. Caterpillars were a species prone to mutation, and there were already 5 known types of mutated caterpillars at this stage. After discussing the habits and attack methods of the 5 types of mutated caterpillars, including level 2 mutated cabbage caterpillars and level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillars, Huang Lin turned his hot gaze toward Bian Shisan. Next, let's invite Bian Shisan from the metal element to come up and share his experience battling mutated caterpillars. The audience erupted in thunderous applause, and Zhuang Mo clapped especially hard. Bian Shisan climbed onto the stage with half-closed eyes, appearing as if he could barely continue living, and upon looking up, he saw Zhuang Mo's encouraging expression. Bian Shisan thought. Regretting having agreed to keep Zhuang Mo's secret about his strong combat power and that he was Tiger's father, he regretted it immensely. He also regretted not spending 15 points to buy that strange mask that covered half of his face. He regretted it deeply. Huang Lin patted Bian Shisan on the shoulder and said, "Don't be nervous, just share your battle experience." Zhuang Mo discerned the confusion from the small eyes of Bian Shisan and decisively nodded to him. Bian Shisan, unsure if he understood the encouragement, mustered the courage to speak. It was a level 2 mutation killed with a sewing needle. Huang Lin's serious face showed appreciation. "Why not use a blade to cut?" Bian Shisan replied, "A friend told me that needles are lighter and can control farther distances." Seizing the opportunity from this statement, Huang Lin began to teach. Indeed, the most commonly used weapons in the metal system are of 2 kinds, various blades of different lengths and needles. Many among you surely know the function of needles, but due to the current limited control over metal, we can only use the blades provided by the Academy. In such cases, you can learn from Bian Shisan and buy some sewing needles first. Especially when your abilities are insufficient and control is weak, needles are more suitable for long-range attacks than blades. Students from other systems are in a similar situation. For instance, in the fire system, if the condensation ability is insufficient, carry matches with you, light a fire, and then control long-range attacks. While Huang Lin was teaching, Bian Shisan seemed to relax, about to step down from the platform when he was suddenly grabbed. Huang Lin's gaze was piercing. "Did you kill the level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar?" Bian Shisan hesitated. "I didn't." The 2 classmates from the wood system behind Zhuang Mo whispered among themselves, "Is it true or not?" It's hard to get a complete sentence out of Bian Shisan. "I don't know what's going on, but metal system students speak little. Huang Lin is quite talkative." Zhuang Mo remarked. "I don't know why, but wood system students can be quite talkative." Of course, except for himself. Many in the audience couldn't contain their curiosity. Zhang Zifei stood up. "Bian Shisan, if you can kill the level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar, I will acknowledge you as the first combat power of F grade." Bai Xiaoyu sneered. "Fool, you can't even defeat the Earth System Chief from Class 2. How can you call Bian Shisan the first?" Zhang Zifei responded, "Bai Xiaoyu. One day my fire will no longer fear water." Bai Xiaoyu replied, "Tisk, tisk, tisk," getting anxious. It looked like the 2 were about to fight. Han Lingyu turned back and warned the wood system students, "Put the bamboo on the ground, don't let it catch fire. We are too close to the fire system." It looked like the 2 were about to fight. Han Lingyu turned back and warned the wood system students, "Put the bamboo on the ground, don't let it catch fire. It looked like the 2 were about to fight. Han Lingyu turned back and warned the wood system students, "Put the bamboo on the ground, don't let it catch fire. We are too..." The tone and manner reminded Zhuang Mo of his gentle language teacher from elementary school. "Zhuang Mo, can you describe this picture in beautiful language?" What did little Zhuang Mo say back then? On the lush green grass stood a tall, magnificent apple tree laden with round red apples. Bian Shisan began to speak, interrupting Zhuang Mo's pleasant memories. Level 4 mutation, 8. A level 2 mutation got pricked by a needle, rolled around, and stabbed itself to death. Zhuang Mo shook his head at this one sentence, clearly realizing that Bian Shisan did not understand how to describe. Such an exciting death process was summarized in just one short sentence. If this were back in the flower-growing era, he would have received a 0 on his essay. As soon as this statement was made, the audience fell silent. On the stage, Huang Lin, known for his excellent expression management, also showed astonishment. Who would have thought that the level 4 mutated emperor moth caterpillar died like this? What does this count as? The caterpillar died from suicide. Huang Lin awkwardly chuckled twice and advised Bian Shisan, "You did well, but you're still an F-grade freshman. In the future, don't go on missions alone. You can team up with seniors." Bian Shisan replied, "I have teammates." The audience lost interest in what they were talking about, and the chatty classmates behind Zhuang Mo began talking again. "That level 4 mutation died so unjustly, ha. I would call it the most ridiculous death method of a mutated creature in history, ha. I've already posted the truth about the caterpillar's death in the community, awaiting for that bubble prince to eat shit upside down. Does this count as Bian Shisan killing it?" Doesn't count, right? I shouldn't have to eat shit upside down. The crowd. So you're the bubble prince. They discussed so enthusiastically that Bien Shursan's remark, "I'm not Tiger's dad," went mostly unheard. Bien Shursan repeated, "I'm not Tiger's dad." Huang Lin replied, "Oh." Bien Shursan insisted, "I really am not." Huang Lin remarked, "You were recorded and you were holding the paper umbrella." Repeating it was ineffective. Bien Shursan saw his chances fading and drew out a blade to slash at his arm. Huang Lin hurriedly stopped him. All right, you are not. Students, no one is allowed to say Bien Shursan is Tiger's dad. He is not. The audience echoed, Bien Shursan is not Tiger's dad. Amid this deafening chorus, Bien Shursan lost himself, displaying a satisfied expression, putting away the blade and returning to his spot. Zhuang Mo covered his face, thinking that Bien Shursan, this silly fool, if he were born in his world, probably wouldn't need any help to cause harm to himself. However, there are not many people as honest as Bien Shursan these days. Cherish it while you can. Due to the exceedingly bizarre death of the level 4 mutated Emperor Moth Caterpillar Tiger's dad, gained popularity again. Zhuang Mo pondered that such high attention was a tremendous opportunity for profit. He took the chance to post a sales advertisement in the community. Tiger's dad's protective paper umbrella effectively protects against level 1 mutated creature attacks, 50 points, each exchangeable within 7 days, reparable within 2 months. Only students of the Federal Ability Academy can purchase it. The pricing and purchase limits were carefully considered, especially regarding the targeted demographic, as there is no delivery service in this world, making business transactions within the Academy convenient. Once the post was released, many people came to watch. Xiao Li argued, "A paper umbrella can defend against attacks." "I don't believe it." Shuang Xiaoba commented, 50 points for a bunch of paper is too expensive. The mature young master at 20 years old remarked, "What can paper do to be effective? Everyone check out my homepage, specially made iron shields, 200 points each. But they only offer limited protection against attacks from level 3 and below mutated creatures." Zhuang Mo scrolled through the comments, finding most people skeptical about the effectiveness of the paper umbrella, while several inquired about details on the iron shield from the 20-year-old mature young master. Gritting his teeth, Zhuang Mo memorized the name of the 20-year-old mature young master. One day, he would use his paper to cut through the young master's shield, showing him the effectiveness of paper. However, he initially intended to post to attract attention. Earning points in the apocalypse isn't easy, and he needed the awakened ones to see the effectiveness of the paper umbrella to spend points on it. Moreover, his target customer group consists mainly of poor students who are more cautious about spending points. Setting aside the post, today's outdoor ability class was somewhat special. The new wood system students were taken by Han Junfeng to a plum grove, each receiving a seed. The Feibai bamboo they practiced with had reached its normal mature height, and both their abilities to manipulate and stimulate growth had significantly improved, finally welcoming the first seed of their lives. This seed was elongated and oval-shaped, a deep brown belonging to the Gongfen Mei species. Han Junfeng looked at the plum grove, nostalgia filling his eyes. 20 years ago, the first plum tree here was planted by my own hands. Every new student from the Federal Ability Academy has planted a plum tree here since then. Yi Xingqi exclaimed, "Old Han, what are you talking about? If everyone planted one tree every 20 years, there should be over 1,000 by now. Yet there are only a few dozen trees in this grove." Han Junfeng withdrew his nostalgic gaze, saying, "During the growth stimulation, we must control the straightness so that it can be used to make furniture. The beds you sleep on are made from these plum trees." Zhuang Mo understood that this land was designated for the wood system freshman's practice. Even practice results should not be wasted, as they could be turned into furniture. In the flower-growing nation, using plum trees for furniture is unheard of. It seems that the plants stimulated by the wood system are a conceptual mutation, turning plum trees from ornamental plants into practical ones in this post-apocalyptic world. It was September, and typically not the season for plum blossoms. The grove was bare with not a single bud in sight. Zhuang Mo was imagining the red flowers and green leaves during the winter bloom, when suddenly his eyes widened. Flower buds were sprouting on the plum trees, the brown scales on the buds gradually opened, and the sepals followed suit, revealing pink flower buds before his eyes. The tender flower buds opened one by one, and gradually the branches were adorned with a veil of pink. A gentle fragrance wafted through the air, ethereal and dreamlike. Is this the power of an 11 wood system ability user? Dozens of plum trees blooming half a year early, filling the branches within minutes. Zhuang Mo witnessed it firsthand, greatly astonished and yearning. When he reaches a level, he hopes to make flowers bloom, from night blooming cereus and peonies to admire. Han Junfeng allowed the freshman to marvel for a moment before saying, "The seeds you have in your hands are Gongfen Mei seeds. Now you will plant this seed and attempt to stimulate its growth to make it sprout." Typically, planting trees involves transplanting seedlings. Now having them start from seeds is likely for practicing their stimulation abilities. Zhuang Mo found a corner, patiently buried the seed, and watered it. From the moment the seed was in his hand, he felt an inexplicable connection, as if he and the seed shared a fateful bond across 3 lifetimes. Ahem, digressing. In any case, he could sense the vibrant life force of the seed as it entered the soil and drank some water. He turned to look at Han Lingyu, who had her eyes tightly closed, her hands forming seals with great seriousness. Zhuang Mo thought, "What gesture is that? I've never seen it before." Looking at the others, none of them had any gestures either. "Fine, it's not a good time to disturb her. I'll ask Han Lingyu later." The seed in the soil seemed to be calling out to him. Zhuang Mo withdrew his gaze and focused on feeding the seed with his abilities. He felt the tender little sprout was about to break through. In this moment of awakening, Zhuang Mo was filled with emotion from head to toe. The seed. It was about to sprout. What a touching event. He was almost brought to tears. All his efforts to absorb energy and enhance his abilities since awakening were not in vain. Zhuang Mo wholeheartedly attended to the tiny seed. He felt the seed gradually developing fragile roots extending downwards while the tender green sprout grew upwards, striving to break through the thick soil above. "Sorry, little sprout. It seems I dug the hole a bit too deep." Zhuang Mo continued to pour his abilities into the sprout, which eagerly accepted the energy and grew rapidly. It emerged. On the dark brown soil, a small green, tender Gongfen May sprout appeared. Zhuang Mo held his breath, observing this first life he had stimulated. Han Junfeng silently watched everything, a look of satisfaction on his face. As a wood user who could stimulate Feibai bamboo to 1/2 meter tall right after awakening, it was strange that Zhuang Mo was not the first to sprout. Of course, stimulating from seeds is slightly more challenging than from half-mature plants like Feibai bamboo. Han Junfeng's gaze shifted to Han Lingyu, who also had her seed sprouting. He nodded repeatedly. Though it was a bit slower than Zhuang Mo, it was still impressive. Having these 2 high-level talents in the wood system this year was a blessing for humanity. Zhuang Mo was still fully devoted to his young sprout, as the seedling above the soil grew taller, while the roots below expanded and thickened. The seedling's trunk became sturdier, and its branches began to spread, gradually resembling a small tree. Zhuang Mo sensed that the energy in his heart had diminished by half and decided to take a break. Only then did he realize that almost all his classmates were gathered around him. Seeing that he had finally stopped, Han Lingyi's eyes widened. "Have you finally exhausted your abilities?" Zhuang Mo leaned forward and barely caught a glimpse of Han Lingyi's seedling, which was a tall and thick young plant. Looking back at his own, it clearly resembled a small tree now. Zhuang Mo initially wanted to feed all his abilities to this small tree. He didn't intend to hide his farming skills, as being a high-level talent in the wood system for farming was quite normal. However, seeing that he had only used half of his abilities to stimulate a small tree, while looking at Han Lingyi's seedling and the other students' freshly sprouted buds, he changed his mind. "I exhausted it completely, not a bit left," he replied to Han Lingyu. Being a genius was enough. There was no need to be an exceptionally extraordinary genius. The strength of an awakener is evaluated by the total amount of abilities, and combat power, for the wood system combat power, is replaced by planting power, which does not require separate assessment, usually equating to the total amount of abilities. There is a routine monthly test. Of other systems involve battles, but the wood system has written examinations. The monthly tests are unrelated to leveling up, purely assessing theoretical knowledge. However, there is a total ability test every 6 months. Once the total amount of abilities reaches a level standards, one is usually forced to level up. He was unsure of his current total ability level. To avoid leveling up to a level too quickly, he decided to hold back a bit. Indeed, after he stated that his abilities were exhausted, Han Lingyu was still amazed by his small tree, but did not show an expression of extreme shock. The wood system classmates were all astonished. Is the gap between medium talents and high talents so vast? Why did my seed just sprout after exhausting all my efforts? Zhuang Mo is truly powerful. What did Zhang Zifei say earlier? Discussing the first combat power among freshmen, I believe the total ability among freshmen must be Zhuang Mo. I can't believe I'm classmates with such a big shot. What an honor. Han Junfeng, who had been standing opposite Zhuang Mo, could hardly contain his excitement. Zhuang Mo, you are undoubtedly the #1 talent of the wood system. Oh, come on, too much praise. Zhuang Mo replied modestly. Fortunately, he took a break midway through the stimulation, otherwise the attention would have been even greater. He did not wish to graduate early to join the plantation, but his combat strength was too weak. He needed to build a solid foundation in the academy. Otherwise, when going out to study mutated plants or suppressants, even with others protecting him, there would still be danger. The mortality rate in the plantation is low, but that doesn't mean no one dies. After the crowd dispersed, Zhuang Mo began discussing the strange gesture with Han Lingyu. Han Lingyu pulled a book from her backpack and handed it to Zhuang Mo. Zhuang Mo took a look at it. A complete guide to wood element hand seals, and it appeared to be a handwritten copy. Opening it, he saw illustrations and explanations like how to stack both thumbs with the left finger on top and the right finger below, or how to bring both hands together and then extend the left hand forward at a 90-degree angle. As someone who grew up watching local fantasy and slice-of-life anime, Zhuang Mo had considered that using abilities might require a gesture, but the problem was that the teacher never taught it. As he flipped through the book, he became even more confused. The wood element abilities were divided into nurturing and controlling, so why were there so many extravagant gestures? Seeing him flip through so quickly, Han Lingyu couldn't help but remind him, just find a gesture you like and learn it. Zhuang Mo asked, can I just pick one at random? He didn't understand, but was greatly shocked. Han Lingyu replied, earnestly, you can choose one that's easier to learn. The one Yi Xingqi chose is too complicated. He still hasn't learned it until now. What is this gesture for? Zhuang Mo secretly already had a vague answer in his heart. Han Lingyu responded, it can enhance your sense of belief. Zhuang Mo. Sure enough, it seemed to mean it was useless. That evening, Zhuang Mo had tomato egg drop soup. Since arriving in this world, he had eaten eggs several times, but it was the first time he had eaten tomatoes. The marvelous taste of tomatoes and eggs burst on his taste buds, making him unable to resist licking his lips. Unfortunately, the soup lacked green onion and cilantro. As a staunch supporter of cilantro, he liked to add it to any soup. If he could get cilantro seeds, he could grow them himself. With his current abilities, he couldn't nurture many, but it should be fine to provide for himself, right? Just as he was thinking about cilantro seeds and various vegetable seeds, he heard Han Lingyu say, there's a market at a level tonight. Do you want to go take a look? A market? Let's go. Zhuang Mo decisively agreed. After dinner, the three of them headed to the playground. Can wood element practitioners sell the vegetables they grow? Zhuang Mo asked. Recently, he had been busy improving his combat power and earning points, so he indeed did not know enough about the wood element. Vegetables grown from seeds issued by the Academy must be surrendered, but those grown from seeds you keep can be sold, Han Lingyu explained. Yi Xingqi, even while walking, never forgot to take out a mirror to check his appearance. After putting the mirror away, he looked at Han Lingyu and said, Lingyu, when I reach a level, I will definitely grow the watermelons you love. This time Han Lingyu didn't hit him. It seemed that this statement was not just bravado, as a level was probably capable of growing watermelons. In this apocalyptic world, it was already a feat for ordinary people to survive. They ate whatever was spoiled and rotten, as long as it was food. Awakened individuals, due to their greater contributions to the Federation, also needed to replenish their strength and energy to hunt mutated plants and animals, so having enough food was not a problem. However, various delicious fruits were not necessities. Most of the abilities of wood element awakened individuals would contribute to all of humanity. They could only keep a small amount of abilities to grow the vegetables and fruits they loved, or to produce fruit to exchange for points. In this light, Yi Xingqi's frequent mentions of the noble wood element, the great wood element, and the honorable wood element might not be too exaggerated. After all, the wood element truly nourished all of humanity. Zhuang Mo had just tried nurturing a plum tree today. The adorable figure of that little sapling still lingered in his mind, and he felt quite confident in his nurturing abilities, his mind filled with various fresh vegetables and a constant stream of points. Even if the paper umbrella didn't sell well, as a wood element practitioner, he could grow and sell vegetables, and it would be no problem to support himself and Huzi. As they chatted, the three of them arrived at the small market on the playground. The senior students were mostly sitting directly on the ground with some vegetables laid out in front of them. There were almost no grain crops for sale since the Academy provided unlimited rice and steamed buns. Grain crops couldn't be sold at the Academy market. Fruits were completely absent as well. Zhuang Mo guessed it was probably because these A-level seniors didn't have any fruit seeds either. The vegetable varieties were limited, mostly ones that could be eaten raw, such as tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, and lettuce. Zhuang Mo stopped at a stall selling tomatoes. They looked fully ripe, bursting with juice. How much are the tomatoes? Zhuang Mo swallowed hard. The seller, a senior girl, appeared very enthusiastic. 10 points each. This price was still within an acceptable range, but Zhuang Mo didn't buy. His past experiences taught him to compare prices before buying anything. The market wasn't large, and after browsing for about 10 minutes, he found that the prices were all more or less the same, with little room for bargaining. He returned to the senior girl's stall and bought 2 tomatoes. Han Lingyu and Yi Xingqi didn't buy anything. They were just purely browsing. It made sense because Han Lingyu was the daughter of Han Junfeng and had even eaten watermelon. How could she possibly lack cucumbers and tomatoes? As for Yi Xingqi, Zhuang Mo thought that kid might have never been more than 3 meters away from Han Lingyu since childhood, and seeing how familiar he was with Han Junfeng, he must have often mooched food. The three returned to the dormitory. Zhuang Mo had plans for the 2 tomatoes. One would be eaten raw, and the other would be scrambled with eggs. Zhuang Mo licked his lips. The tomato egg drop soup was no longer satisfying. He wanted to eat tomato scrambled eggs. However, he had no pan, no fire, and certainly no eggs. Thus, the fate of the 2 tomatoes changed. One would be eaten raw, and the other would be saved for seeds. He had actually thought of this when he first bought the tomatoes. The senior girl's tomatoes were large, plump, bright red, and very ripe, clearly suitable for saving seeds. With that thought, he pulled out a sheet of A3 paper and quickly folded it into a knife. Then he infused his ability to make the blade harder and thinner. Vacation. He really wanted to eat tomato no. But wouldn't it be sweeter to finish the work? With that thought, he pulled out a sheet of A3 paper and quickly folded it into a knife. Then he infused his ability to make the blade harder and thinner. In just a few seconds, the paper knife was ready, and he immediately folded a spoon. Speaking of which, after killing the burrowing moles and caterpillars the last 2 times, the paper circular saw blade had ended up being wasted. The ability control made the plant fibers woven very densely, making them a little water-resistant when hardened, just like how hard cardboard is more water-resistant than tissue paper. However, after getting covered in thick blood from many mutated animals, it ultimately became unusable. Holding the paper knife, Zhuang Mo pointed the blade towards the juicy-looking tomato, reminding himself to acquire more characteristics from mutated plants. He needed waterproof paper. With a swift motion, the tomato was cut in half in an instant. He examined the blade. It was still good and could be used a few more times. He quickly used the paper spoon to scoop the tomato juice into a glass, covering it with a paperboard as hard as metal. The seeds would ferment for 2 or 3 days, a process that couldn't be expedited. The leftover tomato after taking the seeds couldn't be wasted. Zhuang Mo ate it all. Then he took a bite of the still whole tomato no. As he bit down, juice flowed out, and the unique sweet and sour flavor of the tomato was rich and the texture soft and sandy, making it quite delicious. At 8:30 in the evening, Zhuang Mo received a transfer from Bian Shisan. 295 points. Zhuang Mo smiled, clearly pleased that Bian Shisan had acquired the circular saw and was satisfied with its performance. He accepted the points and went into the community to check how the post about selling paper umbrellas was doing. The post by Hughes's father remained popular with a great number of comments. There were all kinds of comments, but none expressing interest in buying. Zhuang Mo scrolled through and found a comment from someone named S-Class Hexagonal Female Warrior ill by one. It's on. This S-Class Hexagonal Female Warrior has great taste. He immediately replied, please pay a 15-point deposit first, and the paper umbrella will be delivered at the ability training ground tomorrow at 8:30. The remaining balance will be settled then. S-Class Hexagonal Female Warrior, I'll directly transfer you 50. I won't be available tomorrow at 8:30, so please leave the umbrella at the new student registration area. Zhuang Mo saw that this person indeed transferred 50 points right away. What a straightforward person. He liked it. He chose to deliver tomorrow because a quick delivery would make the umbrella seem easy to make. It indeed required effort and energy to produce. Thus, Zhuang Mo spent several precious seconds folding a paper umbrella, ensuring the canopy was hard and thick with a frame included. However, having only one order wouldn't do. He envisioned a strategy of thin profit margins and high sales. Zhuang Mo touched the metallic-feeling paper umbrella and sent a message to Bian Shisan. What are you doing? See you at the ability training ground. Bian Shisan replied immediately, okay. Bring your knife, I mean a regular blade, Zhuang Mo responded. 10 minutes later, they met at the ability training ground. Zhuang Mo carried the paper umbrella while Bian Shisan held the circular saw. There was still a torch standing at Bian Shisan's feet, and in the darkness the blade of his circular saw glimmered coldly. You're here, Bian Shisan said. Zhuang Mo. Seeing the way Bian Shisan was acting, he realized he might have misunderstood him. He had no intention of fighting. He opened the paper umbrella and asked Shisan, did you bring the knife? Bian Shisan nodded in confusion. A circular blade works better, Bian Shisan remarked. Zhuang Mo replied, no need for a circular blade. The rotation speed is too fast, and the paper umbrella won't hold up. Later, just take your blade and cut the umbrella using as much force as you can. Bian Shisan was puzzled, but followed Zhuang Mo's instructions. He drew out the blade from his waist, approached the paper umbrella, and slashed down. A shallow scratch appeared on the umbrella's surface. Zhuang Mo recorded the video and reviewed it again, feeling very satisfied. Shisan poked the umbrella surface with the tip of the blade using half your strength. Don't use full force. He directed. Bian Shisan aimed the blade tip at the umbrella surface and pierced down. The blade tip penetrated the surface, revealing only a small part, unable to break through. A seller's showcase all set. Bian Shisan looked at the umbrella, then at the knife, and finally at Zhuang Mo. Just as Zhuang Mo thought he would ask why the umbrella surface was so sturdy, Bian Shisan said softly, my umbrella has no frame. Zhuang Mo suddenly remembered that the umbrella he sold to Bian Shisan not only lacked a frame, but was technically a second-hand umbrella. He'll send you an upgraded version later. Zhuang Mo was very generous, mainly for the sake of his friend's sustainable development. Bian Shisan, who usually looked listless, widened his eyes, although no matter how hard he tried, his eyes wouldn't get much bigger. Seeing Bian Shisan's touched expression, Zhuang Mo seized the opportunity to say, but you need to help me run an errand. Bian Shisan nodded okay. Zhuang Mo infused his energy to seal the small hole created by the blade tip on the paper umbrella. Before 8:30 tomorrow night, take this umbrella to the new student registration area. As soon as he said this, Zhuang Mo paused for a moment, estimating that once the seller's showcase was released, this business would explode, and he would inevitably have to ask Bian Shisan to deliver in the future. He would still need to pay some points to bring Bien Shursan into the fold. As soon as he said this, Zhuang Mo paused for a moment, estimating that once the seller's showcase was released, this business would explode, and he would inevitably have to ask Bien Shursan to deliver in the future. Bien Shursan's eyes reflected even deeper gratitude. He felt Zhuang Mo was helping him earn points. The tasks in Ruins Area G could take several days without a single one, but with Zhuang Mo's well-made paper umbrellas, many people would surely buy them. Thank you, Bien Shursan said, touched. Zhuang Mo waved his hand. What for? We are friends. The paper umbrella business was thus finalized. After returning to the dormitory, Zhuang Mo chatted with Huzi for a bit before updating the post. The previous post was merely to draw attention and was written very briefly. If he wanted to sell something, the details page, seller showcase, and after-sales service were indispensable. As a standard online shopping youth from the Flower Country, Zhuang Mo's business acumen was at least 50 years ahead of this world. Today, he would let those living in the apocalypse experience the power of promotional copy from the Flower Country. Hughes's father's protective paper umbrella effectively defends against level 1 mutated creature attacks. Ordinary umbrellas on the market cost over 100 points with cheap material frames that flip in the wind. Hughes's father's paper umbrella, however, is just 50 points, featuring 24 reinforced ribs, doubling its wind resistance. Ordinary umbrellas can only protect from rain. Hughes's father's paper umbrella is treated with special abilities, undergoing 5 technological reinforcement processes, effectively protecting against level 1 mutated plant attacks such as dandelions, resistant to cuts and only barely penetrable with great force. Currently, new customers can enjoy a huge discount at just 50 points for 1, 10 off for 2, and 20 off for 3. Prices will increase after a week. This special price is only available this week. Within 7 days, exchanges are guaranteed and repairs are assured within 2 months. Limited to purchases within the Federal Ability Academy. Delivery method: pay a 15-point deposit first and delivery will be made to your doorstep. The buyer must settle the remaining balance upon receiving the paper umbrella. Limited to 100 umbrellas available on a first-come, first-served basis. Attached are 6 comprehensive display images of the paper umbrella and 1 video of the knife cutting the paper umbrella, as well as 1 video of the blade tip piercing the paper umbrella. Once the post was published, Zhuang Mo exited the community and stopped checking messages. Awakened ones cannot remain overly fixated on their watches and neglect to absorb and merge energy. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth, and the named is the mother of all things. Zhuang Mo recited the Tao Te Ching while sensing the energy of heaven and earth. This was the inspiration given to him by Han Lingyu, who said that forming seals was useless. Absorbing the energy of the world is not only dependent on one's innate talent, but is also strongly related to belief. To be precise, the success of anything is directly related to the strength of one's belief. Otherwise, how could there be the law of attraction in psychology? As long as you believe in it, it will generate power. As for why he was reciting the Tao Te Ching, it's mainly because Taoism emphasizes the principle of following nature, and the energy of abilities is natural as well. In the apocalypse, everything that evolves relies on energy. Whether called energy or spiritual energy makes no difference. The competition for survival among organisms is biological competition, while natural selection is nature's choice. He firmly believed that nature had chosen him, confident that energy came from all directions. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Indeed, he only knew how to recite this one line. Good morning, Huzi. A fine day began with that greeting. Huzi was nothing more than a paper-folded tiger and of course did not reply to Zhuang Mo, but he paid it no mind. After dressing, he opened the community board to scan the messages. Many people asked detailed questions about the paper umbrella, yet only 5 had paid deposits. This was not unexpected. Most people greet novelty with suspicion, while a small minority answer it with curiosity. Once the first buyer showcases appeared, his paper umbrella trade would surely flourish. Morning was when his abilities felt most vigorous, ideal for making umbrellas, but the dormitory had nearly exhausted its supply of A3 sheets, so he had to abandon the attempt. So far he had gone through several reams of A3 paper, even accounting for his power to extend and harden sheets. His gift had limits, however, it could not conjure paper from nothing. He prided himself on being a conscientious seller. Those sheets were real costs. The Lianbang Inan Academy had 1 rest day every 2 weeks. 3 days remained until the next one. Zhuang Mo intended to go to the Xiangrui market on the rest day to buy a few cartons. The school shop was always pricier. He would have to bring Bien Shursan along, otherwise he could not carry the load alone. If only Bien Shursan were a sturdy physical-type brawler, it would be easier. His gene-type talents were of little use. He checked the tomato seeds that had not yet fermented. They remained semi-solid. When the seed fluid exuded a white mycelial membrane, and the mass turned semi-liquid, the fermentation would be complete. At that point, adding water would make the seeds sink naturally, which meant successful extraction. After a few more glances, he bid farewell to the tomatoes and Huzi and began the day's lessons in an orderly fashion. During the outdoor ability class, he studied the few physical-type strongmen with focused attention. Arms that looked rock-hard hoisted classmates aloft with bare hands. He felt envious. If it were not for the fact that he could not reveal he was Huzi's father, he would have hired one of those market strongmen on the weekend to haul his paper. Then again, the point of buying at the market was to save money. If he had to spend his points to hire help, he might as well have purchased from the school shop. He decided he would still trouble Bien-Shur-san. Gene type or not, the crucial thing was that it would be free. Every outdoor grand class joined Class 1 and Class 2 together, and at those moments the performances of all frank freshmen were laid bare. From Zhuang Mo's observation, superior talent indeed takes off much faster than mediocre gift. The 10 high-talent freshmen in the frank were conspicuously outstanding, himself included. There were also those like the supreme grinders with only middling talent. They pushed themselves to meet high-tier standards. For example, a physical type with mediocre talent named Zhao Mengran, whose gifts were an extraordinarily hardy body and blistering speed. Rumor had it she slept only 2 hours a day and spent the rest training. Her toughness had improved at an astonishing pace, almost indistinguishable from Li Chao, a high-talent physical type. Zhuang Mo watched the whole collision between them. Two compact, unyielding bodies, one tall, one short, crashed together with brutal force. Neither was toppled. Instead, both staggered back roughly 5 meters. This happened despite Zhao Mengran being a girl her weight and height far below the 2-meter Li Chao. Zhao Mengran was peculiar. Most people grow taller when awakening a robust physique, yet she had only bulked up without gaining height. Her baby face set against a body full of muscle made for a startling incongruity. But this merely piqued Zhuang Mo's curiosity briefly. Oddities were commonplace in the post-apocalyptic world. To scrutinize each would be to exhaust oneself. He withdrew his gaze from the so-called muscular Barbie, Zhao Mengran, and refocused on absorbing energy. The Wood-type group was intensifying their practice in ability absorption. Yesterday's acceleration of the plum tree's birth had made many students aware of how meager their reserves were, so today everyone looked determined and vigorous. Zhuang Mo saw several classmates forming hand seals to absorb energy. Their gestures were practiced and precise. Yi Xingqi was also making seals, overly elaborate, as always, flashy like his personality. Zhuang Mo inhaled deeply and raised his left thumb to the sky and his right thumb to the earth. How was that for a seal? Praising both heaven and earth, he approved of it. The power of conviction lies in believing one's own judgment. After forming the seal, Zhuang Mo felt the breath of energy between heaven and earth soften around him. That evening he received word from Bien-Shur-san. The first customer's paper umbrella had arrived. The shrank hexagonal female warrior had not appeared. Gu Lao at the freshman registration desk had accepted it on her behalf. Seeing the two characters Gu Lao made Zhuang Mo's heart skip a beat. On the first day of enrollment, Gu Lao's piercing glance had left an impression he would never forget. That look made him feel completely transparent before Gu Lao, without clothes, without even skin. He later asked Song Yulong about Gu Lao's identity. Song Yulong said that Gu Lao usually lingered at the freshman registration desk, even when there were no newcomers. With a single glance, he could see through a person's talent, rank, and ability attribute. As for Gu Lao's origins, rank, and own ability attribute, Song Yulong admitted he did not know. Zhuang Mo was surprised that a shrank hexagonal female warrior would entrust someone like Gu Lao to receive her umbrella, but he thought little of it. He never wasted energy puzzling over what could not be unraveled. He now had 5 umbrellas to make plus the one for Bien-Shur-san, 6 in total. Before the shop closed, he wore a mask and bought all the white paper. Bien-Shur-san helped carry it, also masked. To his credit, Bien-Shur-san had learned to be cautious and wore the newly bought mask when delivering the umbrella to the registration desk. What neither of them expected was that the mask would be utterly useless against Gu Lao. At the freshman registration desk, Gu Lao sat with one eye open, idly toying with the paper umbrella. Jiang Ying knocked 3 times and entered only after receiving permission. Jiang Ying, universally acknowledged as humanity's highest-ranked physical-type powerhouse, a member of the Lianbang Inan Academy Committee and deputy commander of the Safe Zone Forces, stood exceptionally deferential before this aged-looking elder. Gu Lao. Jiang Ying bowed. Gu Lao nodded and said sit. Jiang Ying took the seat opposite and accepted the umbrella Gu Lao handed her. Jiang Ying had watched the seller's video beforehand. After handling the umbrella herself, she declared with certainty, "It is indeed made of paper. I did not expect Bien-Shur-san to possess this skill. The workmanship is quite fine," Jiang Ying added. The eye on the knobby growth of Gu Lao's face twitched slightly, and a small curl of expression lifted one side of his mouth. It was not Bien-Shur-san. Jiang Ying froze. But it has been confirmed that Bien-Shur-san is Huzi's father, she said after a pause, though Bien-Shur-san himself never admitted it. Could Bien-Shur-san be Huzi's father, yet not the maker of the umbrella? Jiang Ying asked. You said Huzi's father once used a knife to kill more than 200 digger moles. Lao's voice was aged and hoarse at that time. How far could Bian Shusan control a blade? Zhang Ying replied at once, if the ability Bian Shusan displayed in class is genuine, he can only control it 2 meters. He could not have intercepted the successive attacks of the digger moles in time. Lao nodded slightly. Zhang Ying's face showed unease. Aside from Bian Shusan, other gene-type freshmen can only control 1 meter. According to what Huang Lin had said, D and Franks were excluded, and an assistant would be impossible. So among the gene-type freshmen, there appeared to be no one else remarkable. Who says that person must be gene-type? Lao asked. Zhang Ying was astonished by this remark. Ice-type freshmen still could not condense ice blades. Could it be a D or E rank ice-type? The digger moles died because their legs were severed, certainly the work of a sharp blade. Lao slowly closed his eyes and said it was a wood-type freshman. That night, Zhang Ying returned to her ultra-luxurious studio apartment, clutching a paper umbrella, and lay in bed, her heart refusing to settle. If Huzi's father possessed wood affinity and could slay over 200 level 2 mutated burrowing rats with a blade, drawing special attention from Elder Gu, there was only one possible explanation. He was a rare attribute awakened one. At the Federation Awakened Academy, newly awakened individuals were initially classified by affinity: physical, wind, water, ice, earth, metal, wood, fire, and lightning. Yet in truth, human awakening extended far beyond this framework. Mutant beasts evolved, alien strains evolved, and so too did the awakened. Beyond the foundational physical evolution, an elemental control, or dominion, emerged an exceedingly rare category: rare attribute awakenings. Examples included healing, invisibility, domain creation, and hypnosis. What rendered these awakened truly exceptional was not merely their unique affinities, but the fact that each such rare attribute awakened was to date utterly singular. That is, only upon the death of the current healing awakened would another healing awakened ever emerge. Thus, every soul bearer of a rare attribute was inevitably leveraged to the utmost by the Federation's highest echelons. Every such individual previously observed at the Academy had followed this path, without exception. No one yet knew which rare attribute the wood affinity child had awakened. What was certain, however, was that this child's rare attribute leaned toward combat. Elder Gu said nothing, and Zhang Ying dared not ask, not even the child's identity. She would learn it in time. Though how she wished she knew now. She burned with curiosity. For now, Zhuang Mo and Han Lingyu could be ruled out. Historical precedent indicated that the base affinity of all rare attribute awakened ones fell squarely within the medium-tier aptitude range. For instance, a wood affinity healing awakened would possess only ordinary cultivation talent. Among the new wood affinity students with medium-tier aptitude, Zhang Ying recalled only Yi Xingqi, mainly because the young man was strikingly handsome. She resolved to observe him more closely. Meanwhile, Zhuang Mo, the very student who kept Zhang Ying tossing and turning, was floating in serene euphoria. After folding 6 paper umbrellas, he sat cross-legged on his bed, gathered his focus-formed sacred hand seals, and resumed chanting. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Indeed, the chant bore tangible effect. No wonder it was penned by a sage. Laozi millennia ago had already perceived humanity's apocalyptic fate. The profound, ineffable laws of nature transcend all known comprehension. What we grasp today is but a fragment of infinite cosmic mystery, beyond language itself. Precisely because it eludes articulation does it remain mystery. The energy drawn from this primordial enigma neither dissipates nor decays. It is formless, invisible, and fathomlessly deep. Spiritual energy swirled around Zhuang Mo, boundless, subtle, almost imperceptible. The Tao that can be spoken. Huzi, do you know why sages are called sages? Because they possess wisdom far surpassing ours, yet never claim sainthood for themselves. You don't understand? That's all right. You'll comprehend when you're older. After all, you're still just a puppy. Puppies know nothing. I must head to class now. Guard the house, especially those tomato seeds. By tonight, they'll likely have fermented nearly to perfection. A day later, Han Junfeng led the new wood affinity students once more to accelerate the growth of plum trees. This time, Zhuang Mo paused repeatedly to gauge Han Lingyu's progress, and his glances grew so frequent that Yi Xingqi shot him several sharp, disapproving looks. Don't misunderstand, brother. It wasn't the girl he watched, but the plum tree itself. As Han Lingyu's sapling surged upward into a slender trunk, Zhuang Mo redoubled his focus. The title top-ranked F-class wood affinity student had already spread across campus. He simply could not afford to lose. Zhuang Mo poured his awakened energy intently into his sapling. Han Lingyu glanced at his progress, clenched her teeth, and redoubled her own efforts upon her plum tree. Lately, she'd been deeply inspired by Zhao Mengran, the emperor of overachievers. If even a medium-tier talent like Zhao could spar evenly with Li Chao, then Han Lingyu and Zhuang Mo, both high-tier talents, had no excuse to fall short. To lose so decisively would be profoundly humiliating. Zhuang Mo remained oblivious to Han Lingyu's inner turmoil, and even if he'd known, he'd only applaud. After all, they were all destined to become fellow cultivators. Excellence in cultivation meant prosperity for all humanity. Han Lingyu pushed herself to the limit, sensing her plum tree's roots thickening, its vitality flourishing, and exhaled in quiet relief. Then she turned her gaze toward Zhuang Mo. His plum tree stood over 10 centimeters taller than hers, its branches luxuriant and dense. A flicker of wounded pride crossed Han Lingyu's face. Then she stifled a yawn. To conserve energy for today's cultivation, she'd slept only 4 hours last night, yet still lagged far behind Zhuang Mo. Could Zhuang Mo possibly have slept even less? In fact, Zhuang Mo, who'd slept a full 10 hours, halted his practice as soon as he noticed half his awakened energy ping-pong ball remained intact. He gently patted his sturdy little plum tree, wearing the tender, proud smile of a devoted father. He lifted his eyes. Han Lingyu's plum tree was thriving too. As for Yixingqi, where is... Han Lingyu pointed vaguely behind her. Zhuang Mo turned. There stood Yixingqi, tilting his face upward at precisely 45 degrees before Jiang Ying, as if engaged in earnest conversation. Zhuang Mo frowned. What does Teacher Jiang want with Yixingqi? Han Lingyu looked equally baffled. Perhaps she's finally detected his idiocy and is giving him private remedial instruction. Zhuang Mo sensed something deeply amiss. Jiang Ying was no idle observer. At that moment, Jiang Ying scrutinized Yixingqi from head to toe, then sighed disappointed. This is all you can manage. You can move branches only this minutely. Such feeble control couldn't even strike an ordinary person, let alone level 2 mutated burrowing rats. Yixingqi cocked his neck nonchalant. I only need to excel at cultivation. Look at my plum sapling, taller than any other medium-tier students. Jiang Ying's temper flared instantly. Clearly Yixingqi was not a rare attribute awakened one, but still. Han Junfeng, has your wood affinity combat training grown that lax? Her roar shook the earth beneath them. Only then did Zhuang Mo realize Jiang Ying's affinities extended beyond supreme physical prowess to include sonic resonance. As for why Jiang Ying, despite possessing overwhelming physical power, appeared so slender, legends claimed masters of her caliber wielded absolute control over their bodies, capable of shifting effortlessly between doll-like delicacy and titan-like might. Clearly to an S-class powerhouse like Jiang Ying, that thunderous shout was merely a raised voice, while to her students it registered as a seismic roar. Were she to unleash her true awakened energy, none of these students would survive. All of you, double your training. This afternoon's outdoor awakened energy class will be sparring against the physical affinity division. Han Junfeng had no authority to refuse. A chorus of despair erupted among the wood affinity freshmen. No, a single punch from a physical affinity student could cripple 3 of us. Yixingqi, what did you do? You've doomed us to extra drills. I just wanted to tend my little plum tree in peace. I've already run 50 laps. I can barely stand, my legs are still trembling. Jiang Ying sneered. 20 days remain until the freshman trial. Those who wish to die may skip training altogether. She strode away, leaving the wood affinity freshmen in stunned silence. After a long pause, someone spoke softly. We'll do our utmost, and leave the rest to fate. Truth be told, I've long accepted my fortune. Merely gaining admission to the Federation Awakened Academy is miracle enough. Should I perish in the ruins, my mother and sister will receive 10,000 merit points. That's no small comfort. Don't think like that. The ruins front line is heavily garrisoned by military forces. It's not that perilous. Yet every year lives are lost. This year will be no exception. After a wave of murmured debate, Han Lingyu's voice cut through, clear, unwavering, and resolute, dispelling the group's collective despondency. The Academy's purpose for sending us to the ruins is for training, not to send us to our deaths. The Academy will provide protective gear. The Wood Department's new students still cannot control mutated plants, and according to the Academy's tradition, we will not be assigned tasks to hunt mutated flora and fauna. The tasks assigned to the Wood Department are to study mutated plants or administer suppressants. It is well known that the sensing range of mutated plants is limited. As long as we keep our distance, the danger is relatively low. However, the ruins are full of surprises, so Teacher Zhang's request for us to practice more is for our own good. Starting today, everyone should focus their after-class energy on combat. Our Wood Department may be limited by the environment, but we are not completely incapable of fighting. Why should we be considered the weak ones? The last statement was powerful, and the members of the Wood Department felt invigorated after hearing it all, expressing their commitment to train hard. This class cannot do without Han Lingyu, it must disperse. Han Lingyu is more persuasive than Han Junfeng. Even Zhuang Mo felt that Han Lingyu was born to be a class leader after listening to her speak. The members of the Wood Department perked up, and Zhuang Mo felt pleased. His current mindset was akin to a leader observing subordinates, seeing each member of the Wood Department as a future colleague or subordinate. He thought it was quite normal to have such thoughts. With his high talent for farming, he would undoubtedly hold a high position in the planting fields in the future. After being a corporate slave for so many years in his past life, Wanting to be a small leader in this life isn't too much to ask, right? While thinking this, his gaze towards Yi Xingqi became critical. What's wrong with Yi Xingqi? Not putting in the effort, and teacher Jiang even discovered that his combat ability is nearly zero. Will he be able to complete tasks assigned to him in the ruins? This is the apocalypse. Mutated creatures and alien species do not care about appearances, as strength is the only truth. In the afternoon, as Zhuang Mo arrived at the ability training ground, he felt the gaze of all members from the flesh department upon him. However, this gaze did not seem friendly. It was not hostile, just purely disdainful. Tisk, who do they look down upon? If they have the capability, they shouldn't eat the food cultivated by the wood department. Zhuang Mo could only voice this thought in his heart. Without these combat-oriented individuals confronting the alien species on the front line, what good would it be for the wood department to keep farming? They would have long been devoured by the aliens. Among the awakeners in the Federation, the flesh department accounted for nearly one-third. Most members of the flesh department possess dual abilities, such as Zhao Mengren's strong physique and incredible speed, or Li Chaos' robust body and regeneration. Thus, no matter how well Zhao Mengren trains her formidable physique, she will not be Li Chaos' opponent in actual combat, for Li Chao is incredibly difficult to defeat as he grows stronger. If Li Chaos' regeneration is so impressive, then why is Bian Shisan widely regarded as the top combat power among F-class newcomers? The main reason is that Li Chao is only F-class right now, and his regeneration speed is quite slow. During an outdoor ability class, Bian Shisan accidentally severed a piece of meat from Li Chaos' elbow, and it took a good 10 minutes for it to regrow. In summary, Li Chaos' F-class regenerative ability is currently useless in combat, similar to how the F-class wood department cannot control mutated plants. In fact, everyone is quite useless. No one should look down on anyone. The wood department at F-class can only control ordinary plants. E-class can manage level 1 mutated plants. A-class can control level 5 mutated plants, but even at S-class they still cannot control level 6 mutated plants. To be precise, wood abilities cannot control mutated plants of level 6 or above. This is one of the reasons other combat-oriented awakeners believe the wood department is unsuited for combat. What warrior challenges a combat site? There must be plants around, and they must be below level 6. Even freshly mutated level 6 plants are unmanageable and do not respond to commands at all. Moreover, given the importance of farming, overtime combat has little to do with the wood department. It is already commendable if wood awakeners can protect themselves. Thus, it is no wonder the students from the flesh department have unfriendly expressions. They are born for combat and have no patience to act as sparring partners for non-combat-oriented awakeners. The thoughts of the flesh department are similar to Zhuang Mo's. At this moment, as the two groups drew closer, Zhuang Mo could clearly hear their discussions. All of them are so weak, one punch, and they'll be crying for their mothers. The wood department is so precious, I dare not hit them. If I accidentally injure them, teacher Jiang might injure me too. Why should we be the sparring partners? Wouldn't the water department or earth department be more suitable? In the large ability training ground, no one from the metal, fire, ice, or lightning departments was training. They formed a circle to watch the wood department make a fool of themselves. The expressions of Schadenfreude were too obvious. It was unknown whether they were mocking the wood department or the flesh. To allow the wood department to showcase their abilities, Jiang Ying specifically called everyone to a row of large willow trees, providing available willow branches for the wood department to command. Not sure whether to be happy or not about this arrangement. According to Jiang Ying's arrangement, high-level talents face off against each other. Zhuang Mo's opponent is Li Chao, while Han Linjia's opponent is another high-level talent from the flesh department named Su Fengyuan, who possesses a strong physique and clairvoyance. This Su Fengyuan is the girl who pointed to the mole on Zhuang Mo's nose during a large class. She is also quite remarkable. Although she has a strong physique, she has neither grown taller nor bulked up, appearing very normal, just with slightly larger eyes. There are too many strange individuals in the flesh department, such as Su Fengyuan and Zhao Mengren, while the 2-meter-tall Li Chao seems quite normal in comparison. Zhuang Mo, you should just admit defeat. You are a high-level with talent, but in combat you are just useless. Li Chaos' voice matched his large physique, booming and heavily laced with sarcasm. Everyone present heard this remark. However, it sounded quite reasonable. Even Yi Xingqi, who usually could not tolerate anyone speaking ill of the wood department, did not voice a rebuttal. But Li Chaos' voice was too loud, and for a moment the other members of the wood and flesh departments also turned to look. Only one person was an exception. That was Bian Shisan from the metal department, who silently looked up at the sky. Zhuang Mo twitched his mouth. He indeed wanted to admit defeat, but teacher Jiang would not allow it. This is sparring, not a competition. Can admitting defeat achieve the purpose of sparring? Seeing him silently, Chaos' tone became even more arrogant. Since you want to admit defeat, don't blame me for being heavy-handed. Even if you would types are crippled, you can still produce food, right? As soon as this statement was made, the wood department erupted. You ugly freak. If it weren't for the wood department working hard to farm, you would have starved long ago. It takes you 10 minutes to regenerate a small piece of meat. Who knows who can beat whom? Zhuang Mo, where's your paper airplane? Drill it into his head. Amidst the chaotic shouts, Jiang Ying precisely noticed the words paper airplane. It seemed she had heard about a certain incident where Zhuang Mo used a paper airplane to kill a bird on the airship. Paper airplane, paper umbrella. Could that person be Zhuang Mo? But special ability properties like original attributes have never had high-level talents.